Welcome back. I am Jackie Jing, and I am with Jesse and Veli. And what a day one of stage 2 so far. That was a great matchup that we just saw, but now you can see we are ready for OXG versus Tempo Storm. Super excited about this matchup as well. But very quickly, Veli, you're in a little bit of trouble because you don't have your Predator 700 on you. You said you left it in another room, but that's okay because I have my Predator 900 on me, everybody. So we want to give a big shout out to one of our sponsors, one of our big supporters, Predator. I absolutely love this laptop. It's like a touch screen. It flips. It's lightweight. I'm going to put it back down and hopefully it's not too loud. But yes, thank you, Predator. You're awesome. Veli, come on, man. And Jesse, did you ever get yours?
I'm sorry.
I just love my calculator so much. No, it's still in the mail. But I'll get it eventually.
Okay, we're going to get on that. I don't even know what to say. Apparently, I heard that we are working on getting him a laptop. I'm sorry about that, Jesse. So let's switch gears and talk about the bracket today. We just saw Dark Zero defeat the Sonics 2-0. That was super awesome to watch, a fun matchup there. Wednesday, SSG will take on E United, and now we're getting ready for some Group B action here. Wednesday, we got Disrupt versus TSM. But right now, OXG versus Tempo Storm. So let's get right into it and just start talking about OXG. They were at the top of the U.S. division at one point, but they did fall short a few times during stage 1. Also, OXG has not played Tempo yet this season, so that's an interesting variable for today. Veli, I do feel like OXG will be feeling pressure today. Would you agree with that or no?
They're going to feel a lot of pressure ultimately, but going against Tempo is going to be different than what we've been seeing lately. Oxygen's first game in stage 1, they were lights out. They were dynamic. The second game, the same thing. But it seemed like every game after that, we saw something wrong coming up with this roster. And it just didn't feel right. It's like, okay, we're watching the same team. But then again, they went against the top teams in a row, the Space Station Gamings and whatnot. Going against Tempo, we haven't seen them, this iteration of OXG's core, go up against Tempo yet. And Tempo also got a team change. What to expect from Oxygen in this matchup? I mean, Laxing is going to do Laxing things. Foxay is Foxay. But the one person that I always have my eyes on, I want to make sure that Bio game planned correctly and that this match isn't too hard for them to overcome to get the W.
Yeah, and I think going back to that point, the familiarity aspect is really important to this matchup because I don't think it's a coincidence. At the end of stage 1, we saw Auction play against TSM and they played pretty competitively. They showed up well. I think they played a good match against TSM. And they play TSM in their next game at the Major and they get slammed on. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that Oxygen struggled due to the fact partly because TSM had all that extra intel. As you mentioned, Jackie, these teams have never played each other, so that extra intel is not there for Tempo Storm.
Interesting point. Also, Jesse, I just wanted to pick your big brain here, but Foxay was on a podcast recently, and obviously he didn't give too many details, but he said that they have made changes and fixes. And again, he didn't elaborate further than that. So, Jesse, I kind of wanted to see what you think they're going to address. What improvements do you think that they have made?
I think broadly, gathering more control of the match is going to be important. They really didn't have a good Major at all. It seemed like in both of their games, they lost both of them. Things were slipping out of their hands. They were letting flanks get opened up when they shouldn't. They weren't really utilizing man advantage that well. There were just some aspects of the match that they never felt like they were in control. They never felt like they were the ones doing something. Also, on a personal, individual aspect, I think there are some weak spots on Oxygen Esports. I mean, I hate to point them out. Veli was just talking about them. Bio didn't have a good Major. He didn't at all. He had a really poor performance, I'd say, in both of the matches. Probably the worst player we saw at the Major. So I'd like to see him step it up more consistently here in Stage 2. And also Slash. Yeah, I was about to bring it up. And once you take away some of the lower players that were on some of the lower teams because they got dropped from their rosters because of poor performances, Slash lacks and is at the bottom of the leaderboard in a lot of really important statistics. I mean, 55% cost across the regular season, 0.78 rating. Not where you want to be for a player on a top 4 team. So again, stats aren't everything, and I'm sure he's contributed to the team in other ways. He's a support player, so naturally he's going to get less stats. But there are a couple of players, I think, individually in Auction Esports that could get picked up, or that could pick it up, and that would be a huge boost to OXG.
All right, Jesse, appreciate that insight there. We were just looking at their team cam. They were laughing. They're in good spirits, so maybe they're feeling the confidence.
It's a good-looking team.
Yeah.
Belly.
It's nice.
Belly's like, they look sharp. Leave it to
they're
Belly.
So beautiful.
They are. Aww. But talking about beautiful teams, Tempo Storm, they're beautiful too. And this is not a good transition. I was just going to say, and they finished 6th stage 1. Okay. So really bad transition there. But yeah, so stage 1 not fantastic for them. But they made a big roster change. Let's talk about adding Jarvis, dropping Sloppy. I mean, Jarvis is an experienced, knowledgeable player. Jesse, you got to talk to me about the impact of this change up for sure.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the good old Canadian boy Jarvis coming into this lineup. I really think he does fill out the weaknesses that Tempo Storm had. They had Sloppy in their lineup and they imported him from Italy. And in Europe, he was known as sort of this like really high fragging player. He could play Ashe and Jaeger and get all the kills you wanted from him. And they brought him over to Tempo Storm, and they really had trouble fitting Sloppy into their lineup. Like, they had him on hard breach for a couple of weeks during the regular season. And it's like, is this what you want to be doing with your European like star that you're importing? Clearly not. And so they reverse that decision. They send him back to Europe and they bring in Jarvis. And I think Jarvis fills in, again, a lot of those roles that they don't quite have as strong on Tempo Storm. He's a really great flank watch. He can play Sledge. Sledge is more so filled in already, but the flank watch is really the key aspect I think Jarvis brings. On defense, he plays a lot of important operators as well. A lot of that Legion, a lot of Wamai, which we see a couple of times on Tempo Storm, but they don't have like dedicated player on Wamai that I've seen throughout their season. So I think Jarvis fills in a lot of these blanks, and he's been playing. He was on PogChamp for the first stage in Challenger League, and I thought he performed really well. Of course, a lot of his games were recorded and they're up on YouTube, so we do have those VODs to look back on. And yeah, I was really impressed with what I saw from Jarvis. He's been a good player historically. I'm super excited to see what he brings to Tempo Storm.
I have a question, Jesse. Correct me if I'm wrong. The very last game Jarvis played was to win an event.
Was to sorry?
The very last professional game Jarvis has played, he won DreamHack Montreal that you were at, right?
Yeah, excluding Challenger League, he did win.
Oh, Challenger League, yes.
Yeah.
I did say professional though.
And Canada Nationals he played as well. But
that just shows the level that he's at, right? He's not going to be the Bolo, but for what he does, especially for being a support player, Jarvis is incredible. This is an amazing pickup. I didn't expect them to reach out and grab a player like him.
Yeah, I think Antero, I don't know if it was like a tweet or he on his podcast or something like that, but he was like, Jarvis is a fixer. He goes onto a team and he fixes things. So maybe he's exactly what Tempo Storm needs. We'll just have to wait and see. But Veli, I do want to pick your brain a little bit about Tempo Storm. They've just been a middle-of-the-road team for a long time now. I don't want to hate on them or anything, but I think that we can all agree upon that. What do they need to do to break into the top 5? How do they become a top contender? Is that even a possibility for them?
Easy. The only thing you do is win games.
Yeah.
Jesse pretty much answered this question for me. It was just the roles. I didn't understand the whole Sloppy thing. Shout out to Sloppy. No disrespect to him. But I didn't like Mark's role. I didn't like the way Dream and creators were on the board most of the time. And it seemed like once they started changing things around, they went from a team where you just had no faith in them winning to a team where it's like, okay, we're starting to see sparks of progress here and there. They're getting better. Creators is definitely been showing up in a big way. Dream has been so good, especially on Oregon. But I believe that Jarvis being here is the next step. Seriously, I think they have all corners covered, especially if Creators is popping off like he did before in front lines.
Yeah, and I think that really it's the roles coming in. And it's a bit of a lack of identity. This is something we saw a couple of pros talking about, and I heard them discuss in the last stage. It's like you go against Tempo Storm, and it's like, well, they're not doing anything horribly wrong. They're not necessarily just crap in the bed. But they don't have a solid identity. They don't have a solid game plan. They don't have one big player that steps up all the time. You don't really think about Tempo Storm that much. And I think with this change coming in and with a couple of their players stepping up, Dream particularly I think is shaping up to be one of the best players we have inside of the league. I see a bright future to come in for Tempo Storm. I think their support staff has been really, really good as well. Ken's, I think, is a coach that's really slept on. They've also got DNA doing a lot of really good analyst work too. Behind the scenes, I've actually seen some of his spreadsheets, and it's great work coming out from him. So yeah, I really do think that Tempo Storm as a team have done a lot over the offseason. I'm really excited to see what Jarvis brings to the squad. I'm really excited to see what roles the other players take around Jarvis. And yeah, with everything combined, I've got fairly high hopes for Tempo Storm. Like, I don't think top 4 is out of the question. It's not easy, but I think that's on the table for Tempo Storm.
Jackie asked me the question.
Question. I was gonna ask Jesse a question.
The question.
What? I don't know. What's the question?
Oh, you didn't see what I typed to you?
Coachy.
Okay,
no.
let me...
No, I don't. And I got my fancy laptop here. Is it on Discord, WhatsApp, or TeamSpeak? I have like too many things up here. No, I don't know. What was it?
Chat, we're getting the game ready right now.
Oh my goodness.
But I told Jackie, because it just popped in my head, and I didn't want this segment to be skipped. I said, ask me about their coaching staff.
Oh, okay. Yes, please
Rams.
Please.
If anybody has watched, go back to the 3 screen, because Jackie's going to get in on this too.
No.
We have great experience with this guy as a person. Rams has been picked up on the coaching staff. If you guys don't remember, Rams back in the days, OG, he claims he was an amazing Echo, but just the game knowledge that he brings along to this game. He was an analyst at both USN events that I was at. He taught me everything about the game. This guy is a genius.
I love
Jackie,
Rams.
When he sat down and spoke to you and me spoke to you and I about just the teams and the expectations of USN 2019, what did you like so much about him? I'm hosting now, okay?
Okay, like, just, I first of all, I cannot say enough good things about Rams.
I love Rams.
And I don't want to talk too much here, but, you know, I came on the scene during USN, which is hard to believe was roughly a year ago now. But, like, and Veli can speak to this too. Like, I had played the game, like, a handful of times, and I was, like, studying my butt off, like, 9 hours a day. But this game is just immense. You know what I mean? There's just so much to learn. And I think I was contacted 2 weeks before USN, you know? So I'm, like, sweating bullets. I'm like, this is an extremely intricate game. And, like, Rams and Veli, we would spend brunch, like, grinding, studying our butts off. They were testing me on operators and utilities and gadgets. But I remember Veli tried to change the conversation once. Veli wanted to talk about anime for like maybe like a minute. And then Rams was like, are we done talking about anime? Can we get back to Rainbow Six? And I was like, does this man care about anything else but Rainbow Six? And literally, he
get it off. I'm cheesing like an idiot.
But I'm cheesing too, because it's just like, you know, how many people would be like, hey, here's a newcomer, let me talk to them for literally like 5 hours plus a day about Rainbow Six. And Rams was always more than happy to do it. And if you don't follow him already, please make sure you go follow him. We love you, Rams. And yeah, super excited.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you brought it up, Veli, because I was stoked when I saw that he was added to this lineup. Like, this is just a dream job for him. So
it is. And you know what? Kins is phenomenal as well. I love Kins, man. He's amazing. Yeah, but just the fact now you have 2 big brains behind you. Tempo Storm did a fantastic job with the coaching staff. They're doing a lot more than some of these other teams, not just in the NA, are currently doing with their coaching staff. You bring in someone that's extremely knowledgeable, not just a friend, and they can help you win games. I'm really excited to see what type of game playing they've been doing, some type of theory crafting with strategies and placements, with operator choices that they're going to make. I'm just really excited. I know you're hearing my voice. I can ramp about this for hours, Jackie, but I'm going to leave it at that, all right? Yeah. I had to show love to Rams.
I know, we love you, Rams. But, gentlemen, I actually believe that we're moving into the map selection process, and that information is coming down right now. So please let us know what you think about these map vetoes. This is coming into the studio right now, so here it is.
Okay, theme park up first. That's an interesting one. No team has really played theme park a lot inside of North America or any region for that matter. But the last time that Tempo Storm were here was a 7-1 over Disrupt Gaming, so I think that they're probably feeling pretty good about it. Then Villa, yeah, that makes that's an interesting one because Auction really loved to go to Villa. They played it a bunch. They played it 4 times in stage 1. That's tied for their most played map. So they only went 1-3. And aside from the 1 win they got last stage, their last win was against Trust Gaming at DreamHack Valencia in July of 2019. That was Auction's last win on Villa, and that of course goes back to their Reciprocity days, other than the 1 win they got in stage 1. So they continue to bring this map out, and I haven't loved it in the past from them. I don't know if I love it now, but clearly they feel confident on it. And then we go to Cafe, which is also one that Tempo Storm haven't really played very much, but Auction have looked quite good on, so okay.
This is going to be tricky for the fact that, I mean, Tempo Storm is a new team, right? But going off of their past roster and the way they played before, don't like talking about the past a lot. Theme Park, that's their best chance. I believe they're 50% on it. Villa and Cafe, they can't win on that. They weren't able to win on it. Oxygen's just off of experience and being like the more veteran team. I expect them to take this one. These maps are definitely in their favor, in my opinion.
I will say, though, Tempo Storm, they've lost Villa twice. Both losses were 7-8 to TSM and the Sonics. So those were not bad maps. Let's get that clear.
Okay, well...
Did the Sonics have a sub?
I don't know when in the season it happened. Probably.
All right, just checking.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, and moving on from the map... Oh, no. No. No, that did not just happen.
I'm staying professional. Keep going.
Well done.
Nothing happened. Nope. Ask the prediction, Jackie.
Okay. Jesse, let's start with you and get the prediction so Veli can fix his light. Go on, Jesse. Just put big brain on the big screen.
You know, I actually did want to say that Tempo Storm, with this change bringing in Jarvis, they look a lot better than how they did, than the roster looked last stage. I think Oxygen Esports have kind of been on a downward spiral. It's really hard to predict these games right after a long break because teams do changes. Teams change up their strat books, not even just rosters. They change so much. So it's really hard to say what these games are going to look like going in. However, after the map bans and after what we've seen from Oxygen at the Major and after Jarvis coming into Tempo Storm, I'm going to give it to them. I know I went a lot for Oxygen Esports in Stage 1, but hey, they don't call me the flip-flopper for nothing. I've got to go Tempo Storm taking down Oxygen Esports for their first match of Stage 2.
Can I just add how much I love both of you? Like, that is so something that Veli would do, and then thank goodness for Jesse being able to hold down the fort. I literally could not stop laughing. Okay, Veli, looks like we got the light situation under control over there. So, what is your prediction, Veli? Sorry, I'll stop laughing.
My prediction is that was the ghost of Dark Zero coming to haunt me, yo. I have some extraterrestrial something attack me. In this matchup, I don't know what to expect from Tempo Storm. If I choose them, as the kids say, it's cap, right? I'm going with Oxygen only for the fact that I know what these players are capable of. I do understand their weaknesses. We all know what they are, but I still expect them to come out on top. Other than that, I think this is going to be a really good game. This is something that we can't expect what's going to happen this matchup. It's going to be really educational.
Y'all, I did not want to be in either of your shoes. I do not know who I'd pick out of these two teams. Very excited about this matchup. So, we always tell you, please go follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You have to go follow us on Twitter now because I just texted our producer, edit that now. OMG. So if you want to just see that light falling almost on Veli's head again, then you definitely need to go to our social accounts, follow, make sure you at Veli on there so he can see it over and over again. And make sure you follow Jesse too, because he's absolutely awesome as well. But coming up, we got the community poll as well. We definitely want you to participate in that. And guess who's in the house? Blue and Stokes. I miss them. Don't you miss our boys? So don't go anywhere, folks. We got our second matchup. We'll be right back after this break.
Miss them too.
Stage 1, we didn't have the best showing, but going into Stage 2, I feel like we definitely have what it takes.
Well, we had our ups and downs in Stage 1. Stage 2, I feel a lot more confident going in, and I think the potential is all there, and we just need to move our pieces in the right directions.
I'm excited for Stage 2. We have a new roster.
With the addition of Jarvis onto the roster, we're feeling a lot more confident moving into Stage 2.
I wasn't in Stage 1, so going into Stage 2, it's kind of a reintroduction of myself back into the league, and I'm excited to show what I've got with the new squad.
There's been a big shift in our team dynamic with adding Jarvis to the team, and we changed some roles around.
We're just working together more. Everything's more team-oriented, and it's just all about communication, working together, and getting the job done.
Of course, we're going to approach stage 2 with a different mindset. It's a lot different circumstances this time around.
We are going to play to win, to not lose.
Work together, be a unit, be as one, and win the game.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the North American League. We do apologize with that little bit of a delay getting things started here. Stokes and I were practicing our synchronized counting efforts, and it's safe to say it's going very well. So we got that sorted, and now we should be pretty much ready to go, ready to start this matchup any moment now. What a matchup it is going to be. A pretty interesting one that I think the community might look at as kind of one-sided, but personally, I don't see it as that way. I see this matchup as potentially being very close with OXG going up against Tempo. Stokes, what do you think?
I think this matchup has a lot of potential, John, and I think that the main telltale sign of that is Tempo Storm's recent changeup, not only in their staffing, but as well as one of their players, Jarvis, coming in place of Sloppy to try and prove this team can possibly do something. Rams coming in inside of the staff as well to try and help them inside of whether it be strategy or what have you. We'll have to see exactly what they've improved upon, but I'm very excited to see what they have.
Yeah, I do think that Tempo took a little bit of a risk here in the map pool, and hopefully I get a chance to talk about that here now. As basically what I noticed them doing is they were able to get Villa in as a comfort pick for OXG, as obviously we know they picked it. Tempo did not, but Jesse touched on something very important back on the analyst desk. It was the fact that, of course, the two matches they have played, yes, while they were both losses, they were incredibly close. And if you look deeper into the map ban stats for Tempo, the most commonly banned map against Tempo Storm is usually Villa. So with that coming into play for them, that could be a strong contender for Tempo and a way for them to try and surge ahead in the series, especially if things start out well on their own first map pick here on the theme park. Now, of course, there's a big gambit in that, because when you look at the third map in the pool going over to Cafe, that's usually their permaban, and it's by far their most banned map by like over 2 picks right now. So they're taking a little bit of a risk, I think, in trying to close this one out in 2-0 fashion. Don't know if that's necessarily going to happen, but just something to keep in mind, of course, as this series progresses.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there, and I think that the main thing that I'd touch on inside of that map pool would be Cafe. It's a map that demands a lot of the offensive squad and using their utility correctly to clear. That's why we saw that with my ban a little bit earlier on as well. It just makes things a little bit easier when it comes down to clearing through that utility and getting to, the actual meat and potatoes of the site and actually working towards getting that diffuser down. So seems that we're about to have things ready here in just a second, John. I believe we have the poll up though, so let's see exactly what's going on with that. See who you guys thought.
That is correct. We want to know which of these two players is going to get off to a good start here in stage 2. Is it going to be Jarvis, the new member stepping up to the plate here for Tempo, or is it going to be Slash, who, as the analyst talked about between him and Bio, there has been a series of struggles over the course of stage 1. I've got a reason as to why I think that has started to happen. I noticed looking at the most played operators over the course of the series they played back in stage 1, there's been a little bit of like a role swap going back and forth on who's actually taking on some of the hard breaching responsibilities on a map-to-map basis, and that's been going between Bio and Slash, and I think that may have led to some issues. Jesse once again mentioned that it seems like they've come to a fix for that, so that may be part of the fix, is finally locking down someone in that role and not having to swap it on a game-to-game basis, and hopefully that allows for a bit more freedom on the player that isn't bound down by that responsibility.
We'll have to see how it works out. Now getting into the ban phase here for Theme Park, taking Nomad off the board first, and Laxing exclaiming apparently that something wasn't supposed to happen, but it is. And somebody apparently has 9 pings. That's
Somebody
good.
has 9 pings.
Somebody is basically the server.
I don't know who it is, but I guess we'll find out soon. We'll check the scoreboard at least once over the course of this series. Thatcher, a common ban, of course, in the previous patches, but as of note, Thatcher's had some big changes coming into play on this patch, so his ban rate may change up a little bit. Of course, that'll all become clearer as we play more and more matches here, and as we get deeper and deeper into stage 2.
All right, well, as you said, Thatcher off the board now with those recent nerfs coming in. And if you guys haven't been updated on that recently, Thatcher now universally disables everything instead of destroying some utility and disabling others. Well, am I going to come out as well? And just referencing that same thing that we were talking about in the pre-game lobby. Well, my bans make it to where you can clear just a touch easier, as well as Capitao is a touch more potent. Last offensive ban now coming in is going to be from Oxygen's side. They don't want to play around with the Mira, so she's going to get tossed in the trash can.
Yeah, just to expand on the information on the factor changes, of course, Stokes is correct. He no longer destroys gadgets any longer. If you want to do that, you need to bring a collie to the table now in order to completely destroy them. Otherwise, Thatcher's just going to temporarily disable them for a few seconds. Here we go, though, folks, into the very first round. No surprise, we're going to be starting off with a throne room defense here to start off. That's been a very common site for defenders to go to start off on, either that or one of the two upstairs sites if teams are feeling a bit more confident in their own play. An ace pick also coming onto the board. We saw that banned out in both of the previous maps in the first series, if memory serves me correctly. So this will be the first time we get to see it played here in the NA League.
Yeah, not a bad pickup at all, Slash.
What is that?
Switching over to the Tachanka. I'm not going to talk about it until it gets locked in, and
it will be. Dude,
it will be locked in. We're 6 picking away from the smoke here, so Slash a little preemptive on the Chonk update. Still will have the old-fashioned, tried and true, well, not very, tried, but somewhat true turret that Tachanka offers, so we'll have to see what they have to offer here. Honestly, what it seems to me like, John, is that they could definitely use this on the throne side, just because there's no verticality to be able to abuse. The problem that entails with Tachanka is the fact that his utility you have to stand still and use. His turret, you can't move it around, you can't do much. Obviously, you can pick it up and move it somewhere else, but you're still going to be stuck in the location that you set it.
I know that some of the terrain, we are going to get a rehost here, by the way, folks. It looks like there might have been like a server selection issue or something like that. I missed the last couple seconds of chat. But to expand upon what you were saying a little more, I think it may be a possibility that the folks on OXG may have found an angle, because sometimes the way that the throne is actually set up can be really awkward for attackers to take gunfights on. So when you consider that, if they found a spot to be able to put that turret down and kind of keep the overall body for Slash relatively obscured, that may be a really cool strategy to see come out if it ends up being a success, of course. We'll all see that in a moment, assuming that everything is played out the same way after the rehost, of course, as it has kind of been shown now. So that's a bit unfortunate, but hopefully they don't shy away from that and are willing to try it again.
Yeah, it seemed that there at the tail end of that, they were just waiting to see if any drones would actually approach the site so they could get rid of them really quickly, just to try and, save as much face as possible. And I hope so as well, too, because that would be a very interesting strat, especially to start off stage 2 with the Chonk out very first thing. But we'll have to see exactly what will happen with that. But diving a little bit deeper into the bans here and talking a little bit more about Theme Park and these two teams in general, when it came to the switch up for Tempo Storm and what they've brought to the table now, John, how are you feeling, especially with the addition of Jarvis?
Overall, it feels like this team is starting to look like a much more experienced team overall with the addition of Jarvis. For those who aren't aware, this guy has a lot of history at this level of play already. He's not just coming up from CL for the very first time, of course. If we go back to the old Pro League days, he played on LG, he played on TSM, he played on Dark Zero a while back as well. So this guy has a lot of experience, and I think that's going to help quite a bit with this team when it comes to things like individual gunfights, how specific players may play out certain situations. He's going to have a lot in the back of his brain about that, and is going to be able to utilize that very efficiently in in a round-to-round basis. That on top of the already, Jesse just talked about this. I've heard multiple pros from multiple different teams give praise to the analytical team sitting behind the 5-man roster on Tempo. So that on top of course, another really experienced player coming up to the plate here can only really be a good thing for Tempo in my opinion.
Yeah, I've only heard praises from the staff members as well from Tempo Storm, especially from the likes of DNA. I've heard a lot about him and what he's brought to the table, especially with those Google Sheets, the documents and all that kind of stuff, the amount of stats that you can possibly offer to a team. And it's definitely, I'm sure, helped Tempo Storm get rid of quite a few things and deal with others. So as you guys can see, man himself, the clap on the screen here as we're waiting to get through things. But I do want to talk about how Rams has been added to Tempo Storm recently and how that's something quite interesting to bring to the table. For the people that don't know Rams that well, obviously they talked about him quite a bit on the desk. Well, at least, not at nauseum, but you know what I'm talking about. Rams is somebody that's been around the scene for a very, very long time. He used to actually be on Lethal Gaming when they played on Xbox, ended up going to one of the invitationals. I believe they placed third, if I can remember correctly. But again, that was all the way back at like the year 1 times. But he's been around the scene quite a few years at least. So it's nice to see him come back, not only from him, being a talent at quite a few of our events, but now coming into competitive again and being part of a professional staff. It's a very, very cool thing.
Yeah, once again, like I was just talking about before, more experience on top of that, Ram's the guy that I feel like on a team, to be fair, like, I've never been on a team with him, so I can't necessarily vouch for this, but given the time I've worked with him on camera and his experience as an analyst, this is a guy that's like very much focused on the game itself. And I think just like all the other additions that we've seen is going to really only be a good thing in the long run here for Tempo. I think can also potentially steer individual members of the team that may not be doing certain things correctly in a good direction, because he seems very much like a no-nonsense type of guy in that respect, and I think that a lot of that's going to shine through as well and help to improve the team on Tempo Storm. So hopefully good things to come, and I think that, all these factors combining together is what's making this match appear as a pretty close one in my eyes, and makes Tempo a real contender here to go up against OXG today, because OXG has been struggling as of late. We talked about Slash, we talked about Bio. I was talking about how the role swaps have kind of been going around a little bit between Slash and Bio ever since the game where they beat SSG, and Bio had like a really good performance on Hibana on one or two of the maps there. He seems to have been a little bit more confident in that role, but then again, there was mixed results, and sometimes he wasn't doing that great. So hopefully they've kind of figured all that confusing stuff out and have a solid strat to go into this series with today on OXG's end.
Yeah, for these two teams, I feel as though it is still Oxygen's game to lose. They have so much talent on this roster, and it just seems that, well, as of right now, that it's not working out for them. I mean, previously we've seen Slash a million times over do so well on different roles, and it just seems that for right now, at least, things are not working out for him inside of his role on Oxygen. I don't know how they possibly work him in better with this lineup, but they have the supporting staff to try some new things, and I definitely feel as though they should. Walking into this matchup, this is the time for Oxygen to prove that, hey, we were in a slump, but now things are, slowly getting better, or maybe they've completely taken a 180 and completely improved. We'll have to see, but until that moment, I still feel as though Slash needs to see that improvement, because as of right now, not looking very good, especially with that rating at 0.78. That's the third worst inside of all of North America right now.
Plenty of time for a reset as well. As you can see them on camera right now, they're not too worried about things. They're kind of relaxing. They're just hanging out. They're ready to go. They're ready to play some video games, man. It's just another night in the queues for them, almost, it looks like here. Obviously, it's a bit more serious than that, but they don't seem too stressed about anything, which I think is a good thing to look at. This is one of the nice positives about Siege, is that we do give the players a very healthy amount of breaks throughout the course of the year. So it's very unlikely that a player ends up in kind of like an overstressed situation, at least talking about specifically from playing too many matches in one period of time or anything like that. So they've had a couple weeks here now since the major to refresh themselves and get ready to jump back in here today with a fresh new season in front of them.
All right, guys. Well, as we are just waiting, we're rounding the corner here and into the last stretch until we jump back in here. But guys, we were just switching servers over to the east side of the state so that we can actually have a nice clean game in between these two. It seems that the central servers just went down, so we were just rehosting so that we were able to get everybody in with some decent ping and not have to deal with any issues. Should be any moment now, but as we are waiting on that map pool, like you were talking about earlier, John, very interesting in between these two. I'm most excited for Villa because it does seem as though everyone wants to try and pull that out from under Tempo. I'm excited to see them on it.
Yeah, Villa for me is probably where this series is going to end up being decided. Because if we see either Tempo or Oxygen get off to a good start here, Tempo, I don't have great prospects for them going on to map 3. So Tempo has the 1-0 lead and can shut down a map that, seems like it's kind of a sleeper pick for them. Then there's a good chance for a 2-0 to come in there. But if that ends up being not true and Oxygen's just as comfortable on that map as we have sometimes seen in the past, then obviously we could end up seeing a quick 2-0 in that respect in their way as well. But, even if Tempo takes the first map, Oxygen can strike back on the second one and then take a quick victory on Cafe too, if that ends up going their way. So that'll all be determined, of course, over the next few hours, folks, as it is once again pretty much match time here. We have our players in the server, so we should be good to start in just a second.
Yeah, we're not going to be good to start here in just a second. Just give it a moment. They're more than likely going to have to toss up another one. So,
I just saw that too.
Guys, we will. You guys are going to be more than likely on us for a bit. I'm assuming we'll have to see exactly what's going on here in just a second. But I'm going to assume that we may or may not have been sent to Brazil. So. Well, we'll have to see exactly.
I think we more than anything, I think we just got unlucky with the server lottery here.
It happens, man. It happens.
Because it's the pings are looking interesting right now. So more than likely not gonna start on this one, guys. We'll wait for the final confirmation from the admins, of course, as they make the full decision. But we are going to wait just a second here, I think, for the final decision on that one, and then we'll either head in game and continue this play, or we will more than likely try that once again, folks. Give us a second here. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
For me, it's looking like a
This
rehost,
is-
but like I said, we'll wait for the final
Yeah.
confirmation.
Yeah, we're waiting on final confirmation. For me as well, this is definitely a rehost. Anything over 60 ping in this game is absolute asinine.
Yeah,
so
it's been called.
there we go. So we've now sent for the rehost, ladies and gents. So you guys are going to be sitting here with us for a little bit. Listen, I know nothing has happened, but this is probably going to be the Stokes and Blue podcast for a bit, guys. So I'm sorry about that, but we don't have too much.
Actually, I'm going to interrupt you, Stokes, because I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to save the audience
me?
from that horrific turn of
Thank
events.
you.
And instead, we're going to go to a break, folks. Do stick with us. We are working on resolving this issue as quickly as we can. And as soon as the game is ready to rock and roll, we'll be back in just a sec with more of the NAL. Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the NAL. We are in the midst of starting Tempo Storm and OXG on our very first map here on Theme Park, and I believe that we are safe to start the game finally. Obviously, we had some server issues getting things going there, folks, so apologies for that. There is an outage right now, so we're trying to avoid that to the best of our capabilities so that we can continue the match play. And it looks like we finally accomplished that goal. As we are into it, it's going to be the same site, and we still have that very, very interesting Tachanka setup coming up here from Slash.
Yeah, excited to see exactly how they're going to use this turret, whether it be upstairs or down, but I'm assuming it's going to be down since that seems to be the safest avenue to possibly use it. But as the setup gets completed, Tempo will be released onto the field, more than likely knowing that Slash is the chunk by now, whether it be through social media or through actual droning.
I actually surprisingly didn't see a lot of tweets about that, so they may have snuck by it on the social media department, but all that in time, of course. He's going to lock himself in over on the inside of Arsenal, right over by the forge in the corner of that room. So that'll be his turret spot, at least to start things off with here. Meanwhile, taking a look at the Tempo attack, well, they're going to be moving their way in pretty normally for an attack on this site. An east to west clear, starting out with the top dragon entry here once they've droned things out safely.
Does seem that Tempo Storm will be attaching themselves to the gridlock train, at least for the offensive side, obviously. That way they can possibly deal with this roam game, especially with that Nomad being banned. Going to want to centralize those around those staircases so that her utility can have that maximum efficiency. Now onto the clear, though, and as we all know, Theme Park does take a little while. Got to get these drones in, start spinning those up. See where this utility is. Already gotten rid of one of the cameras, but Oxygen just has to lie in wait at the other end of the map and wait for Tempo to make some sort of headway.
See Creators popping open. Some self-destruction just over by Yellow from Office is going to give him access to try and clear things out further down towards Arcade. Not seeing much in the way of interference here from the OXG roster as of yet, so he's going to be in safe harbor, at least until he starts to move things downstairs a little bit more. That's where the presence, obviously, as you guys can see now, is much, much heavier for the OXG side, including Vert back in the bathroom stalls, Laxing over here at Barrels. A lot more to be dealt with, and only 1 minute and 20 seconds to get them on site now.
Oxygen really slowing things down. Tempo, good map control. They have the verticality now to try and deal with the armory side of the throne area, but still have to worry about Slash inside of there. Very slow moving, but finally getting on some soft destruction now. Still so much utility in their pockets as well. Mark finally using those breaching charges, down 2 so far. A little bit of verticality inside of Office as well as the waiting room. They need to start getting rid of this utility in sight, though, so they can try and force a plant.
Yeah, obviously we talked quite a bit about the Tachanka, the defender utility coming into this one, but also have the Ace in play there on Crazy 2, which, like I said, pretty sure was banned out both maps in the previous series. So for those who haven't had a chance to see him in pro play yet, well, here's your opportunity. Vert's going to get a good start, though, is not checked out over here, and just on the edge, actually, of the bathrooms. He's actually in storage, as he's going to be trying to hold against any of the members of Tempo that are looking to push down Yellow, and he's already found one victim in Creators getting knocked out. Dream has also taken some heavy heat, but that's in a different part of the map over here at Bottom Dragon.
It seems that Dream had gotten lit up from, I believe, the Chonka turret there. On the way at the back of the map, only 10 seconds remain as they need to force their way onto site, but the Chonka turret holding it down. They've rotated it away from the furnace over to the actual throne area. You can hold down anything here. This gun has so much DPS, but it's not going to matter. It's the rest of Oxygen that lights up the scoreboard and claim the first round flawless.
And we do end up seeing that Tachanka strategy from the OXG roster working out pretty well, though to be fair, it never really got tested much, to be completely honest with you, due to how slowly Tempo worked to clear out second floor and eventually try to position themselves on the yellow stairs wall to try and get into sight. Things just unfortunately not really giving them a great opportunity to do it. And by the time they actually start peeking some of the angles, like towards the doorways leading into that site, well, now they realize that all of a sudden there's a Tachanka turret there and it's doing quite a bit of damage. Tachanka is teased a little bit here at the beginning of the second round, but we are going to go back to more traditional style of play. Well, I say that, but actually Legion is going to get 6 picks, so maybe not. Slash is throwing all the curveballs at us today.
That's the double delay. Got to bring the Malusi now with the Legion. You got to go for the double T95 trouble. So we'll see how long this can possibly slow down this offense. Malusi and Ace now out onto the board for the first time in unison. Now we're going to see inside of the NAL. So we'll have to see how they can possibly get some of these walls open with Ace. If you guys are one of the people that usually just enjoy Rainbow Six Siege from, you know, viewing it and not playing it, then you guys probably haven't got to see too much of their utility used, unless obviously you've been spending some time on YouTube or something like that. They got some pretty unique pieces, especially Ace, with how much you can possibly open all at one time with those Selma charges. Could definitely have a bold start here to round 2.
Slash probably going to have quite a bit of increased fragging capability here on the Legion as well. Kix had mentioned this during the previous game, but the T5, along with quite a few other defender guns that previously did not have access to any scopes, have been given the 1.5 times sight, and Legion's T5 is one of those. And that thing is nasty now with an extended scope on it. You can make some pretty serious plays with it if you're careful with your positioning, and I think that's exactly what Slash is going to be trying to do here.
Yeah, the addition of the new scopes has helped out quite a few separate points, and also operator, lineups as well. We saw the Warden get picked up earlier on Cafe by DZ, and they ended up playing it in the pixel spot for Cafe, which helped them out a lot, especially since the MPX for Warden has a 1.5 times scope. So it makes it a little bit easier to contest those, ticket windows and such, or those longer distance gunfights that some of these operators weren't the best at taking before, but definitely have the weaponry to do it now.
Let's see, quite a bit of delay once again. Stokes already mentioned this in the last round. It's going to take a bit for the attackers to really build up the courage they need to start clearing out major areas of the map. And this is because there's so much to clear out oftentimes here, especially if you're not fully checking some of these areas. That could lead to a bad turn of events later on in the rounds. Tempo is trying to be super serious about this and making sure that they do indeed use the fullest extent of their drones before trying to commit any players to any sort of action here. This could lead them into the same pitfall that they fell in back in round 1, though, where they just don't leave themselves with enough time to execute, on top of the fact they still have to come out on top of some of these gunfights. Slash does get down there after he takes out Dream, but it looks like it was either Creators or another members, possibly in the trade itself from Dream, that brings Slash into a down state. Not enough to kill him, though. It's looking like someone from OXG wants to try and res him, but that's not really going to be possible given Slash's current position. Best just to try and bait people in and hope you can get another kill off it.
Grenade's gonna go off, but damage has already been done by Oxygen. So many drones already taken away. Crazy having some trouble here getting Slash's head lined up with that 2.0 scope. Only a minute now here as Tempo's trying to get things going. The ball rolling per se, but it hasn't been rolling very far. They still have so much utility, but again, it's all down to those drones. You guys can see Creators is the only man left alive with drones in his pocket, and that's partially due to Biologic as well as the rest of this team shooting these drones, but those mute jammers have also definitely put a wrench into the mix. Now it's just all into Oxygen to be patient, get these kills as they try and push out of Cafe. Is more than likely not going to go too well for Tempo Storm unless they can get these big entry frags to pop off. Now down to the 3 versus 3, but the time, that's going to be the strenuous thing. Mark off on an island by himself. Him and Jarlavir's completely separated. Going to have to take completely separate gunfights here. Mark wins the initial one. His gun's coming alive now, but it's down to Mark with very minimal HP. No utility really left to use, all except for those concussions that could possibly help him. Fox A and Laxing both lying in wait. Pre-fire crosses in the door, but it's Fox A with a wide swing here on Daycare to claim round 2, and Oxygen looking pretty peppy.
The double T5 is getting some work done for OXG with some great capability to try and play that very passively. Once again, wasting down the clock as much as possible. Some much better, shot selection being taken there from Tempo in terms of when they were choosing to take their fights. We're making good progress. The map control, just ultimately the trade's not playing out into their favor. Quite a few members taking an absorbing amount of damage from fights, and then when it got down to the 2v2, the remaining 2 players were only 1 to 2 shots away from being either downed or killed anyway. So not really a situation where they would have been able to fight. And that's on top of the issue that you mentioned, Stokes. So they were out of drones and for the most part out of utility there too. So didn't really have good capability. Same as the last round to try and breach into the site when push came to shove at the final 20 seconds.
Yeah, if the defender meta right now is a utility soak, then Theme Park is a sponge. So, I mean, that's really what it is. Theme Park takes a lot of utility and proper utility usage from the offense in order to, make things go. And right now, Tempo Storm is just, they don't have the keys as for what's going on right now. There's just so much stuff that Oxygen's bringing on defense. And it's kind of a difficult thing to unpack. You're going to continue to see this Malusi just because Malusi is extremely annoying. I'm going to be blunt with you guys. She's very annoying operator. It's bulletproof utility that you have to use explosives to get rid of. You can bait, their utility out with that, whether it be from ADSs or what have you, as well as, adding the Legion on top of that, adding Mute and then Vigil and then all of these other aspects that you can bring with the defense. There's a lot that the offense has to deal with, and until they can possibly find the answer for that, I feel like these rounds are going to continue to go this way. They haven't even had to deal with anything on the flank. Dream is basically playing Gridlock for no reason.
Not to mention too that Malusi kind of has some of the characteristics of Legion and the fact that she gains free intel through sound. So that's another thing that's going to probably be very popular with her too, and may lead to a reason why we see her banned out under certain circumstances.
You can't even take gunfights the same way. You know what I mean?
No, because you're going like 20% of the speed or whatever.
You feel like you're a snail.
Yeah. That's on top of the enemy here and that loud buzz every time you go in the area of it. So they know you're somewhere in that circle. The only hard part is figuring out where exactly that is, but the circle's not too big, so it's usually not that big of an issue. Either way, they were well into the round here. Laxing having to fall back from his initial position. Still very safe, though, in terms of overall placing. Just had to give up the east side of the upstairs over to the folks on Tempo as they are going for that quick dragon clear. Opened up the hatches pretty early here, too, I believe.
A lot of positive things going on here for Oxygen. Laxing showing face early, falling off, allowing him to use that ERC to delay a little bit longer, as well as keeping Bio downstairs inside a throne, keep track of Tempo's movements, exactly where this offense will be pushing from. Not too many places you can Nitro Cell on the throne side, but the Armory side, completely different story. So much soft destruction that he can use inside of the office area to get some initial kills here, and obviously since they don't have the IQ, he's just lying in wait. Wait for that big Nitro Cell to come out, at least confirm 1, possibly get 2 here. Either way, that'll be a big pickup for Oxygen.
This is also going to be the last point on the site rotation, more than likely for Oxygen, unless they want to play the 4th side. They won't have to, though, because after this one, Throne is going to be unlocked for play once again. Keep that in mind as we continue through not only this round, but the remaining 3 that will follow this too. Tempo are in and starting to get control of the north to south angle on the primary hallway upstairs as well. Still need to wrap around and clear out a couple other wrinkles that are here upstairs, most notably, of course, Laxing hiding out in Cafe. There was no pressure from Tempo on that entry point, so Laxing has this room for free, and there's not really time at this point for anyone on Tempo to adjust for that. The good news, though, is that Tempo are still making good progress, with Creators just finding the first kill of the round by knocking out Foxe.
Big pickup there, but less than a minute now, as you were just saying. Laxing doesn't have any bulletproofs, but he could get one right here. Not bulletproofs, but impact's not going to matter, though. Doesn't even need the catwalk or any help. Just lays prone, uses that backpack appropriately to hide himself, and now it's going to be a war that he has to fight. He actually gets 2 for his troubles before he gets taken down, delaying plenty of time as well. That's almost a perfect roam by him, but now Tempo with a man advantage. It's all with the timer now for the defense, as it's Slash and Bio to try and hold down sight. Bio still seems to be off of sight, though, as he's now rotating back. Seems to be playing near Split, and actually he's inside of it as the smoke for Split goes down. Nice push here by Tempo Storm. It could be Bio to shut all of it down, though, as the pre-fire comes out. Bulletproof tells that no one's inside of yellow. Nice pickup here from Slash. Covering the flank now as Bio Logic also has that Banshee in play as well. Here's it, gets 1. Now it's down into that 1 versus 1. Crazy has to stick to the diffuser at 0-0, but he's got some rotates. Just has to find him. Can he see him? He can. Nice round there by Oxygen. That's going to be 3 rounds in a row for them off of some beautiful play so far in Theme Park.
Yeah, great stuff from Laxing, and of course Bio, of course, for the clutch itself at the end of the day there, including a hold in sight was very good as well. Whoever was playing with Bio there in the 2vx at the end, but Laxing going undroned and unnoticed on the inside of Cafe is really what starts the downfall for Tempo on what was otherwise, up until the execute at least, a pretty convincing round from them. They were picking up kills left and right. Ultimately, though, Laxing's move on the inside of Cafe slows them down tremendously, wastes a good 20 to 30 seconds off the clock, and takes away time from Tempo that, if left, on the timer at the end of the day, more than likely would have been what they needed to get onto the site and get into a good post plant position.
We're going to do it again. And this time we are not going to Throne and Armory. We're going to Initiation and Office.
Oh, they're taking it upstairs.
Hey, man, hey, listen, I'm just taking notes, man. I'm just writing
They're
it down.
all the way around with
hey,
this.
around the world in 80 days. Or around the world in 4 rounds. More or less.
I'm seeing a few other teams do this as well. If they have the capability to take the fourth site, why not?
Yeah.
Don't have to give anything else up here, and constantly keep your opponent on their toes as well, because I'm sure Tempo are expecting them to just go right back to the Throne right now.
I have so many questions. I do. Like at least for Throne, I was like, all right, I can see it. Here,
yeah, because Throne's like a box. So
yeah,
that makes
here
sense.
it's a little bit different because of the soft destruction, but I think that they're leaning on the fact that Tempo really can't get drones anywhere near site right now. Like, they've been losing so many damn drones to these mute jammers, as well as just the members of Oxygen, to where they really haven't been able to, pinpoint exactly where the locations of the anchors are, and they might just be abusing that overall. I don't really know, but again, that's kind of a stretch, as well as me just trying to use what siege brain I have to see exactly what they're doing. They're the professionals. There's a reason that there's a Chonka in the lineup. Couldn't exactly tell you why, but I'm sure that they will tell us in the post-game interview.
So, this is actually a pretty interesting angle for Slash to use. He's got the very long angle, especially if the control walls get open. He's got quite a bit to try and fire out from right here. The angle's not perfect. He's probably gonna have to adjust it a little bit, but he's got a long window of opportunity here if he's set up correctly.
Listen, if my 8-ball pool skills are good enough, he sees all the way to security door, and yes, he does. All right.
Yep, it does.
Listen, I got the 8-ball pool, skills on lock.
If he moves it a little to the left when the control wall gets open, he can probably fire through that too if he goes slightly to the
They
left.
basically give you free bulletproof material here as well. That table in front of him is completely bulletproof. You can't blow it up. You can't do anything at all. It's a permanent piece of the map. So not only do they have to contest with his bulletproof shield, but they also have to contest with a turret that can kill you in damn near 2 shots. So not fun.
XG innovating a little bit here and bringing the Tachanka into play, and not as a meme either, as it's used 99% of the time. This is a very, very serious implementation of the operator. One of the first times I should say I've ever seen it used in this nature in a pro setting. So very cool to see. Some flashes over the top to try and blind out players hiding out in Initiation here. Creators is going to try and line his team up, possibly for a push down the hallway, if not opening up opportunities to try and go through Cash into the bathrooms and start moving over towards Office. Looks like it's the main hall, though, but they've got a Malusi in the way, so it's not necessarily a free clear. They have to be very careful. Doesn't look like they want to use utility to get rid of this, so yeah, just being very careful on that to make sure they can safely melee it to get it out of the way.
Yeah, but the trouble is now, look at that timer. Not going to be too good for them. They do still have Dream on that Dokkaebi. You guys hear the first call coming out right now as the second one has coming off of cooldown, but it's just a patience game right now, folks, and this is really just how Theme goes. It's a lot of droning, trying to figure out where these members are of Oxygen, and they're playing the patience game, and it's working extremely, extremely well for them. Very slow moving is Tempo Storm right now. Very hard for them to get any sort of footing onto the map at all. We're gonna have Slash switch some things over, change that turret over to a different part of the map. He's gonna be holding down Daycare now as he opens off some soft destruction. Be able to see if anybody crosses there, but we should be getting down towards that execution time as the last phone call comes in.
Foxay striking finally with the first kill of the round coming up at 30 seconds. Bio follows that one up relatively quickly. No action for the Tachanka just yet, but it may not stay that way. Crazy with a good spot, catches Bio's leg as he tries to rotate, takes him out through the soft barrier. Crazy is going to be able to get some more on top of that too. Now bringing Oxygen down to 3 players, but with 12 seconds left and only 2 up for Tempo, it's not necessarily a round that they have under their belt just yet. Crazy getting the plant onto the ground. Here comes Slash on the flank, looking to use the gun now. He can't use the turret anymore. Vert will take out Jarvis, but Crazy will be there for a trade moments later, and now goes down to a 1v2 with everything on Crazy. in the 1vx, having to be very careful. Of course, the yellow stairs rotate on top of the two other angles that he's got to watch out for. Vert walking right into the angle on the rotate, but Slash is there to confirm the trade and make sure that this round goes to Oxygen as well. They'll keep the lead strong in their favor with a 4-0 advantage.
I was getting flashbacks there of the Sonics game when we saw Crazy get that ace clutch as well. Almost done, but the chunk, the Lord and Savior for Oxygen here in round 4, ends up working out with them. And it wasn't the turret, actually. Turret did not do a single damn thing that entire round. It was all down to the gunpowder for Slash, as he was able to help out his teammates there. But now as we jump over into round 5, Tempo Storm's team stumped, John. I don't really know exactly how they're going to change things up. They don't really have the tools at their disposal right now to really push through this quickly. Obviously, that answer would be Thatcher. Kali isn't going to help too much with this situation. It's really right now, I feel as though it's, centralize things, try and use that utility to push yourself forward on one section of that map. Granted, on Theme Park, it is very difficult to do that sometimes because the flanks can happen from damn near anywhere, especially with how the top floor is constructed. So for me right now, it just seems as though Tempo Storm really just does not have an answer for how Oxygen is handling this delay, especially with those Malusis.
Yeah, like you would expect some uncertainty with their attacker strategy here, given that's a Tachanka strat along with a few other things that Oxygen's been doing that's throwing them off. But it's not just that that's throwing them off. It's a lot of other things too. You had mentioned drones at one point about how drones seem like they're being denied very well, and I would agree with that. On top of like just some like timid play overall from Tempo. It seemed like much more of an issue in the earlier rounds. I don't think it's been a problem in the last like 2 rounds or so. For the first 2, it seemed like Tempo were like really scared to take a gunfight, and that's never like a good thing or a good strategy to get yourself into the nature of. It's safe, yeah, and it may allow you to win 1 or 2 gunfights, but I don't think that's the way to play when you're like the underdog in a series like this. So I'm hoping that Tempo continues to play a bit more confidently here as we continue to push through this match.
Yeah, well, until that moment, this is exactly how Oxygen's going to continue to play. If it's not broke, don't fix it, and this is definitely far from broke. Tempo Storm now out on the field once again, so have to find if they can finally find a successful round here. It seemed as though they possibly had it in the bag on that last one, but not turn out to be that way. Foxay now on the roam upstairs as the mute. Like this pickup and exactly what they're trying to accomplish here. He's went on an extended roam, also made himself kind of a bridge across yellow with the scaffolding there, so he can rotate all the way over to Cafe if needed. Waiting on some drones now. Early intel. Oh, it's very close, but Fox hasn't been droned out just yet, which means he gets to stay around just a little bit longer. Anyone can test him inside of here, could meet the demise of that SMG-11. They need to drone this properly before moving creators forward. That gun is so very dangerous. It seems as they definitely know he's there as the yellow ping comes out, and that's that new ping 2.0 system, folks. So you don't exactly have to, mark people anymore. You just ping on the drone exactly where they are and then try and get rid of them. First concussion in, he's gonna swing. He now knows, gets that shotgun out instead, and that thing could be the saving grace here. Goes for the shots, but ends up getting his elbow caught off by creators. That's gonna be the entry frag that Tempo needs to start us off here.
Kratos once again just going to pop the soft wall between office and the top of yellow stairs. So once again doing the same clear that we've seen him use in previous rounds throughout this series as well. He's not alone in pushing forward here either. Mark is moving forward down the primary hall upstairs, supported on drone by Dream. Mark will do a little bit of soft destruction work with those breaching charges to open up the area down below and try to see if they can catch anyone out from Oxygen. So far not the case though. Oxygen is currently down a player, so it would align well for them to try and play a lot more passively here and avoid conflict, if at all possible, given that they're behind.
Well, they don't have the chunk anymore. They obviously have Slash over on the Kaid for this time. So, gonna keep those walls electroclawed, at least for the time being, until they're able to get off of it. This is more than likely going to be a yellow take here for Tempo Storm, because that's going to be their easiest avenue to get one of these walls cleared. Can't get the hatch right now either, since that's been electroclawed as well. Laxing, possible kill here as he's waiting for it, but only a little bit of damage onto Jarvis as it's some soft destruction inside of the drug lab area. Have Vert over here as well, and for the Oxygen lineup, seeing how much they can possibly delay. Almost a nice shot here with Laxing. He's contesting that vertical play. Vert gets one, but now it's a push in through the bathroom. Vert as well as Lax lying in wait here. The push comes through, pre-fire, but the MPX doesn't win it. Vert with the trade though, as he continues to slow down Tempo.
You heard the announcer coming very, very low on time here, and OXG still has control. They're carrying them to like a completely different part of the map right now. So tempo has really been restrained in a big way. They're trying to turn it back around. A nice kill is found, but unfortunately the trade comes in to confirm the round for OXG instead. Just a second later, as once again Slash is holding that position just by the Forge and Arsenal in order to get things done and keep OXG really in dominant form here on Theme Park with a 5-0 lead over Tempo.
Defensive-wise, this looks like a very fresh Oxygen. This is not something that we really saw during the major. The patience is completely different. I think them playing off of each other, it seems to be even better. And now we have Slash topping the leaderboard, which is something that we are not accustomed to seeing. So it's nice to see the entire lineup now firing on all cylinders, trying some fresh things as well. You know, Foxay going for the very confident roam upstairs. It didn't work, but you know, it's nice to see the team adapting as they go throughout the round, not staying complacent and not just going, obviously, hey, Tempo Storm hasn't been able to crack this nut just yet. Let's just stick with what we have. Instead, they're always innovating and trying to make things more difficult for the offense. So, like what I'm seeing so far, we'll have to see how things go once they get on the troublesome side.
All right, folks. Like Stokes said, last round of the half here. Oxygen, very, very comfortable with their current position, more than likely. And they're going to try and lock things down with one more round upstairs here. No Tachanka in play. To be fair, we didn't really see it on this site when they played it previously. And the Tachanka hasn't even really been needed, to be completely honest with you. It was only the second time they utilized it where it really got a lot of use. The first time, it more than anything just kind of held back the execute for a couple of extra seconds. But the roam game did that job just as well, if not better, you know, with or without the need for the Tachanka coming in there. So it may make sense as to why we're seeing it less and less here, as Oxygen, to be honest, don't really need it.
Not really, and I really didn't even have an impact overall as opposed to any other operator. They could literally have brought a recruit and it would have accomplished the same thing.
Oxygen's roam game is just kind of running circles around Tempo right now, so the on-site play is kind of irrelevant. Because it's only really become crucial to who wins the round on, I would say, like 1 or 2 occasions so far.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir, man. I completely agree with you on that one. I mean, they had some really nice setups with the Tachanka, and I'd really like to see if somebody could possibly put some pressure onto that, you know, lineup for Oxygen, what it could possibly do. But as you said, they didn't even need it. He just kind of stood there and was like, hey, I'm here at least. I'm having a good time, I guess. You know, he didn't really have to do anything on site. So
just moved it every few seconds to make himself look
That's your
good.
neighbor Randy that shows up late for every barbecue. He's like, hey, I'm here, man. I'm thriving, I guess. Got my natty lights, man. We're just hanging out. So now Oxygen still slowing down tempo over here on the, well, kind of weird side of the map because I couldn't exactly get the compass there. East side. It was at a very strange like angle there for a second for some reason. But east side of the map as Tempo still having trouble with the initial touches here onto the map. Very similar setup here for Oxygen, at least with the waiting room setup. We see that Banshee once again inside of the hallway, but that's a very dangerous game to go out there and melee that. If there's anybody close, they can possibly capitalize off of that information, the wub sound that everyone's now grown accustomed to.
Fox knows they're going to move up and melee it off of play from the previous round too. You can see him just to the left there in initiation. Doesn't have the confidence to try and swing it though, and that's probably a smart move given how many people from Tempo are trained on that hallway currently in order to make sure that Mark did a successful job of taking it out. So hallway access is now allowed here for the members on Tempo. They can start moving up to waiting room and try to pinch it from control too, but the nice setup on the wall throws Mark off at first. Creators and Mark still come out on top of their duels though. Nicely done as both Foxay and Slash fall in that exchange. Bio will be the first to come in for OXG to trade things here, but now these duels get a lot more tense for Oxygen as Tempo has much greater control and much easier capability to try and pinch out the remaining members of Oxygen.
Oh, Vert on a very long distance gunfight, but it works out for him. Still has plenty of ammo as well as that nitro cell in his pocket, but he goes for broke, and broke he shall be as he's been downed. It's all left up to Laxing now in a 1 versus 3, but they don't know that Vert's been down just yet. Frag grenade in to confirm it, and that's why Laxing's going to go on the aggressive play here. He needs to take out at least one of these guys, but now they're going to be everywhere and all sights focused on Laxing as he tries to rotate into office, but he can't get it done. Tempo Storm with their first and only round here on the offensive side.
Finally, some success there, as you mentioned, on the attack. Comes in arguably a little bit too late, of course, but it's better than nothing. Better than a 6-0 run from the folks over on OXG. The question is here for Tempo now, is that just the start of a roundabout here, and they'll try to make a comeback on defense, or Is that just going to be a passing victory where we'll see OXG now start to take control on the attacking side as well? We'll stick around and find out, guys, as you're about to get your answer over the next 3 minutes or so.
This is the part of the map I've been waiting for this whole time. Ever since we got to round 3 and we saw that Oxygen was just dominant, I think that this is really, really what we need to see. How good is Oxygen on this offensive side? Is it really just Theme Park helping them out? I don't think that it is, to be completely honest with you. So we'll see if this is a very quick 2-rounder on the offensive side for Oxygen, or exactly what's in store for us in the second half.
We'll take a look and see. Not too surprising on the site selection, at least here for Tempo, as they're going to collapse immediately onto Throne, just like quite a few of our other teams do. Now, Lucy also going to be quintessential to the play here on defense, more than likely, just like it was for Foxe and the rest of Oxygen there in the first half. Quite a few Nitro cells in the mix here as well for Tempo, 3 of them, in fact, so probably looking to deny quite a bit through that utility, whether it's, over-the-wall tosses or other means of trying to deny when they push into the site. So, good setup here for Tempo. Meanwhile, on Oxygen, what you expect here. Actually, quite a bit of hard destruction, too, which I think is actually probably going to work pretty well for them, because there's no way that Tempo can deal with all 3 of those walls potentially getting breached at once if Oxygen is allowed the map control to do that.
That's the real question. How much map control are Oxygen going to get?
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't have an answer for you just yet. That's something that we're going to have to see what happens with Tempo Storm. But I can tell you that they've definitely brought a lineup to slow down Oxygen. Obviously, that's going to be something that you hear us reference quite often now, especially with like what John was talking about, the Melusi now being in play. She's utility packed, folks. She offers so much for every single team on this defensive side. It's one of those things where you kind of feel stupid not to bring her. So Oxygen now already onto the drone, should be getting this figured out pretty quickly here, but a little bit of a different idea about it. They're going to have 2 members downstairs just to make sure that any early rotations for Tempo can't possibly happen. We could have a late rotation somewhere else as well, as Bio's going to be droning invert towards yellow. Invert's actually going to fall off.
So already we're seeing OXG move very quickly here, and you'll note that they're not necessarily immediately collapsing on upstairs pressure here. We do have a few players roaming downstairs at the same time, or clearing, I should say, downstairs at the same exact time here, and that's going to put the pressure on players like Craters, who already has a member coming up yellow stairs towards him. He's aware of this, though, sees the drone, caught the player, but it was too late. Vertical was already in a firing position and is able to take him out. The good news for Tempo, though, is that Jarvis is available a second later to get the trade against Foxe and bring it down to a 4v4.
Take a drone for a life any day of the week. That's exactly what Oxygen's thinking right now, as Vert's made his way up yellow. All of a sudden, things very difficult for Tempo Storm. Still have a member downstairs for the lineup. We believe that more than likely going to be, I believe, Mark down there. Can't exactly tell with the silhouettes for now, but very low on time. It's actually going to be crazy down low, and I completely forgot that we were downstairs for just 2 seconds. Brain fart there, guys. I haven't commentated in a little bit, so it happens, but laxing with the pickup on the hatch. So Oxygen.
How long is he waiting for that?
Oxygen actually taking their time and cutting off these rotations. The Slash and Bio will begin their work inside of maintenance.
That's gotta be a frustrating death, too, to get killed by the running through the hatch, or killed by someone holding the hatch, I should say, that late into the round. But those are the type of things you gotta watch. Ace now gonna work on quickly getting open the maintenance wall. It doesn't look like there's any hope of resisting it here. Not that there really could be anyway, considering all they have is the mute. So Dream is just gonna have to take that one and get ready for another gunfight. Jarvis still on roam upstairs. Is gonna be caught out by Vert. This brings it down to a 4v2. Oxygen looking good to try and close it out. The only thing that could sell it the other way right now is going to be time and some of these Nitro cells. Crazy picks up the first exchange here as players do start to push their way into the site. Vert is the first to fall here. Dream with a nice Nitro takes out Bio too, but it does not drop the diffuser. The problem for Slash, though, is with the diffuser is he's alone, and they're just walking into this one by one. Crazy gets the next one. Laxing tries to swing, but Dream's already got that angle covered, and Tempo with an amazing 2v4 recovery bring it back under their own control to start things out well for them here on the defense.
Oh, that's just very unfortunate there for Oxygen. Got that pick on rotation, got the walls opened up there, but it didn't seem that they were exactly ready for the full execute just yet, which allowed Tempo time to adjust, especially going down on that 2v4. I was about to say, if we did have any talking points there in that, middle of the round type area, that really hinged on how successful Jarvis was going to be upstairs. Was he going to be able to kill Vertical? Was he going to be able to rotate over towards the other end of the map where the rest of the Oxygen members were? And the answer is no, he wasn't. He got picked off, but Tempo Storm still able to do it just from sight. off of, Oxygen slowing things down, trying to make sure they had all of their bases covered and getting picked off because of it.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused.
Very nice nitro cell as well. That seemed to be a nuke. So
Yeah, that was the scary thing
Poor
for me
Bio,
watching
man.
that. I was like, oh, I know they got nitros and they're pushing through smoke, so they're not necessarily going to see that coming, and that's pretty much exactly what happened. It seems like the second player in the back there, whoever was left from Oxygen in the 1vx, like they noticed it because they kind of detached themselves from the other player that was pushing, so they were able to catch that at least and stop the round from kind of ending right there. But yeah, it didn't really allow for much other play. I think it was Slash actually that caught that one, so nice quick reaction from Slash there, but unfortunate for his teammate, has still ended up suffering that very unfortunate fate.
I honestly think Bio heard it as well. I think that
it was nothing he could do.
because he got to the bottom dragon door. You know what I'm talking about? Runner default cam for maintenance. He got to the door frame, but then he just got blown away, away. So I think that he caught most of the shrapnel, which is unfortunate. The shrapnel new shrapnel system giveth and it taketh away. So it's just sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. And that time you just happened to stand next to a nuclear bomb. So there you go. So Tempo Storm still in this one, haven't allowed Oxygen to make enough headway to get to map point just yet, so still have a dog in this fight. Oxygen now out on the field and seem to want to go about things in a very similar way. Go for that east to west clear here for the squad. See exactly how that works for them. Last time around, though, they used Vert more as like a prodding tool. They used him down low to drone him up yellow to see if they can get any of those picks or cut off rotations early into the round, and that worked out really well for them. They were able to get that initial pick while the rest of the squad set up to be able to hold flank, as well as get their utility usage down onto the walls. But I want to see how they utilize him now that they're more or less going for a horizontal type, thing.
Vert did have a good angle right there to try and catch anybody on Tempo that might have been rotating and roaming through initiation, but not really much set up, as you can see, in order to try and establish something like that. Closest thing would have been Crazy if he tried to push out, but both him and Mark are very deep in the site right now, not really looking to challenge. That's what I was talking about before, where they kind of want to let Oxygen play into their own angles. They don't want to be the ones to take the swing necessarily, so that play is kind of continuing here into the second half. Got a nice shield setup to support that play as well, as you can see with Crazy currently holding the breach.
A lot going on here for Oxygen to take in and try and deal with. Tell those ADSs to burn as well, as we can hear those going off on the wall. Slow and steady for Oxygen. Drone economy still looking decent. Lost quite a few of them. Lost all of them, at least for Laxing and Fox. Burnt down one as well as the first bout of hard destruction goes off, as they're focused on initiation, clearing it out. They've already cleared the shield, and they're going to continue to use that. It is set up to go off for their side, though, as Slash gets lit up from the ult of Mark. We're down into the sub-minute now.
Quick little reload, because why not? He's got the time. Might as well re-up it to 81 rounds. This time, though, not going to want to make the same decision. Crazy does have luck in dropping another member of Oxygen, though, as he is able to take out Slash. While we're checking out Mark's POV here. Mark's still waiting for his own opportunity to frag, and he may very well get it over the next few seconds here. Holding behind the bomb chassis, which you'll note is obviously a lot more solid now. It's another one of the changes that came in with this patch. You don't have those, tiny little pixel angles you can play into on the bomb chassis anymore. It is one solid hunk of metal now. Jarvis steps up as well here and is going to be able to find Vert, and the train really just continues to be all Tempo here in round number 2 of the second half. We're going to see another kill picked up. Crazy with his second on the round, and now it's all down to Bio, who's been stuck at this half breach for a good 15-20 seconds at least. He's going to try his best to make some effort out of the 1v5, but not going to happen. Tempo will take it in flawless stance and continue to run their comeback train.
All right, so my theory has now become a hypothesis, and it seems as though it's definitely just theme park. it's theme park. Theme park defense beating both of these teams badly, and honestly, you can't blame them for it. Theme park is, again, a map that takes quite a bit from the offensive side to, force the defense to do the things you want them to do. They really don't need to rotate or go for flanks or anything like that. They just simply have to play utility correctly and play time, and most of the times they win. And that's exactly what's happened for both of these teams on defense. And Tempo, again, nothing's changed. I mean, it's very similar lineups that, we saw OXG bringing, and it's just down to that utilitarian game again. So that's really it.
All right, guys, well, Oxygen still very close, and for the moment at least, still in the lead here with a 2-round advantage over Tempo. So despite these very successful rounds from Tempo, which is great that they've turned it around like this, they've got a lot more work to do. So they can't be getting complacent just yet. Oxygen as well got very close in the first round, not so much here on the second. And now we're going to be attacking potentially in a very similar fashion, as it's just the two rooms that are next to the site that we previously played in. Going to be opposite initiation for the defense this time on tempo.
Okay, well, initiation going to be the site here between these two. We'll see if tempo can continue on this roll here. All right. Well, actually, look at me. I completely got that backwards. Oops. I meant that my hypothesis has now become a theory. How dare I? No, hypothesis means like limited information. You're trying to explain something. A theory is like, hey, I've done a decent amount of the research. And I got a general idea. It's you know when your teacher told you to make an educated guess?
I feel like if I type theory into a thesaurus, hypothesis would come up as a
maybe
synonym.
Possibly. But Google also when you Google hypothesis, hypothesis versus theory comes up. What's your hypothesis on that?
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know. I guess we'll have to discuss this later.
I want to get a theory on that, sir. All right.
That's my theory on that for you. All right, folks. So back to the gameplay here. We've got Vert once again doing some exploratory work upstairs, primarily checking out this hallway. He is going to have Foxe assisting him, and well, never mind on that one. Foxe is going to be getting into a fight very quickly after he drops down through that roof hatch. He's in fact able to take out Jarvis, so the Malusi, unfortunately, is not going to see a lot of play late round here, and she'll be taken out first.
Well, they are getting plenty of intel off of these drones, at least for Oxygen. Slow beginnings, but that's exactly what we expect. Utility use now for the offensive unit. It's clearing out most things. Beauty about this site is, though, that it is in the middle of the map, so you don't have to worry about nearly as much once you're actually trying to get onto it. But the bad news is that tempo can obviously fall back and play it from the far side of the map, which is what we usually see the defense end up doing. So it comes down to a lot of congested gunfights while you're trying to get a diffuser down. It's not a good look overall. It's a very difficult thing to try and pull off. Impact out here for the Maestro, but doesn't end up getting rid of those X-Kairos. So now they have some sight lines into sight that aren't exactly traditional. Still have every single member of Oxygen still alive after that pickup of Jarvis earlier on as well.
Problem is we haven't seen a lot of forward movement for Oxygen yet, but that's not necessarily an issue and probably won't become an issue for another 20 seconds or so once the time starts to get a little bit more pressured here against the attackers. You'll note that Laxing is also looking for an option to try and get in through a cafe as well. So this is a pretty multifaceted hit going on from Oxygen. Probably a lot of communication that needs to be done before they can commit to this. Kratos with a good catch. Does go 1-for-1, but going to get pushed out by two different players. Vert as well, continuing his movement, is able to move up and find another lock against Mark right there too. Oh, nearly getting caught mid-reload. Is given an opportunity to dodge out of that. Walks into the Malus. They know he's lower yellow stairs. Crazy will be able to recover, pick up another kill, but Laxing elsewhere on the map does find success in pushing in. Takes out Crazy. Now it's down to just Dream alone in the 1v3. Plant should be happening here from OXG any moment as the site is clear as day. It's all on Dream to try and retake this now. Oh, a nice headshot is found on the recoil there to pick up Foxe. He's on the trail, but unfortunately is going to meet a cliff face on it as Laxing takes him out just when he tries to swing to the inside of Showers.
What a beautiful, beautiful round there from Oxygen. You guys saw the initial setup. They started pushing into the map, got up to about the midway point as they're starting to clear their utility, throwing things over Dragon, getting rid of all these initial pieces. But then they rotate some of their members to the opposite side of the map to hit things from the back. That's what we like to see from these offensive teams, especially on Theme Park. Caught him off guard. Tempo was not ready for anyone to be on that side of the map. You saw it inside of Daycare. I believe it was the Jaeger standing on the table inside of there that was flicking back and forth, played by Mark, I do believe, but obviously could be wrong on that. But one of the Tempo members standing inside of Daycare caught whiff of exactly what was happening, at least initially, but I don't think that they thought it was nearly the amount of people that actually ended up coming through on that flank. They had 3 people actually over there. Laxing ended up, I believe, going through Arcade Balcony instead of pushing down the main hallway area that they were, where we saw those 2 members take that gunfight. But overall, amazing stuff from Oxygen. Very nice rotation. Caught Tempo completely off guard. Allowed them to get control of the office and get that diffuser down.
Speaking of rotations here, this is going to bring Tempo back down into their, so far, a successful site for the defense, or one of their successful sites for the defense. They're going back into Throne Room. for this round. And keep in mind, they had success, but it was to a limited degree. A very, very awesome recovery in a 2v4 situation. But the early round was almost entirely controlled by Oxygen. So Tempo are going to have to look for a way to try and make sure that either the early round comes under better control for them, or they can force Oxygen into the same type of funnel that allowed them to win the 2v4 the first time they played it. Because if not, very good chance that Oxygen could take this site and the map with it.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing, right? Tempo's got to put 3 rounds together, and obviously we've seen it done by both of these squads before, especially, well, recently Oxygen on their defensive half here on Theme Park. So Tempo going to have to do more of the same. Instead of Roam here once again for Tempo Storm. This hasn't worked out too well for them. It's been mostly the site players popping off. We can see that the Roam setup for Tempo, or at least the members, haven't been really lighting the world on fire when it comes to the fragging department. It's mostly been put on to Crazy, and he has definitely been doing so on both sides of the coin. We saw him getting quite a few kills on offense, but most notably on defense with that Alda.
He's more than double the kills of his next highest teammate right now, so his impact very much speaks for itself when you look at the score. Jarvis going to come bursting in there, scares Craters a little bit, but just a bit of a rotate, I think, as he's going to be moving downstairs. Mark's still holding in the meanwhile over towards Initiation, looking to fend off. Well, this player sitting on the other side over towards Control is not going to be able to make it out, though, as Foxe commits to it and is able to fully confirm that kill from the fight he started just seconds prior. I think it might have actually been Bio that started the fight, but either way, Foxe finishes it.
Yeah, it's not about who starts, it's about who finishes it, right? So Mark ends up going down, and just, again, another very unfortunate roam here for Tempo. Not even halfway through the timer, Mark's already dead. Still had utility in his pocket as well, and in place of that nitro cell, obviously, and just getting caught off guard by what Oxygen was pulling off of there. He ended up getting cornered inside of waiting, really didn't have an escape, just had to try and go for a kill, and obviously did not exactly pan out for him. So Oxygen now traversing the top of the map, have full top control now, so it's going to be all to the soft destruction that we've been seeing throughout the map. Sledge everywhere for Foxe, start getting rid of some of that site utility, burn some ADSs, and then try and decide where they want to go for this execute. They have so much time on their hands as well. I don't really see any of the Tempo members trying to rotate away or upstairs to try and handle them right now. They're more than likely just going to sit over inside of the drug lab area to try and slow down Oxygen once they go for this execute.
And that can actually work out pretty well here, given how low the time is getting, on top of the fact that I don't believe there's been any successful hard breaches on either of the 3 site walls yet. Now, to be fair, that may not be needed, because if they clear out the roaming presence, again, they can bring the man count down low enough where, as long as they're able to push the 2 entry points, then things might work out regardless. But time is really going to start to stress OXG here soon. And they are walking into the pincer move if they're not careful here. There we go. Here comes the downfall as the bathroom push gets destroyed. The arcade push is suffering a similar fate. A beautiful hold from the drug lab roam presence there on Tempo. And they shut down the entire offensive force from OXG in just a matter of a few seconds.
Just killed them all. They're dead. I don't know. That was it. They just kind of tried to...
Just a sea of blue kills there on the kill feed.
That was an awful lot of blue and not a lot of orange. Not a lot of orange. Very, very rough stuff there for Oxygen. It seemed as though they did know that the members were there, but to be honest, I didn't see a drone roll through there, later into the half. So I don't know exactly what the info game was looking like, but to have 2 Oxygen members immediately die when they're pushing what seemed to be, the stalls bathroom area, very, very weird, especially coming from that team. Like, they've worked quite a few of these offenses so well. So whether that went undroned or what have you, just very awkward step there for Oxygen that ended up, forcing them to pay the price. So Tempo Storm still in this one. Still need 2 rounds to go after some, very successful roam game. And Jarvis with a very nice shot onto the sledge upstairs.
And so off of that, Tempo, like I've said, is continue to run this comeback train in a very impressive fashion. And Oxygen have had some really promising starts to rounds that have ended in disaster more than once as well here throughout the course of the series. So definitely needing to brush up on that late round a little bit, but of course that's something for after the game to look at here. Other than that, Tempo's been doing a great job at recovering from otherwise bad situations and making sure that they stay in safe, solid control and not overreacting, losing more and more players, which is a mistake we oftentimes see teams make when they get behind.
Yeah, man count is a huge thing inside of Siege, and it's something that obviously, even from right when you begin playing it, you learn about, right? But when it comes to like when it comes to competitive games, as you said, it's a difficult thing because all the time you're taught, hey, you know, equal man count, that's really good. Obviously, if you can have it into your favor, that's even better. If you get that initial pick, you play with that man advantage. That, and obviously the other team that's down man wants to try and get that back to equal footing as quickly as possible. But a lot of the times people overjump and overextend themselves, and it ends up just cascading down on top of their heads. Ruins, you know, what round could have possibly been if it was, you know, a 4v5 instead of a 2v5. So, you know, a lot of the times you just have to wait and see exactly what goes on with that and what trades ensue. But we've seen a lot of patience by both of these squads today. Not so much in that last little instance there, but I don't think Oxygen was exactly ready for every single member to end up losing a gunfight.
Certainly the case. All right, folks. So into our penultimate round, I believe, or regulation time anyway. We try to wait and see if Oxygen can get the close the door. Tempo is going to bring us up into a tie point situation here. Got Slash. Keep in mind there are no ties, of course, if we go to OT, but just in case anybody freaked out about that for a second. Drones are going to be working their way in too, but you can see quite a bit of work done from OXG here to try and get open the initiation wall. There is already the half rotate, half reinforcement on the site wall, so we'll see if they decide to really have a need to open that or not over the next, I would say, 30 to 40 seconds or so. This is where all the action is happening, of course, as there is an effort being made by Oxygen to try and push out down the waiting room hall and through the bathroom stalls into office, too, if that becomes necessary. Just trying to figure out what's going to be the path of least resistance here so they can try and actually get to the site this time, hopefully isolating out some of the positioning from Tempo's anchors, too, because that's oftentimes been a problem for them so far in this half.
Okay, well, it seems that... Oh, no, that is huge. Ooh, that is so huge, it's not even funny.
So
yeah, that is so bad. So we now no longer have an Alda, and this has come down to execution time. Oxygen, I don't know what god they've been praying to, but apparently it's been one that works. So this is some crazy stuff here as he gets taken out. Tempo Storm, a very bad spot here. Oxygen still taking their time now. They don't want to try and throw this round, especially with that free B pick. It's all down to Tempo Storm to try and win things back. The cross being held on the window as well. This is signs that a plant's going to be going down pretty soon here. But just remember, there is a Kali on that window. More than likely going to be using that pistol. Could possibly use the rifle for those longer ranges, but she can't consistently back up shots. Apologies on that. Slash now planting the bomb, so it's going to be all Oxygen all the time to try and shut down these pushes. Oh no, now Crazy with a big pickup, and the scoreboard's been lit up. It's down into the 1 versus 2 here for Dream. He can possibly save it. Oh no, didn't see him. The Hollow blocking him out just there for a second. Dream now on the repeat, though. Is he going to hear him sprint? He does, but he ends up winning it out instead. Laxing gets taken down. Now it's all left up to Foxay, but Dream, not very much HP. Fox with that ACOG as well. He's ready to hold down this diffuser from any site.
Fox gonna definitely play this passively too. Dream's on a tear right now. You saw it. It's already at the triple kill, but unfortunately cannot get the quad. Foxay shuts it down and is gonna be, in some respects, gifted this final round, but in many others, they do still have to work for it. Dream really giving a massive effort to try and save that there, but at the end of the day, Oxygen do finally close down this first map with a 7-4 scoreline, giving them the 1-0 lead on the series and the potential for a 2-0 if they can take control of their upcoming map pick, which is going to be on Villa.
Yeah, Villa up next, as you just said. I think it's going to be a little bit of a different show between these two. Theme Park, very slow, very methodical. It was all down to the executions and just who was better at that map clear. Now with Villa, obviously we're going to have a little bit more roam game. This is where things are going to start to ramp up. Extremely excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be a really awesome time to see how the second map plays out, especially with what's been built up here. Obviously, Theme Park's still kind of a rough map for the sides, looking at the two teams and how they play into it. And this has been something that's echoed into other teams throughout the league as well. So when you consider that, we may have not gotten a necessarily great sample size for what to expect for the rest of the series on Theme Park. It was still awesome to watch. I just want to say that. We got the Tachanka play. We got a bunch of other cool stuff coming into the mix there too. So moving over onto Villa now, I think we are going to see and get a much better picture for what is to be held, not only throughout that second map, but a potential cafe play as well, if we do need to go down to that.
Yeah, all some very exciting stuff. Villa and Cafe, two of our more strategic maps that we love to talk about. And Villa's recently grown on me as well. I've really liked the color change that they did, the lighting change. Everything looks, very crisp. You can actually see on the map now, and it just feels damn good playing it.
Yeah, definitely looking at the case. Apologies, folks. Haven't just making sure I can hear Stokes properly there. Yeah, definitely making sure that these plays are coming out well there. And I think that overall, this series is going to be this play is going to be a really good turn of events going on to Villa. And like I said, I'm more curious than anything to see if the counter bans that have been happening against Tempo on Villa have any, real reason behind them. Is Tempo psych? Is Tempo this, secretly god Villa team? Are they going to bring something else to the table? They really haven't seen yet, because as Jesse mentioned, those matches that they did play, the two maps, are incredibly close between each other. So there's some potential for some really good play, I think, to come out from Tempo on that map. We're really just going to have to wait and see how it happens there.
Yeah, I think Villa's going to have a lot to offer. I'm honestly... Here's my thing. I really want to go to Cafe. I really want to see what both of these teams can offer, because I really feel like Cafe offers so much in knowing how well a team can play, because it offers everything from making sure that you don't get flanked, to utility clear, to proper execution. If you mess up anything on Cafe, it is your head. Like there's no recovery, especially in the utility department. So I really want to go there to see exactly what has Tempo done. What's this lineup looking like? Can we possibly give them the litmus test? That for me personally, obviously not everyone are all going, oh, if you don't play Cafe, yeah, it's just but walking into Villa, I really feel as though there is obviously going to be some stuff to offer. I just want to make it to Cafe, man. I feel like, going the full series here today would definitely be a hallmark thing for NAL.
All right, well, we're going to see if that will be true, but for the time being, we're going to take it back over to our analysis desk to break down the first map and get us ready for map number 2.
All right, Blue and Stokes, thank you so much. Amazing casting as always. Great job there, but let's talk about OXG topping Tempo on Theme Park. So, Jesse, we were talking about this a little bit. OXG doing a lot of good on this map. You thought that they did a great job of wasting Tempo's time.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the way that Oxygen Esports on that defense in the first half were able to do it with such little utility use as well. I mean, you saw a couple of times they were using a lot of utility sync, like they were running those Malusis, they were running some Maestro and stuff. But in terms of drone slowing down, there wasn't a whole lot of that. They'd run one mute or one vigil or something like that, but there wasn't a heavy investment to slowing down the droning to come in from Auction Esports. And still, Tempo Storm took a long time to take those top floors, whether it's top floor attack or a bottom floor attack. The roamers stayed alive for a long time. Now, on the counter side, Tempo Storm did the same thing. Auction were also quite slow in a lot of these attacks, and I think part of that comes down to the map, part of it comes down to the new operator that was brought in of Malusi, part of that comes down to the new drones and the ping system, and obviously it is a boon having all these new abilities on your drone. But if you're not used to it, if you're still trying to figure all that out and juggle all those abilities, it can slow you down a little bit. So the time was a huge factor for both of these squads, and I think it was very apparent as this match went on that if you could clear out the roamers in a minute or 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes 45 seconds, then you've got a chance. But otherwise, these rounds weren't going your way.
And Veli, I want to talk to you about Oxygen as well, and we do have their statistics up on the screen right now, so if anything is sticking out to either of you, make sure to sound off. But Oxygen's extended defense, that really stood out to you, Veli. It seemed different and effective.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. And it's something that we saw Temple Storm doing as well whenever they had to throw in defense. But Oxygen, they did it on the top floor and the bottom floor. So shout out to Jesse. He was saying, Temple, they were taking too long when it came to clears, making sure they did everything that they had to do in their little checklist to go into the site. But this is where it gets difficult. I cannot talk today.
It's a Monday, and a light almost fell on your head.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. So typically, you think of any map, you think of any defensive setup, anchors on site, you have 1-2 roamers, right? Theme Park is played a little bit differently. And the one thing that Oxygen did well, you would have that one roamer, which was a Foxay or a Laxing, and then you would have them set up in 2 other rooms outside of site right next to it. So Tempo, they had to go through the hassle of finding a roamer, killing a roamer without losing lives, right? And doing it effectively and fast. Then they had to clear out the room or rooms that Oxygen were occupying, and then they had to go to site, open up walls, and do everything else. So you would see how that could be a problem to Tempo Storm, but on the flip side of things, they were mounting that comeback. It was really unfortunate to see Mark DC out of the game, but I think they had a fighting chance to bring it back. It was really entertaining.
Yeah, they started to come back at the end there for sure. But Jesse, you and I were chatting earlier, and you said that Tempo seemed hesitant at times, that you were telling me it was like they were reluctant to make plays late in the rounds.
For sure, and this is something that sort of builds naturally off itself when you have these really slow rounds. Like, this was a slow map, right? And a lot of rounds you had a lot of players alive late into the round. But there was never really, like, Tempo Storm taking that and gaining anything off of it. They did quite well in their defenses, and obviously, you know, I don't want to harsh on their defenses too much. But when they're on defense, I would have liked to see a little bit more of aggressive play, go for a late flank, go for some of the stuff to catch your opponents off guard. If you can get past that flank watch, you really cause a lot of damage when your opponents are so focused on this clock. They're so focused on getting into the bomb site and focusing on what's ahead of them. If Tempo Storm had taken a few more opportunities to sneak up behind them, particularly on that last round, obviously they lost one due to things they couldn't control. But still, it would have been nice to see them take a little bit more of that initiative, take the matter into their own hands, and maybe they wouldn't have lost the map when they did.
Okay, and I want to take us a little bit back in the map and go to round 3. Laxine pops off, gets an awesome 2K, but Tempo stood out to you more, Veli. You felt like they did not properly drone, and it was a little bit cringy for you. You felt like it was a missed opportunity there.
Yeah, I feel like it was a missed opportunity. I'm not going to go ham about their droning because I don't think Tempo Storm were terrible this map, to be completely honest. They just went against a better team, right? But in that particular round, Jackie, I expected so much better. And that tiny slip-up costed them a round, you know? Oxygen might not have been on match point if this happened, and who knows how the rest of the round would have turned out. So once Tempo went in the site, they were getting their drones done. And I told you about the elaborate spread-out defense that Oxygen had. They droned everywhere in Cafe except where Laxing was. Laxing was laying down chilling. The man was relaxing, right? Gets up immediately, gets 1 kill. You see all the X-rays turn around to Laxing. They peeked him. I think it was 2 to 3 people. Laxing was able to get 1 kill and put in more damage before he got taken out the game. You know how you know how that round ended? In a 1v1 that they lost. So you would think that if those 2 players were still alive and they properly took care of Laxing, would they have won that round and this map would have looked differently? I mean, it's hard to say because hindsight is always 20/20, but I still think they would have had a greater chance at it.
Yeah, and I think you gotta, it was a blunder from Tempo Storm, but you gotta give credit to Laxing as well. He was on that vigil, he was using the cloaking device, and they had droned that room. They droned behind the bar, but obviously, he had used his ability as vigil, and I think they assumed he was either on the stairs or had dropped or was down below and was going through the floorboards or something. Laxing absolutely could have shot those drones, he could have given away his position, but he was so patient to get those kills. So it was pretty impressive from him showing that restraint.
And
you know what that round did? Quick tidbit. I don't know if the next round Dream picked this operator because of what happened with Laxing, but he switched from Gridlock to Dokkaebi. And I was laughing because I was saying to myself, he's probably saying, yo, screw this. We're going to find him next time. So that's the type of effect that you can possibly have on the next round.
Okay, and, at the beginning of this matchup, we were talking about Jarvis. A lot of eyes, obviously, on him. This is his debut on the team, so he might have been a little bit nervous, but we are throwing some statistics up on the board. So I do want to pick both of your brains about what you think about this debut performance. Veli, I'll start with you.
I mean, let's be completely honest. It's theme park. You're not really gonna see Jarvis as free as he can be or really getting loose. Theme park is a team map. It's not an individual map. You know what I'm saying? So yes, Jarvis went 7-8 with his first official game with Tempo Storm. It's great. It's better. 7 kills and 8 deaths. It's not bad at all. It's really good. He did what he had to do. I want to see him in the next map, in the third map if they take it that far. That's not gonna have a real good collective thought about how Jarvis is fitting in with this team.
Jesse, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that he was playing alone a little bit more than I would have liked. Jarvis, there were a couple of times earlier in that round where he's on Sledge and he's running around, but he doesn't really have a team around him. Some good vertical plays were there. I was curious if he would be more on that soft destruction or if he would be more on that flank watch, and it seems like he's picked up that soft destruction and Mark has gone elsewhere for the roles. So that's fine, whatever they think will fit them the best. They still have that flexibility if they want to change it up. But yeah, as a debut performance, it was fine. We got to see more.
We got to see more. I definitely agree with that. And also, it's like, his first showing on this team, so we'll cut him a little bit of slack there. But that was actually our community poll question. Who will start stage 2 strong today? And we pitted Jarvis against Slash. And how did we vote? Well, 51% said Jarvis, 49% said Slash.
Really?
Yeah, actually, that's how it came down.
That's some good love.
Yeah, so,
okay.
Again, we'll have to see how Jarvis performs on map 2. This match is definitely not over yet, and map 1 was actually pretty close. What are we thinking for map 2, gentlemen? Quick predictions. Jesse, I'll go over to you.
Ring ring. Hello. Flip flop. Yeah, it's me, Jesse. We're gonna need them in the chat.
What?
I think Villa will be one that Tempo Storm have a chance on, but when we get to Cafe, it's going to be a disaster. So the series, I'm switching over to Oxygen Esports. They should close this one
Okay.
They should.
Oxygen 2 from Jesse. Vela, you sound the same?
I agree with Jesse. Oxygen should close this out.
Okay. Well, let's see if our analysts are right. We'll be right back after this break. We got map 2 up next. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. We are well in the midst of Tempo Storm versus OXG. OXG just took solid control of the first map over on Theme Park, and now we're getting ready to move over to their map pick on Villa. Stokes, what do we make of the series so far, and what do we expect to happen here in map number 2?
As everyone would have expected from Theme Park, it was very methodical, initially very defensive-sided by both of these teams, but Oxygen coming out just a hair ahead of their opponents. But going into Villa now, I'm excited to see what Tempo has to offer. As you were saying earlier in the previous, before the previous map, actually, this is a map that a lot of teams have safeguarded away from Tempo Storm, have not allowed them to play. This is going to be the first time that I've seen them play it in a while. I'm just very excited to see what Oxygen can possibly do up against this lineup, and if Tempo has anything special to show us.
Yeah, it's still going to be a rough ask here for Tempo, in my opinion, because quite a few of those rounds looked very, very convincing for Oxygen. Looked like Oxygen was really kind of locked in, but at the same time, they're attacking half, whether that was just the issues that are prevalent to Theme Park as a map or more issues that have been showing up for Oxygen as a team. That's something that we're going to have to take a look at here going into the second map, because if those same issues show up on attack, that's going to be a point that more than likely Tempo will be able to abuse quite heavily. This could be just a very defender-centric series in order to decide things in terms of who's going to be cutting ahead and who will likely at least take control of the maps.
Yeah, well, if you're like me and you enjoy gaming on the road, make sure you guys head over to our sponsor, those Predator laptops. I got one bad boy right here as well, and I've been loving using it so far. I got a 144 hertz screen as well, so when I'm gaming on Siege, nice. I can slam noobs on the road. I can go and take elo from whatever cafe I possibly want anywhere in the world, guys. Anywhere in the world. You know, you got to get that champ grind going on, so if you need help with that, pick up one of these bad boys at the Predator store. John, you haven't gotten yours yet, though, which kind of sucks.
No, I'm still waiting on mine.
You can't slam, noobs at any point in time, anywhere. I can hotspot from my phone right now, and I can get into a game. I can do that. I can be on the train in Japan and do it. It's crazy.
I can only do that on my tablet, and I don't think that can run Siege.
See, that's
so might be a little out of luck on that
laptop
one.
gang.
We'll see, though. I think I'm getting one soon, so I might have something to show off relatively soon. We'll see on that one. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, we are going live with the second map. As we mentioned many, many times already, it is on Villa. Let's get into the action here. Take a look at the bans, and more importantly, take a look at who's going to be leading the series. Is it that quick 2-0 from Oxygen, or is Tempo going to bounce back?
Well, I'm excited to see it. It's been a while since we got some Siege action. It feels like the major was 2 years ago, but now we're finally at stage 2, and one map deep into our series here, John. So let's see what the bans are going to be on Villa. Getting rid of the Jackal early on as Oxygen. Can't blame them for that one. This is a map where you can abuse that roam game so damn well, and this is definitely a team that wants to get in your face.
Yeah, I mean, this is a map that has like an entire floor dedicated to pulse players, really, if you try to take it the logic that far. Obviously, the basement, unused for objective play, but for roamers and notably pulse players, it can be a real fun time down there. In fact, we started to see teams having to clear out basement to check for this sort of thing as of the last few months, so that may come up in this series as well. Getting through it, though, Thatcher, that's going to follow through from the previous map. Wamai, this is a very utility-heavy map when it comes to execute, so that helps to alleviate it for the attackers a little bit.
I can't blame anybody everybody for banning Wamai. I mean, watching all of the series that we watched previously in the major and all of the siege that we've been having going up to this point, Wamai offers so much utility to the defense. It's just so difficult to get through. And once you do get through it, you don't have any utility to try and make your gunfights easier or to, cut off sight lines or really do whatever you want to do to try and actually have impact on the site players. All you've done is impact the utility they've previously set up, but they still have all of their secondary utility, so they can obviously just nitro sell you or have their way with you in any way they see fit. So taking them off the board makes that a little bit easier. We're also going to have a Goyo ban as well.
Goyo, another operator that can try to slow things down if positioned properly. I believe that was a tempo ban, if I was looking at it correctly there.
It should be.
I think it was, right? Because they're attackers, they get the last ban. Right?
I think defense gets first and last, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're making me question my siege knowledge.
I won't
right
go
now?
too deep on that then. I'll just kind of move on. But
no.
I just won't finish the point.
Man. It's just... no.
I mean, well, the point I was making is I think OXG were using him quite a bit, so it makes sense for Tempo to ban him. But yeah, I don't know who banned him, so I'm pretty sure it was Tempo that banned him, but we could
I want to say it's the defense gets first and last, and then the offense gets two in the middle. So, but again, that's me. That's me stretching the knowledge, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, but you're just making me question myself. So I'm overthinking it. I do believe. We have confirmation.
No, it was something else.
I was waiting.
I thought someone just
don't
told
worry.
me what
Twitch
it was.
chat's gonna yell at us in about 5 minutes anyway, so it's fine.
I have my I still have my Discord pings on while we're doing this, so in case anyone from our production team needs to message me, I can still hear that.
Oh man. All right. Well, defensive lineup for Oxygen looking spicy actually. No real true anchors. Everything 2 or 3 speed. Quite a bit of utility as well in the nitro cell department. Looks like we're going to have a minefield here soon. And, well, Oxygen going right back to how Oxygen does things. We're going to have some early roam game here down low from vertical. Seems to be supported by Laxing as well. This is typically how we see a lot of teams try and handle this site as well. They really like the south to north clear. No one really favoring the master clear as much anymore when it comes to clearing the map, especially when it comes to kitchen, just because, the defense gets so much pressure from the south side of the map here. They've also gotten they've moved quite a few reinforcements across the map as well. This is something similar to how we saw G2 hold down Villa up against BDS a little while ago, where they were playing the living room and ended up holding down Red Stairs that way. We are going to have our first pick as well, which is going to be Foxe upstairs as he takes down creators.
Fox are going to continue to roam around here. You can already see one other target in his general view pane. Of course, he can't see that target yet, but well, the target will see him with this drone anyway, and that'll force him back. He's actually going to see some bullets, or some tracers, I should say, shining through the Astro window. Actually pretty surprised that it didn't end up hitting him, 1 or 2 of those anyway, but he makes it out of that. This could be a nice nitro, but it is read by Mark as he swings away from that window as quickly as possible and avoids a sudden death.
Luckily enough, that shotgun's quite loud, so more than likely knew that the holes are being made underneath him. But Oxygen's doing such a good job of slowing down tempo right now. They've already gotten the pick, and they're slowly working themselves back to site. They haven't given up the dream of roaming right now, but might be needed here in the near future. Verticality now for Tempo Storm, but still not that pick, and that's exactly what they need right now. They need to equal man count so they can work towards this execute. This verticality is going to help them out a lot. It's going to make it to where Oxygen can't play around the site like they see fit, but there is still a nitro cell on the field that they have to worry about. It's just if Laxing's there to actually use it.
Pretty quiet round besides the kill of creators, which happened really early on though. As time is starting to get a lot lower, 45 seconds remain. Tempo still trying to mess around, mainly with their sledge, to try and line up any top-down angles here. More importantly, just set up the important top-down angles. Bio is going to get caught by an air jab, but that doesn't really seem to matter much, as Vert is ripping apart the Tempo roster one by one. Picks up a series of 2 kills in the process of that. Now the remaining 2 trying to work their way in. A good find from Crazy, but we expect Crazy to perform well coming off the previous map. Dream There's another player that we needs to step up here too, and he thankfully is going to be able to do just that. Takes out Bio / falls due to a readjustment from Crazy as well. And now Laxing trades it out, takes down Dream, leaves it all on to Crazy, but Crazy might just get it all done. One more player to take out. He's only got 5 seconds remaining though, and he's read the plot wrong. Vert still outside over by the Astro stairs, clutches the 1v1 and gives the first round to OXG.
Still some very scary stuff there for Oxygen, and that's the power of that AK-12. It is so dang good inside of these gunfights. Wins almost every single one of them there, got it down to the 1 versus 1. But overall, I'll say tempo, very slow, methodical take, and Oxygen just ready for the fights whenever they came to them from almost every single angle. I really like what Oxygen did with the downstairs. They ended up dedicating some reinforcements inside of living room, putting some bandit batteries on them just to try and support that roam game, and then they put Foxay upstairs all by his lonesome, kind of making that, you know, defensive setup downstairs for the roamers a focal point for tempo to focus on, and then Fox is there just with, you know, the cloak and dagger, just stab creators right in the side and dip. That's exactly what just happened, man. It works out for him, and that's the beauty of this map. There's so many different ways to roam here, and I think this is highly abusable by Oxygen, especially if tempo isn't going to treat it the right way.
Good attempt from Crazy to start bring that up once again as well here. Good attempt from Crazy to try and bring that back. That AK-12 on the ace, just unfortunately not enough at the end of the day. It was being supported by Dream. Also got some impact into there too, but just not enough in order to win the round due to the issues that had been suffered because of the rotate upstairs and the overall shutting down of the upstairs push from tempo that came with that. So Oxygen in a great position now to maintain their control. Already taking control of a downstairs site. It's now going to shift them over towards Trophy and Statuary. Aviation and Games, the usual go-to site, or at least historically the usual go-to site for a lot of teams, still left unplayed at this point.
Okay, well, do you believe we are going to Stat? And yes, we are. Stat and Trophy. Well, we'll have to see how Tempo wants to handle this one. Last time we saw that south to north clear. Could be seen for the master take, but the struggling thing with that master take is that you don't really get too much map control when it really comes down to it. Obviously, you have to worry about kitchen, but you're centralized around a certain area, and you would more than likely have to worry about other people doing stuff like that, but they're already on top of it. And Fox, right when he punches a door, gets his head taken off for him. So Tempo Storm now well aware of what's going on if they weren't before.
Just not Foxay's round, I guess. So he's going to get denied pretty quickly upon trying to get aggressive. Heads up play from Tempo there too. Especially if that was pre-intel and it wasn't just a happenstance kill. But either way, Tempo is now going to line themselves up. Already starting to get, at minimum, some drone intel in from the window that leads down to those back basement stairs that go around to the pantry stairs, that is. Sure if they're going to actually commit anyone yet. It would be smart not to, considering Laxing's position, but more than likely he got found out there. He's actually going to take some fire on the way back, too. Somehow is alive as well, at like 1 HP there.
Just enter the Matrix? Like, what just happened?
I don't know how this... He got really lucky with the bullets.
There's literally a drone at his foot, man. Like...
Yeah.
I was just...
I don't know how he got out of there.
So unfortunate. Laxing gets away with his life, and that means that he still has a nitro cell as well that he could possibly use. They have kitchen control now, and Laxing scampered off to the basement to lick his wounds, but no matter what he does, he's not going to be getting his health back. Tempo now with a healthy amount of map control. I really thought they would end up killing him just based off of having Mark over on the west side of the map near the mudroom window. I thought he'd eventually just like hop in once they got the info and that he'd try and pressure China Door, but it never happened. And Laxing gets through, well, not exactly scot-free, but at least with his life.
Opens up an opportunity, especially if he gets a good angle to try and find a kill later on here. Vert with a chance to take out, I believe that was Crazy, but is not going to be able to execute upon it. Slash instead finds Mark elsewhere on the map. Vertical's position has been revealed, but it's still a pretty safe one as long as utility isn't used against him. More than anything, he's got to be careful of the window right now. Drone's going to spot him, panics a bit, tries to go for the hop over the banister, doesn't have the right angle to do it, so now goes back to his safe spot behind the boxes in the corner. They see it there. Laxing at the same time comes into the play and takes out his teammate. That's actually going to save Crazy's life as it allows him to quickly trade on Laxing, and now they can try to shut down Vert in a 2v1 situation, which will be done by creators just there.
Some very ridiculous circumstances happen inside of this round. More smoke grenades go down from Slash as he's worked his way into Wolf. Seems that he wants to transfer to benches, though, as the Echo player's playing downstairs. Bio trying to play out his life, but he's going to get air jab. They definitely have the intel now that someone's playing down low. Litten up because his elbow's sticking out. Oh, no, Slash. Not playing those moments correctly there, and Creators actually ends up going downstairs and knifing the Echo. Knew exactly what was going on with that as they heard that air jab go off earlier. And gonna be a nice freebie kill. Hit him with the bag real quick and move along with your day. Tempo Storm with their very first round as they take down Stat.
The biggest enemy of OXG on that one was like their feet more than anything else, judging from that last kill and the way that
man, I had no idea what was going on with that. He just like proned and his feet just shot out.
Like, my question is where was the call from Vert? I guess like that, like Vert should have called that, I suppose, or I don't know if Laxing made the play himself without giving the intel to Vert, so maybe Vert didn't know Laxing was there. Something went wrong. I don't even think it was that. He should have been aware of it.
You know, I don't even think it was that. I think he tried to prone to kill Creators coming up Astro. And then his feet just like shot out the top of the astronomy stairs.
Because it was just like an awkward angle.
Listen, man, it's Siege. Anything can happen. I don't know.
Yeah,
we were just on Brazilian servers like 20 minutes ago. I don't even know, man. Like, I don't know. So, but hey. I mean, like, more than likely what happened is he tried to prone up against the wall, and obviously, for games, that doesn't really allow you to, phase through a wall. So I probably just shot his legs right up the staircase, and just very unfortunate for him and for Oxygen overall. They had some really good plays coming down to the wire there, but just didn't work out for them. And most notably for Bio, right? You get air jabbed down low, and then you still choose to lay next to the room where you just got air jabbed. I'm not gonna say it's a bad play, but I will say, like, man, that is one of the loudest noises in all of Rainbow Six Siege. Somebody definitely heard that. You know what I mean? So it's coming down to, each team is making their plays, and inside of that round, Oxygen just wasn't ahead.
So that will take us into a 1-1 scoreline. We will also see Oxygen not try to repeat a victory on the same exact site. Instead, they've actually moved to Living Room. So again, still no aviation play at this point for Oxygen. And while traditionally that would be something we'd call out, it's actually become more and more of a common thing as of late. Teams starting to get a lot more comfortable with the downstairs sites. So it's happening more and more that we see teams expand beyond the usual kind of comfort picks for sites on this map.
It's a beautiful thing as well. Villa offers so much with how many different sites that they have, and honestly, I feel like Villa is one of our most competitive maps right now. It's been really, really fun to watch, and as I told you before, and as you know, I used to hate this map. I really did. But the color change, as well as just playing it a little bit more, is definitely, turned my eye to that. It's a really nice map, man, and with the amount of options like we were just talking about, especially Living Room, you can just always switch things up on the offense and give them a different look, and that's what I like so much about it. That's exactly what Oxygen's going to be abusing as well. Make it to where it's different. Just because you lose the site doesn't mean you have to go back to it. Try something else. See if you can get that to work first instead.
Raiders and Dream looking to try and work together here to isolate out the presence from Oxygen sitting on the inside of Aviation itself. We're going to move in there, take out the Malusi, or try to take out the Malusi, but I guess I went a little too far to the right, so those little mounds on the map probably ending up costing them the kill on Malusi's gadget.
Got caught in the, 1/16th version of Lake Minnetonka there, so ended up going down into the depths, never to be seen again. Now have full planes control, though, as it's going to be a wall bang for one. They take down the initial victim, but it's only a down as Dream now lighting up the scoreboard. Can he get two? He can't. Bio, what a spray transfer, my God. Making up for that last round. Can he go for three? He can't. Downtown shots with the SMG-11 working out for this man now, as he seems to be the site king. Still has a nitro cell in his pocket to be able to stop a plant if needed, but the damage has already been done. It's down to Crazy and Mark to try and claim this round, and they're still on the top floor. Yes, ladies and gents, this is still Living Room. They still have to worry about getting into the actual site, while Mark's inside of Classic Hall. He has 4 people to worry about. Doesn't even have a diffuser in hand.
Just the big swing here from Mark to try and find Laxing. Didn't assume that he would have been already back to the inside of Study, and as a result of that, gets dropped very, very quickly as soon as Laxing hears the footsteps, just like that. So that's going to be a nice shutdown from OXG. Another round strategy where an off-site roam ends up really being the pivotal battle for the entire round itself. You'll remember that we had a round like that back over on our first map as well, when they were able to drag the fight away over into Drug. To be fair, their opponents did the same thing in the second half as well, but it's something that OXG seem to be thriving in right now.
And doing very, very, very good at it. And that's something that we've come to expect from Oxygen, even in previous, lineups for their team or previous rosters. We always expected them to play that more aggressive style, in your face, get those picks, and then try and make you win the game in that way, right? Be man down, try and get your man, at least man back to equal, There's a lot of things that Oxygen does right, especially for their lineup. And I think that, especially going into this map now, Oxygen is proving that they can play quite a few operators on these different members and still do good with it. We just saw Bio pick up the mute. Now we're going back to a site that plays similar to Living Room, but obviously the reinforcements are going to be more centralized around upstairs. This time they're going to be bringing the smoke on Slash. So we're shifting these lines a lot here for Oxygen, and it's making it to where I feel like Tempo really doesn't know how to act. They don't know what they're walking into. You know, they add one piece, take another piece away, but they keep something like Mozzie on the board to deal with drones. There's so many different things that Tempo has to worry about right now, and I feel like it might just be a touch overwhelming when hitting these certain sites, especially with how aggressive Oxygen are on these gunfights.
Slash did cancel the reinforcement on the right, and it looks like, yeah, that's actually going to get left soft in order to give the players either in gun vault or if they want to play directly against that wall, a little bit of an angle to play against, especially if hard breach is going to be used on the bar walls, because I believe both of those are reinforced. If I got a quick view of it there, so
yeah, nice little lineup there. That's so I believe it was the Sonics that I saw do this first, and they end up using it to prevent like thermite or, you know, any utility from going off on the bar wall, because as you know, that's usually where the plant goes down. So
you can use it. I'm pretty sure you just spray through that and kill hard breach too. You don't even really have to commit utility to it. There's not a lot that you need. It's the only problem is that, like, if they do get access to multiple angles, that could turn around against you a little bit. But thankfully, it's right in the middle of the site, so you would hope the defenders would almost always have a position on that in the event that the attackers try to use it for their own advantage.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, north to south here, master take for Tempo Storm, have the air jab, so it's more of a set and forget instance here for the team. Oxygen ready for this take as well. You guys can see them shifting utility across and everything to be able to hold things down. Nice little setup here for Vertical on red stairs with that Banshee. Has to worry about one. Is he going to see him? He does. Oh, Dream asleep at the wheel, man. You got to wake up there. It could possibly be somebody on red stairs, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Vert's here, and he's already getting aggressive once again. They're not ready for these gunfights, and Vert is going to make them meet the maker. 3v5 already, and Tempo isn't even halfway through this hellhole. Mark finally, but it's more or less a participation trophy. Vert's already done his work. 6 kills already through 4 rounds.
Yeah, Vert already catching 2 players without them even noticing that he was swinging on them there. And in the first one, he didn't even really swing on them, just waited for the opportunity. Seems like Mark is the player that was finally ready to take that fight, though, and makes very swift work of taking out Vert. As you said, though, a 2-for-1 trade, though, doesn't really favor Tempo at the end of the day. They're still down a man as they inch closer and closer to the site.
You want to make this more crappy? I'll make it more crappy for you. Creators and Dream had most of their utility for burn. All that's left is 3 stuns and 2 smoke grenades, which the smoke grenades they probably wanted to use for an actual execute. But now that they're both dead, you don't have the burn like you'd used to before. And Oxygen, once again, just like they did on Theme Park, get to lay on the timer and wait. Tempo Storm have to make a change here, have to get the initial pick, have to do something. And that's the difficulty for them right now. They really don't have too much to stand on. They have 90 control. They do still have some hard breach, but Crazy is currently holding the top of main stairs from Study Balcony.
Mark also has 90 control. There is a potential wrinkle there. There was an air jab that he chose not to shoot. That may have been on purpose, though, so I don't want to judge that too much just yet. Jarvis is going to get isolated out there, as is Crazy, though. So it's all down to Mark now, just in the singular position. Going to try to move himself forward. Like I said, he's going to have to try and catch this. I guess that air jab isn't there, or I'm just seeing it wrong, but either way. Oh, no, never mind. He's on attack. What am I thinking? That's my fault. Ignore that, folks. He's going to move himself forward here around the corner in the 1v4. Does take out one, but ultimately does get dropped there. So Oxygen, once again, maintaining solid control here on defense, and is going to be able to swing forward further and further into this matchup and closer to an ultimate victory in 2-0 fashion.
Yeah, the offensive unit for Tempo not working the best right now. And honestly, for the initial contact there that we had on red, just a very, very weird instance. It's very early game. You still have access to so many drones, and just a misplay there on red. That really should have never have happened. There's nothing there to prevent them from droning or, using that clearing that staircase correctly. The only thing that they had to worry about was a single ADS and a Banshee at the bottom of the staircase. But even if you hear those noises or see that utility, then you know somebody's going to be playing around that area. So it's just a very weird instance there for Tempo. And then to go as far as to let Vert then walk up the top of red and get yet another kill. I mean, it's stuff like that where Tempo's allowing people to do too much. You know what I mean? Like, you're allowing him to do way too much stuff just from that one area. He should never have been able to get away from red once that initial kill happened, and he still ends up bagging another kill. So
Look, I mean, Vert's thriving into these conditions now. He's brought the Cav into play here for round 5.
He's punishing him, man. He's going to go downstairs. I'm sure we're going to see a nice flank here. He's got the impacts. That's a notable thing. He definitely needs those, especially since Tempo's been leaning on that Nomad for most of their flank watch. But again, what really has that been doing? We've never really seen a flank. It's Oxygen standing up boldly and saying, hey, we'll take a gunfight, and then they win it.
This is the map as well where, you know, historically speaking, we have seen the most impact from Caveira plays. As rare as they have been at this level, it's usually been, you know, if memory serves me correctly, on this map where we've had some more of the impactful Caveira plays be made. And that, again, goes back to what you were mentioning. She has the entire basement area to try and roam around on top of, like just look at this cutout view right now. How many different rooms and ways to cut things off there are. This is a Caveira's playground, really, when you look at it.
I completely agree with you. And as well as just being the most high-risk, high-reward operator in the game, whenever she's on the lineup inside of a competitive match, it just makes it fun to watch. You want to see what that Cav's going to do. It doesn't matter who plays it. But this time around, we're going to get something special, obviously, with what you were talking about, vertical on that Cav. So see if he can possibly be successful on that roam. But for the rest of Oxygen, they're already set up and ready to go here. It seems to be more of an anchor setup this time around for them. They want to allow Vert some room to work, see if Tempo just drones things quickly and goes, oh, hey, nobody's roaming. Let's just try and go for a push. And then all of a sudden you have Vert there with one of the best pistols in the game.
Speaking of which, on that right now, waiting more so at the moment to try and pop a drone very quickly if it ends up working its way into his position. For creators and some of the other players here, very quick clear on the aviation and games area is going to be completed. Having to take out some of the barricades and whatnot as well, but Vert right below this, so if his timing is correct, he could sneak up right behind this push from Tempo and make some pretty serious impact.
Oh, he is playing the long game, my friend. He has been inside of piano and art studio this entire game so far. And that's a minute and a half off the clock already. Tempo Storm making a valiant effort to jump into the top floor here from Benches and Wolf. Some diffuser as well, but this timer getting lower and lower by the second. So a Vault Cam up in the corner, and that's going to get taken care of as well. Oh, seems that Vert's now been activated. The sleeper cell himself.
He did walk by a drone and killed it, I think. So he does it to be a little careful here because someone may have caught that.
I'm trying to see when he's going to use these impacts, exactly where these air jabs are.
See in a moment here that he's pretty far behind the narrative, but thankfully, as long as Tempo don't catch on to him, that shouldn't matter too much here. He's more so just trying to watch out for his own stealth position than anything else. He does not want to be revealed here. He's very careful about making sure he doesn't walk by drones when the camera's on, but he just did it. He just got caught by Dream right there, so they know he's in play now, and they should start to look to try and find ways to counter him out.
That's a dangerous thing. He's now made his way into the bathroom upstairs, and I don't think that he knows that he's here. Oh my god, Vert, no! He botches the shots, he goes wide right, and Tempo Storm take down 2 instead of just the Cav upstairs. This is going to give them a time to try and get this diffuser down. Fox is going for the late rotation as well. He's going to have to go up pantry stairs, and he is the last member alive for OXG. And what seemed to be around where the possible rotation and flank from the Cav could have some sort of success, it is definitely not. After Tempo Storm sends 3 people into the pantry stairs after knowing exactly where he was going to come from, more than likely by a drone downstairs. So very successful round there by Tempo, and nice flank coverage really came down to it. Very unfortunate there from Vert.
Yeah, and like I said, like Vert was like we pretty much were focused on Vert that entire round. So let's talk about it a little bit more. Vert was hyper focused on making sure that he didn't get spotted by drones, that he was able to take them out very carefully. Every time he killed a drone, he waited like a good 10 to 20 seconds before he moved again, just in case someone came back to check that drone's position. And then at the end, he made the fatal mistake, ran by. I believe it might have been Mark himself that had the drone up. If not, I think it was Dream. That he ran past either without noticing or was just, kind of not worrying about at that point, and eventually runs into the duel versus Mark, who is ready for him and takes him down. So a lot of build up for nothing, wasted not much time either in terms of drawing players away from the situation. That was more credit to the other players in the team that were doing that. Just ultimately that combined with a very successful sight hit allowed for Tempo to take some solid control at the end of the day. Not much Foxite could have done either, especially against the 3-man stack at the top of the pantry stairs.
Yeah, I don't care how good you are. You're not winning that. That's
You might get a few of them, to be fair, because that's kind of a dangerous stack, but hey, it worked out there.
Yeah, your only saving grace is if they accidentally kill each other. That's really it.
Yeah.
That's really it. Well, for Oxygen now, we're headed back to the statue trophy. Not too much of a change up in the lineup. Are going to be bringing the Clash once again. Bio more than likely going to be worried about the Master area and playing the concrete side of that. He's trying to keep Master limited as much as possible. Have to see how Tempo wants to go about things this time around. Some good ADS places here for Oxygen, covering the usual areas that we see. Got one inside of Statuary. Do believe that we still have a couple to worry about. Yeah, we do. Laxing either moving that one or picking that one up. Seems that they're really worried about this split area and what they can possibly do with that astronomy window.
We'll follow that a little bit later on in the round itself and see what exactly Tempo are going to be able to use. This is Tempo's last attack here on this half, so if they were going to bring out anything, now is the time to do it. The Clash coming into the picture here for Bio once again too opens up quite a few opportunities to try and lock down specific choke points, but only really if that Clash can stay alive. It's very easy to potentially isolate out a specific angle and lock that Clash down if she has to play more aggressively. Either way though, time well on its way. At the first minute already having been used up here by Tempo. Very cautiously approaching the map. As you can see, there's 4 drones actively working their way around the first floor and the basement area, clearing things out to try and lock down where the roam presence from OXG is, since that's such a huge part of their game.
There doesn't seem to be anybody home this time around, all except for Laxing, currently standing on bus door. Very slow and steady here for Tempo Storm. Still working their way inside of Master, have plenty of utility still to clear with. Drone economy hasn't taken too hard of a hit as we're about halfway through. Fox now with a couple of Selma charges on his wall. We'll have to see how he goes about this. Electro Claw not working out for him. Ends up just shooting it off, it seems. Don't exactly know what happened with that, but it was there for a moment and then whoosh, gone with the wind. So seems that they wanted that open for a possible reason. Don't exactly know why. So for Tempo Storm now, they have the hard destruction done. Just need to get some sight intel and see exactly what they can have an effect on. Still have plenty of utility in the pocket to be able to handle these shields or try and get rid of this Clash. They just need to burn through these ADSs, especially with that Clash on the board. That's something that you're going to want to do pretty early on here. Uh-oh, have a late rotation, but oh my, Vert gets burnt by Dream. Didn't see that one coming. They now have full Astro control, all except for the Clash, who's now getting stunned out. They can just walk her down though, but that could put them into a pretty bad situation. Creator's still worried about the flank. Foxay getting caught off. Full sprint downstairs as yet another wall has been opened up, but it's going to be utilized immediately by the smoke as more toxic babes pour in. Biologic's been down. All of Astro in the blue area taken over by the blue team. Creator's popping off. That's a triple for him on the round. It's all left up to Laxing now. And this one, make it a 5, make it a 4 instead, but it's an immediate refrag yet again by Creators. The Ash popping off, and that's a quad for him here on the last round of their offense.
A trademark Dream Clap coming in there as well, celebrating for Tempo, and there's a reason to celebrate too. Tying it up at 3-3 now as we move into the second half of the map, with Tempo currently leading in the momentum, in my opinion. That could all come crashing down, however, in the first round of the second half, so we don't want to rely on that too much. Either way, though, great stuff from Tempo. Really got a lock on the pacing, I think, in those last few rounds, and that was a huge part of why they were so successful. The roam game from OXG was being denied a lot more efficiently. Drone positions were constantly finding members of OXG, and on top of that, the pacing from Tempo was allowing them to catch and just kind of intuitively predict some of the pushes from OXG there, giving them plenty of opportunities to get ahead early on.
I completely agree with you. Tempo's offense, though methodical, was very well placed. I feel like the info game this time around in comparison to Theme Park was so much better, especially like when they attacked Kitchen and we saw them already knowing, obviously, where Foxy was rotating downstairs. That's because a drone is already down there. They're covering all of their bases. They're making sure that they know where the flanks are coming from. They're making sure they know where these members of Oxygen are going to. And even on the rounds where things were a little botched by Tempo on the offense in the info game, say the Cav round, things still seem to go their way. They have definitely a fighting chance here on Theme. This team is not bad at all.
All right, folks. Well, it seems like the rumors and the stats about the map bans were true for Tempo. Certainly putting up a very good fight against Oxygen right now on Villa. And keep in mind, this is Oxygen's map pick. They've already taken Tempos back over on Theme Park, and they have a 1-0 lead. And now Tempo's looking for revenge on Oxygen's own map pick. They may have a great opportunity to get it here, too, with a 3-3 scoreline going into the second half. But let's see how their defensive half is looking here. They're going to be starting out in the traditional site that we see a lot of teams go to, with an aviation game sold.
And for a 3-3, the scoreboards are looking quite similar as well, all except for Tempo being ahead in the kills department. Seems that Oxygen's done a very good job of winning things mostly based off of utility and time. And hey, either way, it's still a round win and things still tied up 3-3. Again, kills are not everything, but we'll have to see how that fares for them on the offensive side. We might have to see some more aggressive plays coming out. First initial frag grenade use, and it's a confirm there for Bio as he takes out the Banshee on main stairs. Crater's not having nearly as much coverage as he once did. Does still have his shield with an ADS, though, as he's going to continue to hold on to this as long as he can.
Crater's constantly winning. Takes him a second to realize he was spotted out by a drone, and now having to get a bit more aggressive, was predicting someone going to try and push him from that position just behind the shield, especially after the study shield had been taken down there, but study push doesn't end up coming through here, so he's allowed the positioning he needs to fall back deeper either into 90 or the site and make it out of there alive for the time being. Laxing still starts things out well here, though. He's going to be able to take down Crazy and bring us back on the even terms in a 4v4.
Well, halfway through the round now, they're still getting rid of utility, and this is the beauty of the 2.0 system, folks. Evil Eye on ping, fantastic. I'll just get it from beneath and not have to worry about any of your ADSs. Isn't that so cool? There you go. So that's how they do it without having to burn any of those stun grenades or anything. So you can obviously see Laxing still having stuns, Slash still having his smokes. Fox is out, but it seemed that they mostly use that to clear out that main stairs area, which is a place that you can't abuse in the exact same way due to having no soft destruction. So defense for now, just lying in wait as they're still trying to get exactly what is going on with this Oxygen squad. Last breaching round used there for Fox to create more verticality, but doesn't seem to work out too well for him. Spraying through now, but they've already gotten the bar wall open. It seemed that Mark was a little late there on the mark.
Still trying to deny entry through the primary study door there. Smoke charge going to go off just at the edge of it. Very quiet right now here for OXG as well. I'm not really moving too much, not making too much noise and trying to isolate out members. The player at the back of bar might actually get caught out if they're not careful. It's this big swing they have to watch out for. Vert starts it out. And now, waiting around the corner, he is going to have the shotgun ready to go. Isn't ready to face that challenge, though. Jarvis takes him down. We go into a 3v3. That opening, though, allowed for Slash to move in, and now he trades. Jarvis takes him down. Dream comes right back into it, though. Brings us down to a 2v2, but Slash has got the diffuser on the ground. And now time starts ticking in the other direction, and Slash battles his way out of the box with a kill on Dream. It's all on Craters. He knows exactly, or generally speaking, where Slash should be. Gets some good damage onto him, too, but he has no clue where Laxing could be at this point, unless he has intel from earlier on in the round, as Laxing has only rotated through 90. Trying to push back in, needs to put the pressure on Slash soon, because if not, Laxing's going to have the angle, and he will shut down the round in favor of Oxygen as they inch closer and closer to a win.
Masterfully done there from Oxygen. Great post plant there. You can see that Lax told Slash to slow down a little bit behind the bar. He's like, hey, I got your cross, man. Don't worry. Everything's going to be fine. Steps up into the door, holds that cross, and ends up begging Oxygen around. Very good patience there from them on the offense as well, waiting for Tempo to make the mistake. And that's exactly what happened. Mark just openly steps into the door of the vault and gets his head taken off. And that's exactly what they needed to actually get some pressure onto the site. Granted, it was traded out there with that shotgun once Vertical got taken down by the mute, but I mean, hey, that was still the entry piece that they needed. Not having an Alda to worry about when you're attacking, oh man, that just makes your heart sing.
Yeah, even with the lost trades following that up, thankfully, like, Slash was at the end of that trade trail, so OXG was still going to be in an advantageous position at the end of the day, because even with the trade happening from either the smoke or the mute that was holding the door right there, I think they knew that they were going to be able to have Slash push through the breach in the bar and pretty much get a confirmed kill or a confirmed trade onto him. So that was a pretty safe play, even with the loss of their other teammate right there.
There's so many things about that round that just went so right for both of these teams. It was very well played by both. I think that the thing for Oxygen, at least, that I would like to praise the most is that they've got things up to a point where things would get quite congested on site, and Tempo Storm wouldn't really like where they were setting, and then they just waited. They just stopped and waited. They got the pressure up to a point where Tempo's not going to feel comfortable, and they just waited for somebody to make a mistake. That was my favorite part about that entire round. They didn't feel rushed. They knew that they had the time on their side. They knew that they could execute when they wanted to. They just needed somebody to make a mistake. And again, beautifully done. Tempo Storm, great hold on the main stairs. There was so many things that went right there for them. Even going down into that last, little clutch scenario. I mean, it was still a 1v2. It was, not trending terribly into one way. So overall, great round by both teams.
Definitely the case. Now let's take a look and see if Oxygen can solidify that lead that they've just regained for themselves here at the beginning of the second half with another victory on a different site. Obviously, Tempo not feeling too confident in their ability to run that previous site back. They're going to move over to Kitchen instead and try to look for their first defensive win on this site.
Well,
quite a few members of Oxygen already trying to lurk their way in here. Specifically, we've got Vert with Mudroom control. Living Room also going to be taken here as well. Not much resistance there from Tempo. A lot of that resistance happening more so towards like Astro to prevent runouts like this from Slash, which is why we see pretty much the immediate pre-fire from him when he does swing that, since it should be very obvious to the members of Tempo that they've now taken Living Room control.
Yeah, very horizontal play here from Oxygen. They do still have one member that seems to be going to the master balcony right now. Oxygen seem to be stuck for the time being, but the beauty of this and what they're trying to do right now is it seems that a lot of the site utility that we'd regularly see, like ADSs, are placed upstairs. Tempo was ready for them to try and take this, but now that it seems to be more horizontal, this could be very, very difficult to hold down on site.
Halfway through the round now here. Quite a few members of OXG getting close to the hot zones here, but no one ready to actually take a risk on that just yet. Slash, along with Bio moving into position, they're Bio supporting Slash to make sure he can safely deploy the Selma onto the wall, and it is going to go through. Crazy, of course, trying to look to see if anyone else is looking to sneak up through the pantry stairs or is sitting outside of the window, getting ready to breach in. Not the case, though. It's only Slash and Bio making a play here. Other than that, the remaining attackers are looking to sort themselves elsewhere to find entries and, of course, get onto the site.
Oh, well, that's going to be the initial kill for the round, and all the way down at less than a minute, about 55 seconds there, Slash finally gets killed, but he's already done some hard destruction. It's not going to be the worst thing in the world. Jarvis, though, going to make things a touch more difficult as they rotate downstairs and end up catching somebody off guard. So far, this roam game from Tempo working out for them, and as well as the vertical play. Only playing Dream and Crazy on site seemed to be not the best idea initially when we saw how Oxygen was going to go about things, but right now it's looking so damn good. And even though the wall is open, all I have to worry about is the man inside a pantry, but they've already got the counterplay for that. Oh my god, Tempo all over the board in round 8. It is definitely theirs.
Tempo just with far too much control over both the site and even the extended room too. As you mentioned, a very horizontal clear coming in there for the folks on Oxygen, and the lack of upstairs clear, although we did try to see a little bit of it towards the very end of the round, just didn't lead itself to be enough, in my opinion, for them to get proper control over the site and eventually execute into it. So those individual skirmishes that were being taken by the 2 to 3 man groups from OXG, they're just getting shut down by Tempo. And once 1 or 2 of those falls, that's really the end of it.
Well, it seemed that they were getting ready for the execute. What Oxygen really wanted to do is they wanted to feint the top take, right? They utilized Ash to go over to the master balcony to keep everybody busy. All right, just let use some presents, throw some stun grenades, make it look flashy. Come on, man. When eventually Oxygen transitioned into actually going for the execute, let's get laundry control, let's open the wall, let's start transitioning and trying to get a diffuser down. They sent one of their members downstairs so that he could come up pantry stairs, and Tempo just nipped it right in the bud immediately. And that was the problem for Oxygen. They couldn't go for the execute how they wanted to because they didn't have that pantry control until much later, and obviously we saw Tempo deal with that once again. So Oxygen just didn't have every box checked that they needed to actually go for that push, and it took just a little bit too long. Very unfortunate for them, but plenty more rounds to go through.
Definitely the case, and it's going to probably stay that way here if the scoreline stays this way as well. We are tied up once again at 4-4 to both teams. Oxygen, of course, looking to close this down here. Tempo looking to take us to a third and final map to decide the series. Let's see which way it's going to go here, with a lead being given to one of these two teams at this round. Another trophy statuary hold, this time from Tempo, of course, in the operator lineup, looking to delay quite a bit. Smoke on top of the Malusi, Kaid, and Echo will add quite a bit in the way of interruptions that Oxygen are going to have to deal with in the early, mid, and late rounds. So Oxygen have to keep their wits about them. More importantly, keep watch on utilities since they don't have an IQ to avoid disaster, especially if this comes down to a low timed execute.
Well, room clear now as an Echo drone has been placed inside of the kitchen area. I don't know if or dining area, excuse me. I don't know if Slash exactly saw that, but that's a freebie. If so, I think he did because we just saw somebody shoot through the wall. But actually, no, still there. So Crazy gonna be able to keep one of his pieces of utility. That was very scary there for just a second, giving up one of those extremely crucial drones so early on.
Other one's going to be set up to deny the default plant that most teams end up going for. So once again, that's that late round issue that I was talking about before. Slash's drone just running by one of Crazy's yokais there, so if it rolls back, it might be able to catch that, but at the same time, Creators could just catch the drone itself here, and he kind of lost the scent, so not too much of a reason for him to continue pursuing that, other than getting the general area of where it might have gone. Foxay will start to enter the building here now, too, through Laundry, working his way in, looking to clear out the kitchen area. And thankfully for him, he's not going to find too much resistance in this department, as Tempo have chosen not to defend it much. Most of their defense is focused immediately upstairs or on the Astro stairs, or of course on the extended room in the case of Creators here, over towards top red.
Well, it's going to be a master take for Oxygen, but Tempo's good for it. You can see most of their utility is set up to be taken from this side. They have the shield set up to watch split. There's a lot of positive things here for Tempo Storm to lean on to make it difficult for Oxygen to win this round, but we've seen him do it before. We'll have to see if they can possibly do it again. Shifted those Echo drones back to site as well to be able to help with some of that intel game. Lots of intel here for Slashlight, but he ends up getting taken down by Mark. Mark just swings Master Door from Concrete, gets a kill, and then dips right into Laundry. He's gone with the win, folks. Jarvis is going to get one as well, and now Oxygen don't really have anything to go with. It's a 3 versus 5, and they have to try and collapse.
I think Slash initially had support so that he would be safe to get on drone there, but if it was Bio, and I don't know if it was him, it looks like he went outside and got on drone himself, and that allowed for the swing to happen from Mark, more than likely through the Master Door, because I knew a player was positioned on that earlier on in the round. Either way, Tempo's going to continue to push their advantage even further here, as yet another kill is picked up by them. Bio takes some heat from below here, and it's going to get even hotter as, unfortunately, the shots ring through the Maverick hole there. It's going to take him into a down state, leaving really only Foxay in this fight. There's not much of a hope of getting Bio back into it right now. Fox is going to have to bring out a miracle, and unfortunately, with only 5 seconds, it's just not going to happen. This should be a lead to Tempo, and indeed, it will be the case at 5-4.
Great round there by Tempo Storm, slowing down Oxygen once again. As we said before, the entire site was set up for this take. You guys can see from the way that they're placing their shields, you know, ADSs, yada yada yada, that they wanted Oxygen to take from the Master side, and it was a very nice defense that they had. But it was really those initial picks, and some picks that shouldn't even happen, just like we were talking about. We're trying to figure out how in the hell Mark swings a door that you shouldn't be able to swing, gets a kill, and then just leaves. He just left. That's not supposed to happen, and it sure as hell did. So for Oxygen, I don't really know what to say. I assume that somebody was going to be watching the concrete door, and I think that you're right. And what your guesstimation was there, John, I think that Bio fell off the door to go drone himself and get some more intel on the site, because they were definitely in need of it, right? But
that's the only part of that picture that I'm like not 100% on, because I'm other than that, I'm like 90% sure it was Mark who was on that door like you know, a good 20 or 30 seconds before even Slash gets on his drone, and then eventually just had the opportunity to swing when whoever was with Slash, if there was someone, decided to go away.
Yeah, either way, Mark, that was the play of the century right there, at least for Villa. That's what needed to happen. You won your team the entire round. They really didn't have anything to stand on after that. You killed one of the most important people on the entire map.
All right, guys, well, into another round. Tempo now getting closer to triggering that map 3 on Cafe, which is going to be very interesting to see how they play. That one, I know you were very excited to get into that one, Stokes, if we ended up going the distance, and that's starting to become more and more of a possibility here, so we shall see. Oxygen has got to come together strong here, try and rally themselves for the next 3 rounds if they want to end this in regulation.
Yeah, well, in other news, I'm really sorry that you just lost to the Dallas Stars. So that
dude. They had a 2-0 lead as well. That was the worst part. Oh my god. That was the same way they got eliminated last year. I'm so upset right now. I just wanted to vent for a second. But anyway, let's get back.
I'm laughing straight to the bank with this as a Blackhawks fan.
They literally lost
man.
The Sharks the same way last year, man. I can't.
I had you guys pegged as the winners, man. I really did. I thought you were going to take it all, and then Dallas.
That's a different sport.
Yeah, that's a different thing. That's hockey. That's Jesse talk. Apologies for that. Anyways, back to things that actually matter, like Rainbow Six Siege and the fact that Tempo is ahead of Oxygen right now, 5-4 inside of round 10. Drones now out for Oxygen is they're going for the master side take. We still have some presence over on statue, but that's exactly what you need. Slash's job here is to just play around the statue balcony as well as the window and make sure that Tempo can't rotate through there and hold down steady to contest the bus door or really rotate anywhere around that area to begin with. So plays a drone inside of there, hangs out for the time being while Oxygen gets the rest of the work done on the other end of the map.
I'm going to do a little bit of drone work over towards the 90 angle here, trying to see if there is an active defense from Tempo. Won't find much, other than little bits of utility, so just has to be careful of potentially Jarvis or Dream playing on the angle by the doorway once again. Other than that, though, Bio's going to be able to move in, have himself some free reign. He does have to pull back, though, as it looks like there was a Nitro, so I don't know if it was set in his direction, but from the panicked run we saw from him, might have been the case.
Well, slow and steady here, as we've expected. Clear's been going well for Oxygen. They've worked their way up to red here. They still need 90 control, though, and to get some hard destruction going on. It seems Slash obviously still sitting over at Statue. I don't know exactly what they're going to want to use those Selma charges for. If this could possibly be a vault door plant or what have you, we'll have to wait and see. But they have the utility in the proper spots, but that's going to be a big problem now as Vertical's been taken out. That's one of the entry fraggers. Currently on equal footing with his KDA. So now Tempo just has to wait and see exactly how Oxygen responds to this. They've done the dirty work. They've gotten the initial kill. Now it's all down to that patience once again.
37 seconds remaining here. Slash, he had an angle there for a second, it looks like, but not going to end up being the case. That or he was just taking out the barricade. Anyway, looked like it lined up for a second there. Bio's going to start to move forward, get himself that much closer to the study door. You have some pings trying to work their way in there as they are trying to get access to the opening on this wall, but it seems there's something on the other side interfering with it. Another swing from Bio with the diffuser too, so Tempo now knows that they've dropped that. Jarvis picks up the next kill as Foxy goes down, and things for Oxygen continue to get worse and worse and worse here, unfortunately. Dream with one more on the counter. It's a flawless round for Tempo as they are now that much closer to the map 3.
Just a beautiful, beautiful round there from Tempo Storm, and the biggest thing is how they dealt with statuary there. You guys can see the amount of lines of sight that they had once they, that soft wall eventually got full on destroyed. There was just so many rounds that passed through that thing. It was just tarnished, right? So once you were able to actually see exactly the angles that they were holding, there was just so many areas for Tempo to actually combat back towards Oxygen when they were trying to take that site, that there was really no way that Oxygen was going to get through that in such a low timer as well. They weren't able to get the hard destruction done like they wanted to. That was some really good utility usage there from Tempo Storm with that mute jammer being placed on that single reinforcement. It really seemed as though that single reinforcement was the whole thing that stopped Oxygen from doing anything that they wanted to do. We saw the Maverick step up, try and get rid of that utility with a frag grenade, but just nothing at all could possibly stop Tempo from winning that round. So now we're on to map point, possible map 3 here if Tempo can actually pick up their last round, but that's the big question. Can Oxygen stop them? Can they link two of these offenses together?
It's the slow bleed of their player count that happens in the mid round is probably the biggest thing coming against them right now, because too many rounds in a row now we've looked at Oxygen just trying to execute with like one or two players remaining against 4 or 5 of the other team. You just talked about this as well, but Oxygen constantly losing players to either the roam clear or trying to set up utility. It's become a real issue for them here on this map here, and it's one of the main reasons why Tempo is getting themselves in such good positions to shut down the rounds.
I don't know why things are so damn risky either. That's the thing for me so far. I haven't been able to really see where the big kills have been happening. You know what I mean? To really be able to dictate. Oh, okay, so this is what's happening. You know? So for right now, it just seems that Oxygen, when they are, getting adjusted to what they need to be doing at that certain marker inside of the round, they're losing people as they do so. I think that's the main thing. When they're in that transition phase, somebody just oversteps a little bit too far and Tempo's there lying in wait.
Well, let's see if they can avoid that issue this time. They are going to be going up against the kitchen defense once again from Tempo as they'll look to shut it down here. Tempo had some very convincing rounds on these sites, so it's not looking good for Oxygen, but at the same time, Oxygen is a very high-level team and definitely has some tricks up their sleeve if they want to try and use them here. Just burning out one of the ADSs, of course, by chucking those flashbangs in, as you'll hear the noise from the ADS itself eating them. Foxy in a very delicate spot. He's going to call for some help from his teammate around the corner, and thankfully that allows for him to rotate towards safer ground. But nonetheless, Mark gets away with that and knocks off a good 60 or so HP from Foxy.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things that like you and I have been touching on a little bit, is like, obviously Fox is trying to get this initial kill here, but he's taking quite a bit of damage because Tempo's ready for them to be around this bench / wolf area here at the top of red stairs. So they hold a nice cross. He has to play that center piece of concrete so that he doesn't get lit up, but he still takes quite a bit of damage, doesn't get killed, but that damage means that his gunfights are not going to be the same for the rest of the map. And there's Tempo leaving site, well, not sighted exactly, leaving the upstairs area for free and backing off. Oxygen now either needs to drone this out or get some presence in there as they work their way closer and closer. Drone now in, have full top control, but only a minute and 10 seconds left. Great roam here from Tempo Storm.
He said a little over a minute remaining here for OXG. They're being a lot more cautious this time. That I can tell you for certain, well, at least up until that point. Creators is going to be able to get away with one on Laxing. I believe closer towards Astro Stairs is where that goes down. Foxy still at under 50, so he can't really get aggressive here right now. Dream and a few of the other players already with like pre-placed C4s as well. They're getting ready for the XU. They know it's going to have to come soon here, just out of desperation, since Oxygen is not really in a great position to try and force the issue, but they also don't really have the luxury of time at this point either. They're trying to set themselves up. Vert rotating down now, but he also still has Jarvis to watch out for on the basement stairs immediately to his left. That swing should come any moment. And on top of that, oh, maybe they weren't ready for it. I'd say, never mind, I'm going to take everything back. Mark just takes the fight on Vert. I don't even know if he was aware that Vert was there, but wins the fight anyway. Comes out on top of that one, yes, with low HP. He's gotten the job done. Already knows the position of one other player from Oxygen that's going to be trying to push in. Oxygen now to try and come back from a 3v5 here. Foxay with a good find. That's a free opening against Dream, and at least a start. But are they going to be able to get the diffuser in sight in time?
Oh man, the one-way smoke. I didn't think that we were going to see something like that, but that's what we're going to see. Some cross-game things going on. Diffuser now down as Tempo Storm's all over it. Slash somehow makes it out. I don't even know how the hell that happened, but he's still alive. He has a pistol in his hand. This is actually clutchable. Can he possibly win it? He dips back and forth, gets down onto the one. Oh no, it's all up to Crazy, but he can't win it. Oh my! Crazy literally has 1 HP, folks. Any gun kills him right now. He's less than 25 and he wins that round. Slash should have never had a chance in hell. That was insanity. I don't even know how that happened, but Tempo won and we're going to Cafe.
So close for Slash to clutch that one out and try to bring it to OT, but he's just an inch or so away, and unfortunately is not able to get the damage necessary in order to close that one out. So Tempo do indeed have some game to show us when it comes to their Villa play, and it seems other teams were right to leave that map banned. It's going to be going in their favor. The series is now going to be tied up at 1-1, and we have a game on our hands here, folks, as we're going to Cafe to settle this one and decide who's going to be moving forward and who's going to be getting knocked down.
Should be a lot of fun. Super excited for Cafe between these two teams, that it has a smorgasbord of Siege goodness for us to, you know, take in, watch, eat. However you take in your Siege. I don't personally eat mine. I like to watch it, but hey, that's just me.
All right, folks. Well, map number 3 is going to be right around the corner. Before we get to that, though, we are going to send it over to our analysis desk in order to break things down on this very exciting map number 2 and get us ready for the final map. Let's send it over to them.
Thanks so much, Blue and Stokes, and great job casting as always. And Tempo taking it on Villa. This was a back and forth battle, and you saw that team camera at the end, and Dream was just clapping. I cannot get enough of that boy clapping. Like, seriously, like, please show that camera as much as possible. But he definitely had a reason to be clapping. Veli, you just said this to me a couple minutes ago. This is a new Tempo.
Uh-huh. Yes, I didn't even know you heard me say that, but yes. So we saw Crazy go 5-1 within the first 2 rounds. Is absolutely insane, yeah. Right? I really like the fact that he has fully embraced Ace as well. You got the AK in his hands, and it has a lot more power than Thermite would have, and a lot more rounds than you can find with Habana. So for those of you that are tuning in, you're pretty new to Rainbow Six Siege. Ace is our newest hard breacher, and we've seen a lot of his work, especially in Steady, trying to get that wall open from Crazy. So I love how Crazy's been playing. Jarvis has been solid. Jarvis has been a rock. Whether he's coming up on the flank, making plays, whatever, you might have it. He's great. Mark is way more consistent than what we saw on stage 1. Creators and Dream, though, they've stole my heart. They steal the show when it comes to Tempo Storm. But the one thing I really wanted to say ultimately to bring that all together is that with the coaching staff, Kins, and also Rams, and just looking at their play style, you see a more methodical way of thinking. When Sloppy was on the team, like I said before, no disrespect to Sloppy, they looked pretty sloppy. They were reckless when it came to play style. They were all over the place. And I believe we saw them play Villa about 2 to 3 times, and it just did not look like this. I love this Tempo roster, and I'm happy that they took this to a 3rd map.
Yeah, and I want to even loop back around. Sorry, just to talk about
long-winded, I'm sorry.
The Ace. being played by Crazy. Because I saw even on Theme Park, Crazy was like entering on Ace because he's got such a good weapon. It's like, well, that's your hard destructor, but also it was working a lot of the time. So I think he's been a really good showcase of that operator. Obviously, it was banned in our first best of 3 in both maps. I think I would really like to see Auction start to ban Ace in map 3, and then future teams against Tempo Storm as well, because it seems like Crazy's just really having a good time with it. And Slash was honestly favoring Habana, it seemed like, more often than not, particularly on Theme Park. So yeah, I don't know. I think that should be an obvious ban for Auction next map.
Veli, I saw you shaking your head. What are you thinking?
I don't want no one to ban Ace. Ban Malusi, get her out of here. But when it comes to my baby Ace, keep him in game.
Oh, Lord.
I love Ace, though. Amazing gun, utilities off the chain. Whew.
Thank you for expressing your Ace fandom there, but we'll bring it back to Tempo. I definitely want to talk about Tempo some more. Jesse, we were chatting earlier about how on the first map they seemed a little bit hesitant. This was Jarvis's debut, and it wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't bad. But it looks like they came with confidence on this second map, and you really felt like they loosened up and were making the right gambles.
Yeah, Tempo Storm weren't afraid to swing. The first defense on that first map, right, they had a little bit of passiveness to them, and it was working in a lot of rounds. They were denying a lot of time. Auction were going pretty slow, and it was winning them a couple of rounds. But here on Villa, they were like, you know what? We're just going to swing on you, and we're going to find those moments. I think Mark swinging into the master bedroom was the perfect example of that. The guy's on drone, right? Whoever's supposed to be watching him has left. So you capitalize off of that. You recognize those moments, and you really go for it. And it's really nice to see that Tempo Storm weren't afraid of that. I do think it kind of got in the head of Oxygen as well, because Oxygen, towards the end of that match, I mean, they were not really playing as coordinated as I thought they were earlier today. It's also, it's late. There were a lot of issues with the servers and everything. So combine that with Tempo Storm getting a little bit more aggressive, and I think we did see it affect Auction Esports in the mental game a little bit more than maybe they would have liked to.
That's interesting that you pointed that out. I actually wanted to pivot to OXG and talk a little bit about what happened there. I mean, this was a neck-and-neck battle, and then they just couldn't secure the win. Veli, what do you think went wrong with OXG here? I mean, we just heard Jesse saying, maybe the server issues got to them. Maybe they're feeling pressure. I don't know. What do you think happened there?
I mean, I think it would be right to say that OXG, they played okay, but they weren't terrible. I mean, yeah, Bio Foxe had a bad game, but like I said earlier during the Dark Zero thing, I think Tempo Storm was just a better team overall. One thing I will say, though, definitely some positives for Oxygen. I really, really liked Laxing and Vertical. Laxing with his rat spots once again. You learn something new every time you watch him, right, Jackie?
Oh my gosh.
But to me, it's gonna be, it's definitely gonna be Vertical for me. Vertical was phenomenal, especially earlier on in the game. For an Oxygen team that starts slow, that's when you start to expect them to lose rounds. Maps. But it was Vertical that kept that hope alive, right? Like, it was looking ugly early, too. Yeah. But Vertical, recent memory, I'm thinking of him on Red Stairs getting a 2K, almost 3, especially when they knew that he was there. But then it's not just the fact that he's getting kills, it's who he's killing. He's killing both of your entry fraggers, Ash and Zofia. That's big. Get Dreaming Creators out of there and continue helping your team win, and he was just so damn good with that. Next map, Look at some of Oxygen's losses. When you see stat lines that are similar to what we saw just then, it's trouble. I really hope that all of them really wake up next map, because if that happens again, it's going to be an out.
Okay, and talking about map 3, what are we thinking for predictions now? I mean, we're going to a map 3 here. I don't know. I'm still kind of split on this. Veli, I'm going to start with you this time. What are you thinking?
Oxygen, baby. Oxygen all the way. The boys are handsome. They look like they want to win this series. But the new look Tempo, definitely a force to be reckoned with.
Okay, and Jesse, what are you thinking?
I think the stats are kind of funny on Cafe between these two teams, because in Season 11, it was a really good map. For Tempo Storm, it was their best map. Oxygen Esports played really terribly on this map in Pro League Season 11. They lost it 3 times, and those were their only 3 plays on it. Coming into stage 1 of the NAL, though, I mean, it was a 2-0 for the record. Best map probably of the stage for Oxygen, and then it wasn't played at all for Tempo Storm other than one time, which they did lose. So it's kind of up in the air, but I think the recent history is a lot more valid than Pro League Season 11 stats, so I definitely am going to favor Oxygen. Your primary path to victories for Tempo Storm is to continue getting in their heads, and there's a way to win this matchup, but definitely I think Oxygen Esports should be favored to close the series 2-1.
So Tempo taking map 2, definitely looking strong, but both of you leaning more towards OXG. So let's get to map 3 and see if OXG can pull this off. We'll be back in just a little bit, right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back once again, folks. It is time for the third and final map of what has been a very exciting series so far here between Oxygen and Tempo Storm. Oxygen with solid control of the first map. The second map, not so much, and Tempo rounded it back on Villa to take control there. So now we're getting ready to go on to Cafe for our third and final confrontation between these two teams. The only question remaining here, Stokes, is who's going to take it?
Oh, that's a hard question. That's a really, really hard question.
Through the curveball,
you really did there. I thought we were going into other pastures, but we're not. So if I had to call it right now, personally speaking, I think Tempo's taking it. And that's really just based off of how Oxygen played the last map and handled things on the offensive side. Cafe is a very, very unforgiving thing. It's something where if you mess up even the slightest thing inside of your utility usage, you're probably going to end up losing the round because of it. It's not very forgiving, especially with Wamai on the board. So I'm assuming that we're probably going to get a Wamai ban here, and that's going to open up the playbook a little bit for both of these teams. But I think Tempo ends up edging them out. We'll have to see exactly how things go down because, as you know, especially with Oxygen, at any moment in time, they can light up the scoreboard.
Yeah, the problem is the opposite can also happen too. And we are going live, by the way, folks. We'll be getting into the bans here in just a second. And that's my worry, and that's why my prediction is primarily going to be based on what happens in the first couple of rounds here. If we see Oxygen getting off to a good start, then I think that there's a very good chance that they just sweep through that and are able to take control. Now, however, on the opposite of that spectrum, I think that if Tempo comes in here and starts off firing on all cylinders from the attacking side, then I think that there is a really, really good chance we see Oxygen just get completely shut down on this one as well. Oxygen is a very momentum-based team, in my opinion, and we saw evidence of that in that previous map. As further we got into that matchup, the closer we got to Tempo winning, it just seemed like Oxygen were really starting to kind of fall to pieces there. So you can't really get that into that mindset once again, because if that same thing ends up happening, I feel like we're going to end up with the same situation where Tempo will just look to shut things down as quickly as possible and knock the members of Oxygen out piece by piece. A strategy that worked very well on the previous map. Bans are going on, though, and we're going to have, well, the usual, at least for the last patch, the usual bans coming out here is Thatcher and Maverick going to be eliminated.
Yeah, that means Ace is going to be up on the board, and he's a pretty dangerous character. We've talked about him a little bit throughout the day, but if we haven't, there's that Wamai ban that we were talking about earlier. But if we haven't, or if you guys have just joined in on the broadcast, we'll talk about him a little bit now for you guys. He offers 3 hard breach pieces of utility, and they're called Selma charges. They're actually really, really good, and you can activate them all at the same time. It's a simple toss. They have their own self-detonation, so right when it hits the wall, it immediately starts going to work. So things like Consulate's Garage and, things that are like a triple wall, he can destroy all of it damn near at the same time. It's a very scary thing, especially when you're a site player. Valkyrie's going to be our last ban here on Cafe as we now jump into things.
Yeah, Valcams can be hidden quite well on this map, so just another operator you don't want to have to deal with, especially with IQ not necessarily coming into the mix super often so far in this series. Doesn't really seem like an operator that either team wants to have to bring, so now we're going to try and avoid that issue by knocking out the Valkyrie and hopefully avoiding it a little bit there.
Well, it shouldn't be, too irregular waters for either of these teams, as both of them have been starting on their respective sides all day today. Tempo's been on offense to start the map every single time, and, obviously, due to reducing everything, Oxygen was on the defensive side the entire time. So Vert 6-picking away from the Doc, picking up the Alibi. Not a bad 6-pick at all. Doc is an operator that can obviously heal his teammates. Doesn't really offer that much utility outside of that. But Alibi, Alibi, she offers quite a bit, especially a deployable shield. That's exactly why Vertical and the rest of OXG will be bringing her. They're bringing her for that shield. More than likely going to be placed inside of Pixel, but she also offers those prismas that can get you a little bit more info.
All right, folks, we'll take a look at the setup here. Everything looking pretty standard so far for the third floor hold here on Oxygen. Not too much in terms of a varied strat that teams bring to the table when it comes to holding the site. It's usually a very similar formula from team to team, and it looks like that's exactly what we're going to get here. The walls going west and east will be reinforced on the inside of freezer and bathroom, but the north to south walls will be left soft so that we can have a rotation opened up for the defenders that need to get into a safer position and eventually through the other west to east wall that goes into the hallway back into the safety of Cocktail, should that be necessary.
Well, pretty nice setup here for Oxygen. They're going to put the other shield inside of the deep freeze door. Also have Fox 8 play downstairs with some reinforcements of his own. And reasoning for that is that Fox 8 downstairs' Kaid can actually Electro Claw the freezer walls through verticality. It's a very unique thing, especially when Thatcher's off the board. This is very difficult to deal with. They have to go downstairs and deal with Fox 8. Otherwise, they can't get any of these walls inside of Christmas open.
See a bit of a slow start to the round here for Tempo. Definitely doing some exploring here before they try to commit themselves to anything. Creator seemed like he was messing around over on the second floor, although I don't know if he actually went to the inside. I thought I saw him on red stairs for a second, but don't necessarily know if that was true. Either way, kept himself in safe positioning to make sure that no one from Oxygen was going to be able to get an early kill off against the Ash from Tempo there. And now you're going to have quite a few more players jumping on Repel. Looks like the upside down Repel pressure is going to start to work its way in onto the piano windows. That'll put some pressure onto players like Vert. Vert may actually have to deal with two as well here. They're just burning out the ADSs at the moment. Trying to make sure that he has no support in the event. They want to try to chuck a frag back there to take out the barricade first, obviously. And if luck should prevail, vertical as well.
Yeah, Vert still has an ADS, and now he's bagged himself a kill as well. It's going to be Dream off of the ticket window, and Jarvis is going to pick up the mantle. So, finally clearing out that utility. Vertical's going to scamper off down White Hallway as Tempo Storm has finally gotten Christmas control. But as we referenced earlier, that is not nearly at all what they need. Downstairs is exactly what they need to handle right now. Fox 8 with these Electro Claws has locked down this entire wall, and that means that there's a lot of safe areas for these defensive players to maintain control of and stop these plants from happening. Granted, if they did get some site control, they can just cut off Fox, say, rotating back upstairs with Laxing. So there is still some options here for Tempo Storm. We'll have to see what they go with.
Tempo looking to try and get some control here, but the problem is away from Piano and there's the top red area like Cigar. They haven't really been able to bargain for much in the round at this point, and I don't see any players in, clutch positions that are going to come in late round to try and change that up for them. They are very much going to have to push into the brunt of the entire Oxygen force here. And all five of them are still up, standing strong. Slash is the only one that's even taking any damage at this point. Despite all those issues, they are still able to try and go for a plant here. Crazy's going to be unfortunately denied, though, as Slash gets a bit closer to him, but a nice attempt from Tempo. It will be for naught, though, as Creator is left as the last man standing in a 1v5, eventually isolated out there by Slash. Oxygen take a convincing round number one here, flawless, in fact, as they take the lead.
You just missed the entire buck there. The entire shot went right behind the thing that they were trying to hit, which is very unfortunate. But Tempo did start off, the usual way that we see teams start off on Cafe. Hey, we need Christmas control. Start working on either trash wall or trying to get control of the White Hallway. It just obviously depends. But this time around, they had to worry about that mid-level, which they just were not ready for. They really didn't drone at anybody downstairs. Laxing and Fox had probably one of the calmest rounds that they've had throughout this entire series so far. They kind of just sat on their hands and really didn't have to do too much. Eventually, Laxing rotates back upstairs and helps his team with a flawless round. Tempo Storm is the team that needs to pick up things right now, because otherwise I don't really see them making it out of the woods. They really need to get some rounds here on the offense, at least the two that we're used to.
All right, folks. Well, just around the usual rotations here now for Oxygen. With some more unorthodox picks, I guess you could say, back over on Villa, but they're following the usual trends here, as most teams often do on Cafe right now, as they're going to move down into Kitchen, their second site. So a little bit of a different play style. Obviously, quite a bit of anchoring to be done within the site. A lot of denial focus as well here on top of trying to maintain some second and third floor control as long as possible. And we'll see that all unfold over the next 3 minutes and 10 seconds here. This Tempo is going to be spawning in just a sec.
5 seconds to go.
All right, well, I'm excited to see how Tempo's going to handle Kitchen. This is usually something that we see taken from the top down clear. Sometimes we can see, obviously, some pushes inside of Bakery. Every team's got a little bit of a different mixture here. But for OXG, they've definitely set up for the roam. And I'm trying to see if the freezer hatch has popped here. It looks to be soft right now. So soft for the time being on this extended roam for OXG. The reason I was checking that, folks, is because we've seen a few rosters, most notably BDS, has a strat where they roam on Cafe on that mid-level and then all drop down the freezer hatch after they delayed a crazy ton of time. So obviously, since Foxay is mute, he can always just shotgun that open for them. Looking here now, Malusi's already used her impacts as well, so it does seem that Foxay could be the saving grace to pop that hatch. What's up?
Pretty sure they also have one of the freezer walls half reinforced too, just for people who are curious about that. I might have seen that
no,
wrong,
they do. They do. But that's because Laxing's playing in that white area, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So that's allowing for Laxing to have some room to fall back there if the need arises, on top of just allowing anybody behind that to get a good angle against a White Stairs push, should we see that from Tempo. Minute gone from the round here. Oh, and we are going to see the first kill. This time it's Creators, though. More than likely on that Ash. Yes, indeed. And it's going to be able to knock out Vert over here at the 3rd to 2nd floor transition on White Stairs.
Unfortunate for him, but Oxygen's still going to stick to their guns as Laxing is slowly falling off of White Stairs. Nothing just yet. Waiting for somebody to hop over and make the critical mistake here. Drones go down, but nothing down White Stairs just yet. And there it is. Finally finding Laxing on the mid-White Stairs. We'll rotate back down to site. Decent roam game here from Oxygen, but losing quite the member indeed. Foxay going to fall off as well after Slash takes a little bit of damage. Setting up for holding down the dining door, actually, is Fox. So this could be a little tricky here for Tempo Storm if they're not exactly ready for it as they start at the verticality.
Some of the stun charges coming in from the lifeline there on Dream, but not going to impact onto much, since things have been abandoned. It takes Tempo a couple extra seconds to realize that their drone was not in position at the same time the charges went in. So now, of course, very obviously realizing it, they are going to start to stack up over on the top of that hatch. They do want to try and do a little bit of soft destruction in the area around it first, just to make sure that there's no surprises waiting on the bottom so they can try to get as much intel as possible. Drone's going to help them out with that task as well. A lot of pre-placed soft destruction now being done here from Tempo. They don't have a whole lot of time, so this is going to be an all-in-one execute here. If this fails, that's the end of the round for them, as not only will they probably not have enough time left to do anything if it fails, but one of the man count either. Foxy's going to be pressured first, tries to swing, but gets denied by Dream. Another advantage going over to Tempo, and they're still standing 5 strong, down to 3. Scratch that, 2 for OXG, as Slash will be caught out in the kitchen, as will Bio. Everything falls to Laxing. He can't get it done either. Tempo respond to the first loss with a flawless round here in the kitchen attack, and are going to be able to tie us up at 1-1.
2 flawless rounds in a row by their respective teams. Very, very cool stuff, actually. I didn't even think Temple was going to be able to pull that off. It just a very... How to even put this? They just caught OXG off on timing. Like, Oxygen was
really
not ready.
Slow reactions. Some really slow reactions, it seemed like, they're from OXG, most notably from like Slash, and as well Fox, I think, had some possible timing issues on trying to take the fight. He might have just misheard the sound cues or something like that. There's a lot of things that could have gone on. We were looking at it from top down, so we didn't get the best picture of it, but yeah, things unfortunately in the site for OXG fell apart really quickly, and that just compounded it for Tempo to allow them to get so much control so quickly, despite the kind of lack of time they had.
Yeah, I think that's exactly why we're going to see a line change here from Oxygen. Get rid of the Bandit, pick up the Kaid. Might try and lock down the hatches here, which I think is a good idea. Only because Tempo really had a dog in that fight, just because they could flood the site from that freezer hatch. That was the only reason that they ended up winning that entire round. Oxygen wasn't ready for it because they thought that Tempo was going to stick to the verticality. They saw that obviously Sledge was still doing some work over in, the K1, K2 area. There was still some areas that Tempo needed to worry about. But instead, they just said, screw that. We'll just flood the site. And it worked very, very well. Caught Oxygen completely off guard. Foxay just swings freezer door and gets immediately killed. And then they have bunker control. It's one of the safest places to plant in the entire map. So, I mean, for Tempo, that was the saving grace that they needed, was that hatch to be open.
So usual reinforcements still going to go down onto the ground here. And it looks like we definitely had the hatch get reinforced this time around here, judging from the debris on the floor. So definitely not going to take a chance on leaving that one this time around here. That does mean that Oxygen wants to be a little bit careful with their roaming position. It looks like they've just kind of done more of a horizontal roam instead of a vertical roam here. As you can see, there's players trying to hold, like Foxay, for instance, is going to try and deny presence on this specific hallway, and he can do that pretty well from the smoke as long as he doesn't get caught from the other end.
All right, well, it looks to be a top-down clear once again for Tempo Storm, as everybody has gotten to the roof. Mark's working on the hatches, and we will begin the clear. Last time around, though, we saw Oxygen holding down this mid-floor. Tempo Not very many early drones. There's only been one that's been eliminated. That's been creators. So it could have possibly been trying to see exactly what was going on early game, seeing if there was any, roaming going on. Got that drone killed. So now they got to go for the full clear here. They don't have any prior intel. So pick up that drone, start clearing down towards the mid-level. So far, so good for Tempo Storm. It's just a big waiting game right now for Oxygen as Tempo clears out half the map.
Mark, of course, be cautious here as he clears out some of the easy hatches on the 3rd floor, the free ones anyway. Not going to find much sitting below them, though, because like I said before, it's much more of a horizontal roam this time from Oxygen. They're not too focused on trying to deny the top clear that's currently coming out from Tempo. Oh, a little bit of self-damage. Thankfully, it's only like 5 or 6 HP, I think, so... Actually, it's more like 10. Never mind. So that does hit pretty hard.
Those things can kill you. I think that the scariest thing about breaching charges now is that they can stun you if you're under them when they use those breaching charges. And it's a very, very scary thing because I'm still not used to it to this day. So when it happens to me, I'm like, what did I just get hit with? I have no idea what just happened. And they can also kill you. If you get breaching charged above you twice, they can actually kill you with the... oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the system name. Not projectile. What's the thing? The thing. Shrapnel
Debris?
system. There we go.
Shrapnel,
You're not helping me, John. Dang it. It's my first day back too. All right.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. Less than a minute now, though, as creators worked his way down white, but still plenty of Oxygen members to worry about, as John was previously stating. Lots of horizontal play here.
Yeah, this is going to be the biggest test here. But the good news is they have the angle and a freezer open. They just don't know what's on the other side of it. Bio's doing some crazy run out, by the way. I don't know what was going on with him. He was out in the open for a good 5 or 6 seconds. He gets denied. It's a sea of blue yet again. Tempo getting all the kills. 4 just in the last few seconds. Laxing at least gets 1 trade for himself. Let's make it 2 as he takes out Jarvis. But he's got a lot more work to do. Still 3 more players alive. He's already onto his pistol. He's going to swing it 2. Gets another one. Let's make it 4. Laxing, what are you doing right now? He's going to try and clutch this. The only hard part of this is he needs to realize that Mark is still above him, but the good news is he's denied the plant. He can play this on time now and just let it run out, and that's exactly what he's not going to have to do as he comes in, shuts Mark down on the drop, and gets the ace on top of it. Amazing play from Laxing.
Laxing, you absolute rat. Who in their right mind swings that with a pistol? You do. You swing it with a pistol, and you win it. That was so impressive. Oh, man. Creators. What are you doing, buddy? Like, you gotta pay attention, man. I don't know. I'm gonna assume he didn't hear him. I don't think that he got the audio cue that Laxing came through kitchen double, and that's just so unfortunate for him. Creators caught off guard by just looking at the wrong angle, and he ends up winning out that entire situation on not only minimal HP but with a pistol.
Laxing typing in chat, I was indeed John Wick during that round. So. Some beautiful stuff from him right there. Laxing is feeling himself right now. That is for sure.
Hey, man, listen, he can say whatever he wants now. He's earned that. I don't give a damn. That man, that was some very, very impressive stuff.
That was
yeah,
crazy
to make it even more impressive for the guys that are wondering, like, oh well, he just got the kills and killed the guy that was watching the planner. That's not that big of a deal. Did you guys see the execute from Tempo? They were it was like cockroaches. They were just everywhere. They were all over the site. It was truly impressive what they were able to pull off there, especially with the members still inside of VIP. I mean, Tempo practically just walked into freezer, got all of the kills on site, and started trying to put a diffuser down. And then Laxing just, wakes up the ancient inside of himself and kills the entire team like it's nothing. So I don't know where that Laxing's been, but they definitely need him now. I can tell you that.
I mean, let's be real. Like, he's been trying to make plays like that before. It just hasn't really been working out for him when he's usually tried to do it so far in this series. That was the first time we've seen it come into full light, where it's gotten him like the outright ace and the full-on comeback in the round as well. Beautiful stuff from him, finally paying off. Definitely a huge missed opportunity for Tempo, of course. I think Creators, just to go back to like his kill, because that was obviously the most pivotal one in that situation there. That's what allowed him to open up the actual clutch potential. I may have missed all, but I was looking at the replay for a second. Like, he might have been pre-firing it there. That might have been how he got away with the audio cue, but I'm not 100% on that. So that's one we're definitely gonna have to watch the VOD for and see what exactly went down there.
Yeah, I don't think Tempo is watching the VOD on that one. That one was a little rough there. Well, Oxygen once again with this mid-level setup. is going to be the top floor once again, but this time they're not bringing the Electroclaws, folks. Oh, no, no, no. We have 3 armors on the board. We have Mira, Maestro, and Echo all set up. So haven't seen exactly where these Evil Eyes are just yet. Do have some burn here on Pixel, in which Creators is in control of. Doesn't seem to have anybody close to him either. And since Mutant Smoke aren't on the board, not going to have to worry about getting swung with an M590. That gun is quite scary in those instances.
You can see here now, Foxay gonna get a little tricky with the angle, jumping up on top of one of the cocktail bars, looking for an opportunity to snag one there, but not gonna happen so easily, of course. It's all about patience here right now. Away from that, already getting pretty low on the timer here as well in the round itself. Moving ourselves through this one very, very quickly. Tempo needs to get into position here soon, but thankfully doing that is not necessarily the hard part. The hard part is transitioning that position closer into the site, which is the problem they're having right now, trying to work their way through areas like the bathroom and be able to either get out onto the main bar or swing over towards
this is huge.
They prioritize main bar before. Oh, man. Nice denial there from Vert.
I honestly didn't think that he was going to win that. I didn't think Vert would be ready.
Yeah, I didn't think either.
That's why I was like, oh, this is huge. Oh, yeah, and it was definitely not huge. That was definitely a very nice kill there by Vert. Now, Foxay moving up wide. Vert's called for that. A little bit of assistance. See if he can possibly hold this down any longer. Loving this setup here for Oxygen. They've thrown every curveball they possibly can at Tempo Storm, and it is slowing them down so much. Foxay going to hop out of White Stairs. Gets taken down, but it's more of a delay factor more than anything because, Mark, the rest of your teammates are dying inside a site, and someone else has hopped outside, and it's going to be the rat himself, laxing. Might as well follow it up twice. They're never ready for the, 1-2 buckle my shoe. So, Oxygen going to lock things up. That's 3 rounds for them now on the defensive side of Cafe.
And again, this type of play is going to start to get frustrating for Tempo Storm to play against too. Thankfully for them, they only have to deal with it for 2 more rounds. But this is what I was talking about with the momentum-based play that we often see from OXG. After a play like that, they know the Tempo are going to be very afraid right now, and overall are going to be a little bit discouraged. Right at the end of the day, you just lost I think it was an outright 1v5 from him there. So when you're faced up against a situation like that, OXG are now trying to push the button down even further by getting hyper aggressive against Tempo, even to ridiculous extents with the window hop outs and whatnot here, just to try and seal the deal and make Tempo play incredibly passive so that they can control the game pace. And that's exactly what they did on that last round there.
Oh, it's some beautiful, beautiful stuff. Again, I'm going to commiserate Oxygen for bringing all of these lineups that they've shown so far. There's so many different faces and hats that they've worn, you know what I mean? Especially on the upstairs site, we saw the initial bar setup, and it looked nothing like the setup that they had. They brought some new operators, brought a fresh new look to it, and showed Tempo something that they hadn't seen just yet. And Tempo was what? They were stumped. They had no idea to really how to go about handling that situation. Eventually, they tried to put some manpower onto the actual, cocktail window set, but Oxygen was ready for that too. It was very late into the game. They hop a man outside. Granted, Foxay does die, but the damage has already been done. The rest of Oxygen is handling the people inside of the building. You send Lax outside to deal with the last one, and that's yet another round for them. Tempo Storm just continues to get stuck inside of Christmas on that bar take.
All right, folks, round 5 here. Oxygen already with some show-stopping performances being brought in from the previous rounds. Need to bring it a little bit further, though. Still 4 more rounds are needed for them to seal the deal on this series and get the full-on W versus Tempo. Tempo, of course, has shown some impressive stuff today as well, and they really going to need to rally back after the round they lost a few ago. Try and bring them back into the fold for this one. Currently 2 rounds behind, so still very, very salvageable. But as we mentioned, definitely discouraged after a round like that. Hopefully, given the fact these guys are professionals, they're able to quickly shake that off and get themselves focused on the game again. I have no doubt that they should be able to do that. So let's see exactly what the attack is looking like. Very top-down focused once again. We are going to see 3 or 4 players, in fact, all up on top here. Let's make it 5 as well, now that Dream is going to be joining them. And over the next couple seconds after the drones have cleared things out, we'll start to see the players move in through those hatches and begin the work of clearing out the roam presence here. It's going to be Foxay and Vert first, as they're holding top white cocktail.
Well, the initial problem right now for Tempo Storm is they're going to need some verticality inside of the Christmas area to be able to deal with Train inside of Laxing. They don't have enough hard destruction to get that hatch open and still do everything else that they want to do. So I don't really see them using 2 on the hatch. They might use 1 to, try and make a line of sight and then use the other 2 on the pillars area or what have you. But I don't see them trying to get that Christmas hatch open when they can just create verticality. So once they actually handle that situation, we'll have to see where they're going to try and put this diffuser down. As for right now, though, obviously the clear's still going on upstairs, and they have full site control now, or at least top control, excuse me. So now the verticality will come through for Tempo Storm, as their main focus is breaking up that reading room floor.
A presence going to be put on that. Down to a minute. A little over a minute here for Tempo Storm, so still plenty of time to set this up as well. Thankfully, the clear has been done with plenty of extra time to spare. The only thing they have to worry about is the extra aggression that may be coming out from Oxygen, but thankfully they've shut that down. Dream hunting out through the top-down angles here. Members of the defensive team is going to be able to find out Slash and eliminate him. So down goes the Malusi, and up goes Tempo in a 5v4 man advantage here, at least at the beginning of the round.
There's going to be some very awkward places held by Oxygen. See if Tempo's ready for that. We can already see two over inside of the train engine area. Toxic Babe down to hold down Reading, and that's right on timer. Actually, no, it's not. Fox already out of those Toxic Babes, and Tempo Storm now ready to take complete control of this Reading area. They have the verticality set up. Still 5-man alive for Tempo as well. Only 3 remaining for Oxygen. Crazy in the door, and he's got 1 on the floor. Diffuser now down, and he's about halfway through. This post plant looking beautiful right now for them as Vert's the last man alive. This might be yet another flawless round here for Tempo Storm. That'd be 2 for them, the only 2 rounds that they've won so far. Still kind of winnable, not really though, as Dream swings the door and ends up killing Vertical, and yet another flawless round here for Tempo Storm. If they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it right, I guess, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the rounds we've seen won by Tempo, because I think they're, I'm trying to remember if they're 2 or 3 right now. We'll see.
They won the kitchen flawless and the Reading flawless.
Yeah, that's what I was about to lead into. Is both the rounds they have won have been flawless. So when Tempo are coming in and winning rounds, man, they're winning them decisively, and that's something that OXG definitely needs to keep in mind here, because yeah, they're also winning rounds, but they're winning them off of like crazy individual plays. To be fair, not all of them. You know, the other 2 have been won through pretty traditional means, but you can't really rely on heads-up plays like that, especially when Tempo is keeping up with you. And the 2 rounds that they've won have been flawless.
Hey, I completely agree with you. I think that, especially for instance, like Slash down around the pillars area, I was a little aggressive for still having full man count on both teams, and it ended up getting him punished. Tempo was ready for it. They saw him swing it, downed him, got the kill. It's things like that where you have to put a little bit more respect on the name, right? In the situation that you're in. And I'm not obviously trying to tell Slash how to play the game. The man knows how to play the game. It just stuff happens every once in a while, you know. When you're up 5-5, there's some things that aren't the greatest thing to do. Slash tried to make a play and it just didn't happen. Very unfortunate for him. So but now going down into the very last round here, I've been very impressed with Tempo Storm so far throughout Cafe. What have you been thinking about him?
Oh yeah, like this, I pegged this one as a pretty weak map for them, but to be fair, like they're holding on pretty well. They're getting torn apart to like some more aggressive plays from Oxygen, and that's happening every once in a while. But like the core gameplay seems pretty solid right now from Tempo, especially looking at the rounds they've actually won.
Very team oriented, and that's really what I've liked to see from Tempo Storm.
Which again harks back to like the really good analytical team that's sitting behind the 5-man roster on Tempo as well, doing all the prep research and whatnot. So you got to give props to them for like making sure that the team strategies are really, you know, locked down tight going into a map like this.
Yeah, I think this is something that we can kind of chalk up to not only Jarvis coming onto the team, but Rams coming into the staffing. Yeah. These are both people that not only on previous teams, but whenever you talk to them, they are more focused around that, you know, team style of Siege. And that's exactly what Siege is about. It really is about supporting your team in, you know, any way possible here. So might have some aggressive plays now from Vert as he's upstairs all on his lonesome. Went for a very aggressive play underneath the red hatch, but obviously since he is Vigil, he can really do whatever he wants as long as the drone does not see him without the cloak on.
Rocking the mouse sports skin too. That's a bit of a throwback.
Major throwback.
Yeah. Vert He's trying to get a bit aggressive initially, as you said, under the red hatch. Has to fall back. Oh, he's going to be able to find one, though, as Creators gets caught. Unfortunately, is not ready immediately, anyway, to take the fight over here at the 90 angle at the edge of White Stairs. So Dream does get quick revenge, trades it out. Still manages to get right around like 40 HP off of Dream, though. So still a little bit of extra damage, which may come in later in the round. But it hasn't necessarily taken Dream out of the fight in any capacity. He can still take duels.
Nothing's taken that man out of the fight. He has an L8, sir. Or not an L8, a G8, excuse me.
Well, yeah, the G8.
Oh, yeah, no, L8. G8. L8 is a much worse gun. It's still a good gun, but it's definitely no G8. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyways, back to things that actually matter. Like, hey guys, you should definitely go pick up the Battle Pass because that skin is beautiful, by the way. And chromatic streaks, amazing. Chroma streaks. Go get it.
He's like
it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. The attachment skin's purple. If you're a DZ fan, you need that in your arsenal. I already dropped the full money on the full thing. Yes, I'm a sellout. I know. I'm sorry. Anyways, jumping down into the last minute here, Tempo Storm's made decent headway upstairs, but this verticality is really what they need to worry about. We haven't seen too much of it. They've cleared out the top level through vertical play, but the site is actually kitchen, and that's the problem. Tempo needs to get downstairs and actually start getting some site pressure, because right now, they don't have any of it. Uh-oh.
Done a good job of clearing, though, and this is going to be tricky potentially here from Lax. Oh, he had players rushing right towards him a second ago as well. Was lined up perfectly. Still going to get the opportunity to try and take out the ace. Get some good damage onto Crazy, but moves just a second too soon there. He had to move, just to be clear. Otherwise, Crazy would have taken his head off, but still not enough time in that position in order to get the full kill on Crazy. So he's going to be okay with backing away just the damage that he was able to get there.
I'm so very impressed. And now Laxing in the power position. Drop comes in. Is Dream ready for it? Oh, he is. But Laxing gets the better of him. Not very much damage done. And oh my God, Ooh. Laxing. He sprays through all of them. Fox 8 now peeking the hatch, but it's going to be Laxing for a fourth. It doesn't even matter. All drop from the same hatch. I'm going to get all of the kills, baby. That is a perfectly played round there from Laxing. Nice shift over from Freezer. Nobody ready for him to be on that sink. Some beautiful, beautiful stuff. And that's going to mean a 4-2 split in favor of Oxygen.
An amazing ace earlier on, and now a beautiful 4K holding against the massive drop there from Tempo as they tried to brute force the issue through the freezer hatch as they had done successfully, to be fair, a few rounds ago. This time, though, the members of OXG, most notably Laxing, of course, very much ready to take that fight. Foxy, of course, getting an honorable mention on the assist from the bottom of that hatch, but enough presence to shut down the play from Tempo, and now sets OXG up with a 4-2 scoreline at this switch.
Yeah, I really don't think that that's the person that you want to feed kills. I don't know about that one. That's a pretty scary one. Laxing isn't exactly the individual to be like, oh man, yeah, I just got all these kills. Like, dude, I'm telling you right now, that man is on cloud 9. This is a very scary monster, chat. It's Laxing 10-0-2. That's a terrifying thing. If I was on the other team, that's not a fun sight. Especially when you're just now at the split. Through 6 round, man's got 10 kills. Oh, he's gonna be swinging everything. He's got a G8. No, actually, he doesn't have a G8. He's actually got the 5.52 Commando. Very good kill layer pick.
The good news for Tempo, however, is we are now jumping onto defense for them, of course, and the problem is going to show up for Oxygen and the fact that if players like Laxing and to a lesser extent here, like Vertical and Slash, who have been making the most of the fragging impact here so far, if they go down early round and are not going to and the other players aren't going to have the capability to pick it up coming into a late round situation, like Fox specifically on defense there was really struggling. He was constantly taking fights by his own selection, and unfortunately for him was losing quite a few of them, as you can see from his current scoreline. So if that trend continues here on to attack and players like Laxing end up getting knocked out early, we could look at quite a few struggles for Oxygen still on this attack.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Fox. He's more of the Steve Nash of the team. Not really scoring, but he's definitely there to assist. You know what I mean? And hey, you need people like that, man. Every once in a while, the game isn't yours and it's somebody else's. And Fox A's just going through one of those instances. Granted, we still have half of the game to play left, so that can always change. Now Oxygen focused on a bakery take. Already got the utility off of the wall. We're gonna have a bandit trick go down though, and Crazy. He actually gets... Did he use both of those? I'm going to check really quick. Did he use 2? He did. He got both of them. Oh, no. Yeah. That is so much utility gone for Oxygen now. They just assumed the wall was free. No one was there really doing anything. And Crazy still here with bandit batteries. That's going to be the last projectile there, utility piece for Kali. I forgot what the utility piece name was there for just a second. But anyways, now that means that the bandit batteries are going to be stuck on the wall. Bio and the rest of the Oxygen lineup can't do anything to that wall at all. And he still has all of his batteries. So Crazy locked down the entire kitchen area. Oxygen has to go somewhere else.
Great trick work there from Crazy. Has guaranteed relative safety for himself and to a certain extent Jarvis and Mark here as well. A lot less pressure that they'll have to deal with when it comes to the late round. So massive work being done from him. Now Oxygen have to look for a plan B here, and what's it going to be? We'll figure this out in the next few seconds. Either way, though, they're going to have to try and take fights here soon. It looks like Fox is the first one to attempt to do so. Dream comes out on top of it, taking him out. Not really a lot of damage traded for it. Slash gets a great opportunity to trade, though, as he works himself down from 3rd to 2nd floor on red stairs and does manage to pick up a kill on Dream in the process.
The sad part is, though, this is all wasted time. This is not site pressure. This is simply roamers just wasting as much of your time as they possibly can. Or they are going to get another kill as Crazy puts his face in a hole in which it didn't belong, and Slash makes sure that he knows it. Mark going to take quite a bit of damage through some verticality, but Slash once again gets a triple kill. Seems that Tempo was really just giving up the entire store here.
Good work on the self-destruction early round from OXG there, because those angles that were set up have been allowing Slash to just absolutely destroy people. Problem, though, is that they're still having problems getting into the actual site. on the bottom floor. Mark, most recently, picking up that trade against Bio there. Now more swings going to come in. Vert is going to be able to pick up the kill against Mark. That'll allow them to get the diffuser back under their own control. But they only have 18 seconds left to plant it. They're attempting it now. Here comes the rotate from Creators here. He's going to try to roll back in. But nope, Vert's already got the angle to kill him there. And with that, Oxygen are going to take control of the first round on attack, keeping their lead strong at 5-2.
That's so unfortunate for Tempo Storm. Just way too many mistakes there when it came down to it, and Oxygen gets a free round because of that. Currently 5-2 in favor of Oxygen. They really didn't have a right to have that round there in that last little instance. All of your Heartbreak just gone. All of Kali's utility is gone as well. You really can't get a wall open. You have to funnel into the site, and then Tempo Storm just chooses to start peaking verticality into an AK-12. Not the greatest set of, ideas to ever come out of people, So for Tempo Storm, that's a botched round. Very unfortunate for them, but they feel like they can fix it. They're headed back downstairs to kitchen.
See if a quick little run back on this site will work out well here now. The folks on Tempo. They try to maintain control of yet another one for themselves here. Look to try and surge themselves forward and prevent what seems to be the inevitable win from Oxygen at this point. Tempo definitely still has some fight left in them, though, so Oxygen don't have this one fully under their own control just yet. It's up to the members of Tempo to make it happen. Slash, of course, gets an amazing mention on that previous round there, did the top-down play. Those spars are not oftentimes easy to play around, but Slash had some good angles set up for himself there on top of whoever had actually done the setup earlier on. I think that was probably Foxe doing quite a bit of that. So props to him for that good setup, which opened up plenty of fragging opportunities for Slash. He was able to pick up 3 kills in that last round through top-down play over like Train and Oil. Or Mining, not Oil. I don't know why I always call it
oil. Nobody else knows this, but hey, it's our first day back. It's our first day back.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know if
it's only it's not like I haven't casted in a month.
Hey, I don't know if you know this, but casting can sometimes be difficult. Very surprising thing, I know, right? Anyways, Oxygen now making their way to the roof. Drone still winding up here as we are in the initial phases here. And this is the thing about Cafe. It does take a while to get to all the actiony bits that everyone loves to see, right? But the beauty of it is that if any mistake is made by any team, the round is practically the other team's. That's the thing about Cafe. If something dramatic happens, it's like, oh, okay. You really don't have a leg to stand on, just because of the amount of verticality that's on this map, as well as the ways that you can lock down rotations. It really is beautiful to watch this map get played, but it really does suck when it comes down to hey, we're going to fall back to site, and we're just going to wait for you to try and do something. Dream tries to do something, but he gets a lot of damage for that, and that's exactly why people don't try to do things very early on Cafe, especially when you're going for a full map clear.
Dream here, the prepped pump as he sits at the bottom of the stairs waiting for players to try and push white. It's going to be a couple more seconds before he gets an opportunity to try and use that shell, though. He's also sitting at low HP, so he's got to be a little bit careful. Gets spotted out by the drones. They know he's hiding out in the Christmas tree room downstairs. A preemptive C4 is chucked out. It's a little bit... Actually, excuse me, I think that's just Bio doing soft destruction. Never mind. So those are going to go onto the ground and open up more opportunities here for top-down play that OXG was able to use quite efficiently in the previous round here. Whether they'll find as much success around in this round is still yet to be seen, of course. But either way, you can see right now Bio using those angles that he just opened up for himself.
Well, Oxygen now working their way down to the bottom level here. Smoke grenade out. It's going to create this little half angle here as the nitro cell goes off. Actually, it's some nice soft destruction here that could possibly allow them to rotate in, but Slash is now planting. Nitro Cell out does quite a bit of damage, but he goes immediately back to the bomb chassis now as Tempo Storm is all over this. Bio actually ends up getting one, but it's all down to Bio and Bio alone as Tempo and I almost said Tempo and the rest of the squad there, but Jarvis and the rest of the squad end up cleaning up this round, and that's exactly how they expected that one to go the last time, but again, just too much verticality on the previous round for them to deal with. End up getting picked off by that too often. This time around, though, able to stay up and actually end up winning things out based off of those utility uses. They kept Oxygen's... I don't know how to put this. They kept Oxygen's map control on the bottom floor very limited. They really only gave them white stairs as well as freezer. Everything else had to be, have a hand on it through that vertical play. And this time it didn't work because Tempo had areas to actually, set and be safe. They had bunkers to where, like, okay, I don't have to worry about what's going on upstairs. I can strictly worry about what's going on site. We had the staircases locked down, so on and so forth. And when it came down to the execute, Tempo was already ready.
I think when Bio used the breaching charges, the folks on Tempo probably realized that the execute was going to come primarily through that hatch and white stairs, so they just started to set up like a containment strategy at that point, making sure that they wouldn't be able to leave freezer or the white hall downstairs, just as you had mentioned. And that's exactly what happened. They never got any control further than that, and kind of got funneled into a kill box at the end of the round right there. So great stuff from Tempo to just shut it down, not leave much wiggle room there for Oxygen to try and actually get that plan onto the ground.
Yeah, this is very unfortunate that the first time around didn't end up like that, and they end up giving Oxygen around off of quite a few mistakes. But hey, I mean, you live and you learn. You know what I mean? There's not much you can do about it. Now the past is the past. The future is now, old man. So let's get into things. Tempo Storm now still trying to climb out of this hole that they've dug themselves. They need 2 rounds to tie things up, and 4 if they want to win it on this defensive side inside of regulation. If they do end up getting this in regulation, actually, Oxygen will have maxed things out already. So that'll be max inside of regulation. We'll just see how many times I can possibly say that. But I feel like we're more than likely going to OT here. I definitely think that Oxygen is still good for at least 1 round, if not closing it out.
Well, we'll see on that one. Like I said, in my opinion, we're seeing quite a bit of a momentum-favored play here from Oxygen. A lot of the previous rounds oftentimes dictate how the next round's going to go for them. Not always, of course, but it seems to be a common trend. Oxygen is going to go for a top-down clear here nice and quickly, and, well, they're going to kind of have to with a second-floor site in play at the moment here for the folks over on Tempo. You do have both Mark and Creators holding the white and cocktail hold here for the usual position, I have to say, for the roamers. They've got a quick hatch that they can fall back through if things get a little bit too hot on top of the stairs themselves. Oxay, Vert, and I believe one of their player from OXG starting to work their way through the 3rd floor now, with Oxay very much leading the charge.
Well, the terrible thing for OXG is they have the pulse to worry about. That's crazy downstairs. As you can see, the cardiac sensor's out in his hand, and that's exactly why Foxey's dead to rights. They already know where he is. He pinged the location. Mark knows exactly where to shoot, and he gets a free kill for it. Some very nice prodding here from Tempo Storm to get that early pick.
Continuing that very unfortunate story today for for Foxey as well, where can't seem to come out on top of a lot of the gunfights here. That one being thrust upon him, may have not even been ready for it in that situation here. Air jab's going to be thrown out there too. I don't even know if Creators heard that, but either way, it's going to stop him from retreating through the hatch for a split second. Still makes it out of there with full HP though, so good stuff.
And now they just have to lean on that timer. This is that point in time where the defense just lays back, holds their angles, makes sure that Oxygen can't get into any of these, desperate areas or crosses or what have you. But there's still a lot of work to be done upstairs, and as that timer continues to tick down, it's going to get worse and worse here for OXG. Vertical, using his last breaching charge, I do believe, actually second to last there, is he'll create yet another piece into the reading area. Seems that that's going to be their main focus for right now, as crazy as dipping, diving, dashing, and dodging everywhere downstairs to try and not get killed through that vertical play. But they've jumped downstairs now. Still have to worry about these Banshees as well of Jarvis, but already gotten rid of one of those.
Bert does go and check over towards mining there to see if anyone is going to be in position. Doesn't find anyone immediately, but there was someone from that angle here. Oh, nice tracing work being done here as well from Vert. Drops a player. Not going to know it so much just as of yet. Electrocell on the ground there too, but Dream in the meanwhile here is going to start to wrap on players like Vert, who are some of the few still left alive. It's just him and Bio here. However, as you saw, it's really only Vert in the site itself. Bio is upstairs having to try and play this one out from the Ash with the G3. He's got some bars to work with, but they're not in his direction. It's so hard to get kills when they're aligned against you like that. He's going to try to work his way over towards the diffuser, at least scared the player on diffuser off it, but in the process of trying to pre-fire onto the player, which was no longer even on the diffuser, exposed himself, and is going to leave just enough time here for Tempo to get the counter defuse and win out the round.
I gotta feel bad for Bio on that one. It seemed that the tensions were high there in that instance. Ended up just full-on mag dumping right into one of those bars through that vertical play. Didn't get Mark at all downstairs. And if he was able to actually get that kill into the smoke, I feel like we had a completely different outcome inside of that round. But since they had 3 up, they sent the Jaeger upstairs, let the last 2 remain downstairs, and just continued to bait him on that vertical play, allowing the Jaeger to capitalize on what he needed to do. Kill the man playing the vertical play, get that diffuser diffused, and it's all over from there. So overall, I will say Oxygen, very nice setup to actually be able to to get that diffuser down. It's just that the post plant did not work out in their favor, and it really wasn't supposed to. It really was a last-ditch effort to claim that round. Just didn't work out for them. Really like this 6 pick coming in, though. Gonna have Twitch picked up in place of the Collie.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by
All right, guys, let's take a look at this one. Round number 10 coming up here. As Oxygen is looking to try and get back control over this map. He's kind of lost it a little bit here over the last few rounds. Tempo's been doing a fantastic job here so far on the defensive half, trying to run this comeback and bring them back into the fold here to try to take this series away. Oxygen has been chasing the win ever since map number 1. They were able to take control of Theme Park against Tempo. Map number 2, of course, had quite a few victories there as well, but ultimately Tempo was the stronger team on that map, and once again, Tempo is resurging in the second half on defense, just like the previous 2 maps.
We're going to have another Mira set up here, but this time from Tempo Storm all the way upstairs. One of the Miras going down inside of Freezer. See exactly where the other one's going to go. Are they going to go for a double Mira and set it up inside of the bathroom? That would be... Oh, no, it's actually downstairs inside of Train. Okay, good news. It's downstairs inside of Train. All right. That's a good thing. I really thought that they were going to slap 2 upstairs.
That's where the site is.
Really thought they were going to slap it upstairs. What'd you say, friend? I'm sorry.
So that would make sense considering that's where the site is.
That's what I was saying. I was like, listen, if there's 2 mirrors going down, I hadn't checked her utility pool either. So, anyways, now for
Tempo just full sending the roam game utility.
It might work though.
by attackers.
Little bit of conservative play there, and that they keep the 1 mirror downstairs, but there's still quite a bit of that roaming presence itself, as you can see. Both creators and I think 2 others from Tempo are currently holding the 3rd floor, if not just 1 other. Drone is going to more than likely spot creators here. Panic shoots the drone just to make sure that if it did spot him, well, it's not going to spot anyone else. And after the flashes do get dumped in, we are going to see creators fall back. I thought we were going to see someone leap over and try to hop in there for a sec, but that would be indeed too bold. So not the case. Bio does position a Twitch drone, which we have a Twitch in play here. Fun fact, we don't necessarily see her super often anymore. Always fun to see that coming into the mix, but that drone is going to be hidden on the right side over by Cocktail there, and we'll see if it's able to isolate anything out.
Yeah, it was able to pick up one of the Miras, as well as just in general Twitch being actually a pretty decent pick now, John. She's slightly worked her way into the meta, just in the regards of, oh my god, what was that? There was 3 people that just all of a sudden died out of thin air. So yeah, some trades ensuing, but Tempo Storm coming out on top of it, and that's definitely going to be a very, very good thing for them. OXG now in a very bad predicament for offensive side Cafe. Tempo still have control of Christmas as well. This is just so bad. So bad for Oxygen.
All 3 roamers upstairs are still alive as well here at this point. Jarvis was the one from Tempo that ended up going down, but as far as I can remember, he was never committed to this, so he must have died through some other circumstance. May have tried to make a play or something. Another one for the VOD. Mark, he's got right timing on this, but no, the pre-fire coming in from the hatch. Didn't know he had already been spotted out, so Slash is going to be able to take him out. And on top of that, it denies the potential Nitro Cell kill that could have happened from the defender if he had chucked it out the window and tried to kill the other member of Oxygen on Repel there. Good save. And good timing on that kill.
Yep, that's Ping 2.0 system coming into play. Pinged exactly where he was. Guy had no idea, and he shot him right in his face through the soft wall for red. So, very nice play there for Oxygen, utilizing that information and that new ping system that's been implemented by Ubisoft. So, Tempo Storm now on equal footing with OXG, but that's going to change very quickly as Creators takes down Lax inside of Hell. Still have the diffuser, though. That's going to be inside of Slash's hands as he's going to get a kill as well. Waiting for the rotation here from Reading, but they need to get this diffuser down, and Bio has to watch over Slash as he does so. Immediately hops off, but Dream's already killed him. The damage has already been done. Now they just have to wait. 0-0-0 on the timer, and the defense wins off of that time. Bio just not having the crossfire needed to be able to support his teammate.
Yeah, it was basically you had to get that plant there. There wasn't going to be enough time, and even if there was for him to try to get on the ground, it would have been a confirmed death basically at that point due to his opponents being so close to where the planning was taking place there. Nice attempt again from Slash. Slash really is the only player that helps out too much to get them to that point in the round itself. He's been doing fantastic work, specifically on the attacking side here for OXG to try to push them further and get them closer to some 1 rounds here, but unfortunately things have been falling just short so many times.
Yeah, it's a very slow beginning for Oxygen on almost every single one of these rounds, and that's not a bad thing. That's just kind of how Cafe works. You have to drone through, you have to make sure no one's playing any ratty angles. Where's the utility set up? Do they have a roam game going on? There's obviously a lot of things that can possibly happen on Cafe, so you got to give them the benefit of the doubt, or any offensive team on Cafe the benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. But when it comes down to the side executes right now, they always show up to the party at a very, very bad time. Like, whether they're down man or they don't have the proper utility or what have you, it just, they continue to get stuck, and it really hasn't been the best for them for these last handful of rounds. This is now 2 rounds in a row again for Tempo Storm after they just went back-to-back on their offense. So OXG need to wake up here when it comes to this offensive side, because otherwise this is Tempo more than likely closing things out inside of regulation.
Tempo definitely on a very strong run right now, and it only seems to be getting stronger there. Although Oxygen definitely trying to get close to at least getting that plan onto the ground and forcing the issue down to the wire. That's happened a few times now, and in fact, there's even been one round where Oxygen have been able to get it down onto the site, just weren't able to take control in the post plants. Now it's time to see if things will go a little bit better. They are against the downstairs attack yet again, so it's going to be the kitchen hole this time here. The members on Tempo. We still have that extended roam being played out, though, although it's much more over here towards the second floor, and I think even that may get pulled back depending on what the overall plan here is from Crazy. He's got a mirror window, though, so maybe not. Maybe going to hang out here and train, since he's pretty well set up for himself in this position.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on, and they've also reinforced the Christmas hatch. That was the thing that I was worried about when I initially saw this. So now that that's been handled, doesn't have too much to worry about. Obviously, he still has to worry about Sledge breaking up the floor above him, but that's really about it. Still have to drone things out and see exactly what's going on in this mid floor. Foxy is going to be the first one to do so, but any of these drones that get nabbed by Mozzies or shot, that's all just more damage to this ecosystem of the offense. Now with some vertical play here, ended up droning out the Mozzie of creators, but he's already skipped town. Do still have to worry about possible 2 members inside of here, but no, it seems that everyone's dropped off. I do believe that that's Amira as well gone. So yes, Crazy's left, everybody gone now for Tempo Storm on that mid floor, giving it up to Oxygen.
So not much coming from the play itself, and including the committed utility in the form of the 1 mirror window, along with anything else they would have committed there. Not much coming from that, but no lost lives either. They don't overcommit to it in any sort of way. They're very smart about it, and I mean, the timing seems pretty okay right now. We're a little over halfway through the round, so it seems like it was a decent waste of time. Probably could have been a bit more active with it if they chose to, but like I said, Tempo more so than anything, kind of taking the safe path throughout this series in this point. That's exactly what they're going to do by moving all those players back to the site. Dream, of course, can also still deny from the downstairs Christmas, that is, over here by the Whitehall.
Well, it's the same thing as they wanted to do last time. They want to give Oxygen Freezer and have them execute through there. You guys saw exactly what happened the last time that Oxygen went for that. Tempo was ready for it on every single front. Now I'm going to toss a smoke grenade in to try and break some line of sight so they can drop hatch safely. And this is exactly where Slash is more than likely going to maintain control for at least a little while. Needs to make sure this VIP player doesn't get away with too much. Oh, piece in there, going to get quite a bit of spray in. Oh, the M590 saving his butt, though. Nitro cell out, Slash ready for him. Nice trade, but damage already been done as he's just now getting that hard destruction in. We need to see the rest of OXG let at the scoreboard as this execute starts now.
A wrap over here out from Kochek may actually get the better of Fox if he's not careful. He's in safe harbor now, though, so doesn't have to worry about it too much. Jarvis did get dropped, but has recovered. Unfortunately, though, backing up too much here might send him right into, well, never mind, that's going to be Mark's perspective that we're looking at right now, so not too big of a deal there. Either way, a flurry of trades coming out brings it down to a 2v1. Does Oxygen have position to plant, though? That's the question. Their fuser's on the ground. No, they don't. And just by hiding in the corner, Tempo are going to be able to take yet another round under their own control and get that much closer to the W in this series.
You guys better be putting some respect on the name of Tempo Storm. That's all I'm going to say. They are playing so well right now. This is not the same Tempo Storm that we saw before the split. This is not the same Tempo Storm that I've seen for a very, very long time. And the fact that they are, routinely being successful on these, especially the map pool that we've had between these two, I mean, tip of the hat to them. Some impressive stuff coming out, especially with the addition of Jarvis. Jarvis has been playing so well throughout the series so far. Not exactly lighting up the scoreboard, but playing his role to a T. Everything just seems to be working for Tempo Storm right now. And you definitely have to give it up to those new additions.
Definitely the case. Tempo Storm seem to be coming back into stage 2 with quite a bang here, especially if they can take the outright win versus Oxygen. They're only 1 round away from doing it, but Oxygen also 1 more round away from tying this up and sending us into 3 more rounds of overtime to truly decide our winner here. Oxygen, they've had some great stuff, especially on the defensive half, but now it's time to truly show up on the attacking side and give us that one convincing round that they need to push this into OT, because if not, this will be a 2-1 victory for Tempo.
Yeah, very impressive stuff. And scoreboard so far for both of these teams actually pretty equal throughout. I will say, though, Slashrug topping the scoreboard for Oxygen, 10-2-7 right now. It's tied up at 10-1-5 with Lax there. So very nice showing here from Slashrug. Granted, that might be what everyone was memeing about when Ace was coming into Complay. Hey, the hard breach players are about to have a lot of fun, man. AK-12's in play.
So let's look back as well. What I said at the beginning of the half, right? Like if Laxing wasn't going to perform, issues could show up for Oxygen. I don't think Laxing at most has gotten 1 kill this half, and I don't even think he got it this half.
He hasn't gotten a kill. He had 10 kills at the half.
Yeah. So, and you're seeing the impact of that, man. It's just like there is a lack of fragging potential, it seems like, especially in an early round capacity right now for Oxygen, and that's hurting them quite a bit because they're being funneled into quite a few of just these positions where Tempo wants them to be there, and oftentimes when they walk into those spots, Tempo just shut them down round after round again. So Oxygen needs to find some way around this issue, and unfortunately, they only have this round to do it.
You know what it is for me? The thing for me about Oxygen is stuff like this, right? Like right now, we have Vert by himself inside of Train. Not a bad thing, exactly, right? They have plenty of supporting angles to be able to assist him and all that kind of stuff. But if he goes for a play here and dies, there's no tradability. Literally zero.
Yeah.
And that's where Oxygen really starts to lose the mark, is a lot of the times when they go for these plays, people aren't traded. And it's just very, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Tempo catches people off guard quite often, at least inside of this matchup for Oxygen. So it's just one of those things where it might be, hey, when we're going up against this team, maybe we need to play a little bit more tight-knit.
It's something that's critiqued super heavily about Oxygen. Like, it's a very common critique I hear about them. But ultimately, it comes down to, like, that's their, to a certain extent, like, that's their play style in a lot of ways, depending on the round you're looking at.
They should live by the sword and die by the sword, huh?
Yeah, very much. Like, I think they're very well aware of that issue. So we are going to see a little bit of action here from OXG as they move themselves out into the main front area there. Try and swing around over towards library from the looks of it. They did open up the fireplace wall to go to the inside of dining, but trying to plant there, especially with the current man count, is just going to be way too difficult. 1-for-1 trade, though, as both Laxing and Dream are going to be lost from either side of this one.
What?
Swinging out there as well. 2 more players from Oxygen are actually going to fall here. They're not able to properly navigate that duel, and they end up going down. Bio will fall as well. This is the endgame, folks. It's all on Vert. A 1v4 situation. It's kept alive only by the fact that he was hiding out and trained this entire round. Back when Stokes and I started that initial conversation, he's got to try to bring this 1v4 back under his control somehow, and he's only got 40 seconds to do it. He trades on that final kill, to be fair to him, but it's not enough. Jarvis takes him down, and Tempo take control of the series. A final scoreline on the final map of 7-5, and an overall series score of 2-1 in favor of Tempo.
Oh, Tempo. I am so very impressed with you guys. Very well done. The boot camping, whatever you have done, all of the practice from the previous stage to now has led up to this moment, and you guys look damn good. Let me tell you, you guys look damn good. Oxygen had nothing to do with you guys, especially inside of those last 5 rounds. Had the answer for everything that Oxygen threw at you guys. Amazing win overall, but I will say this, inside of that last round, you can definitely tell how loud those Selma charges are. Right when that Selma started going off on the pillar's wall, Mira, of all operators, drops down from bar, and no one knows she's there. Not a soul knows she's there. Nobody. And then they just both swing out and kill both of the OXG members. It's just very, very unfortunate for them, man. It seemed that they had a lot of good things going on, and Tempo was just there, lying in wait every single time.
Well, we said it was going to be an interesting series, and not necessarily a straightforward one either, and that certainly led itself to be the case. Tempo are your victors, ladies and gentlemen, and that is going to do it for myself and Stokes for the evening. We're going to take it over to the analysis desk one last time to break things down and hopefully speak to our winners.
Blue and Stokes, awesome job as always. Thank you so much for your spectacular casting, but all right, let's talk about this matchup. OXG's crazy clutches were not enough. I mean, Veli, you and I, we were raving about Laxing. He did not want to lose, but it just wasn't enough.
No.
His round 3 ace, his quad kill round 6, I mean, we saw those and I was just like, they're going to do it, but then no, it just wasn't enough.
You know what, Jackie, is really funny how you bring up those two particular rounds, which were, Laxing's highlight reels, right?
Yep.
Because at that moment, when Laxing got that 4K, I think it's this play right here. Yeah, there it goes. Laxing motored down. After this play, Oxygen were up 4-2. They had double the points that Tempo had. But when you look at the stat line, okay, you see Laxing at 10-2, but Bio, he's 2-4. Vertical, he's not doing as good as he did last map at that time, right? It's still early on. Slash Hug is what, 3-3. Fox A is 1-2, 1-3. It was looking rough for Oxygen, and it was really confusing at the time because I was talking to Jesse, and I was like, would I sound crazy if I said it feels like Tempo are winning this game, even though they're down by half the points of Oxygen? He said no, like Tempo's been doing well, and I felt like Tempo was in full control. But I mean, the in-game score lets me know that they definitely were by the end of the day. But Laxing played lights out. He didn't want to lose, and it was unfortunate that they did. He played his heart out.
Yeah, Laxing played lights out. But Jesse, there was big individual efforts from OXG Esports, from Vertical, Slash. They both had some big rounds as well, but I don't know, just wasn't enough again.
Yeah, I mean, when crazy clutches happen, I feel like I like to be a positive guy. I like to get hyped up about that stuff when I'm watching, esports or anything. But as an analyst, I'm always sitting there like, well, congrats, you saved it, but you shouldn't have been in this position anyways. And that's what a lot of these rounds felt like for Oxygen Esports. Obviously, Oxygen fans are going to clap. They're going to be like, yes, Laxing got the ace clutch, that's amazing. But he shouldn't have been there anyways, right? And so all of these crazy clutch plays, not all of them, but a lot of them are coming in positions where you're like, well, they made a lot of mistakes to get to this point. And I think we saw that, earlier on in map 1 when Fox won that first map in a 1v1, Laxing's ace clutch as well. There were some big frags where, Laxing's 4K was not so much the same situation because it was the strat to bait them in to dropping down that hash. It was a strat to open it ahead of time and do all the things that they did. And there's fallbacks if it doesn't work, right? Same with the early vertical plays on Villa. More often than not, he's roaming and he's getting those early kills, and if it doesn't work, whatever. But he's getting that earlier on in the rounds. But certainly a lot of these clutches, they're hype in the moment, and I definitely empathize with fans that are getting excited about that. But I'm always sitting there as an analyst going like, well, yeah, but. And that's what I saw a lot of from Oxygen today.
Basically, if it shouldn't take one person to kill 5 or 4 people around in order for your team to win, you should find other ways to win.
Exactly.
And we know that they can find those other ways. We just need to see them more often.
Yeah, truly. I want to pick both of your brains about this. Oxygen was the best team in the US at one point. That's not a lie. They were at the top at one point. And recently they just continue to fall short. Why do you think that this is happening? I mean, we were just talking about all these great individual efforts. Yes, a couple of the players in the team didn't have their best performances. So what's breaking down here? I really want to get a hot take from both of you on this.
Oh, hot take. Jesse, do you have a hot take for that?
I mean, I kind of gave it at the start of the show, right? There's been some individual slip-ups, and at the start of the show, I highlighted Biologics and Slash, both not doing too well. Thought Slash had a really good game. Bio was pretty dependent on the map. And I hope I'm not stealing what you were going to go on about, Veli, because you were talking about this before we went live.
It's all yours.
Fox didn't have a great map here, and he was dying early a lot of these rounds, and he really, you can see it there, 3 and 11, and it definitely,
this isn't like
it
him,
hurts
though.
when a player has that type of game.
Yeah, it's
No, and early on
so
in the season, he was their star player. Yeah. It's really, really sad to see. It's been individual failures time and time again from Oxygen Esports. At the major, we saw them not quite pulling their weight with a couple players, this time again against Tempo Storm. I hope things shape up. I'm not suggesting anything too drastic. I don't want to see anybody removed from this roster. I just want to see maybe some better mental states going into things, just players playing their game the way that we've seen them do it before.
Yeah, and
you know what,
sorry.
Jackie?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I was...
No, put in your thoughts,
No,
Jackie.
I really wanted to talk to you about Fox A because I just remember us chatting at the beginning of the season, and we were just like, he's on fire. I think I might have even said, maybe either of you said, he was the best player on this team at one point.
That was me.
Was it you? Okay, yeah. I was like, somebody definitely said it.
Yes.
I was like, I'm trying to steal it. No, but for real, like I feel bad. I don't know what's happening. It just seems like maybe it's a chemistry issue because we know the man has confidence. I just listened to him on a podcast, and he was saying that like, don't discount us, like don't sleep on us, like we are still like a big team here. So like I feel him talking to talk. So I'm not quite sure what's happening.
So is that a total and complete meltdown by the team, right? Is something small that's going extremely wrong often now. During the first part of stage 1, Oxygen, they were on top of the leaderboards. I gave my take during that broadcast, and I said it's about time we start to recognize Foxy as being one of the more elite players of NA, because he's on top, he's consistent, he's doing so well. Now I feel like my dumbass jinxed him, because ever since then Foxy, no, I'm playing. Seriously, like Foxy has had not a lot, but he's had some off games, and that's actually quite worrisome. I was asking Jesse, I said, I'm trying to figure out the issue. What is it? And I said, is it just individual play? Is it just, strategy? Just the routes he's taking? What is it? And Jesse told me, he was like, well, to be fair, some of the times where he's been he's been picked off, has been a 1v1. And he should be winning some of those 1v1s, but he had 1 kill at the time. I think Foxy really needs to step it up, but I'm really happy for Tempo. I'm ready for some positivity.
Yeah, actually,
sure.
Ready for some positivity. I mean, we're talking about the man whenever we see him come on camera and he's clapping. I mean, how can you not smile, right? We have Dream on deck. Huge victory for you, Dream. How are you feeling right now?
I'm excited as all hell. I'm super happy that we managed to take the dub today.
Yay! Yeah, such a great dub. Dream, it's looking like y'all put together a little dream team here. I definitely want to talk to you about the addition of Jarvis. Also, I mean, double entry with you and creators. You guys are just slaying, tearing through teams. Like, this has been quite impressive. What do you have to say about the team altogether right now? It just seems like you're all in sync.
Yeah, honestly, we've been spending a lot of time together just as a unit and as a group, trying to do everything we do it together, have good communication, just working with each other on a daily basis and just trying to be the best team that we can be. Bringing Jarvis into the lineup, he brings a lot of communication aspects to our game that we didn't have previously, so it really helps us work together as like a whole unit so much better. And today I think it showed that.
Oh my gosh, you guys looked fantastic. I want to talk to you about what you focused on during this break that we had. It was a long time. I want to know what you identified as weaknesses and what you really tried to improve as a team.
Well, there's a really simple answer for that, and it's just communication and team play. We didn't want to do a lot of solo shit, like go off on your own, do whatever. It's all about working together, being a unit, and winning as one.
Oh, I love that. Yes, and you can't hear him, but Veli is clapping in the background. He's doing a dream clap for you. Yes. Oh, it was Stokes. I'm sorry. Stokes said he was clapping. Anyways, they're all clapping for you.
Nice.
But I do want to talk to you about OXG. I mean, they are a formidable opponent. Was there anything that you specifically targeted with them?
Basically, we just played our game, and we came out the better team today. It wasn't really anything specifically that we targeted. It was just focusing more on us. We have a new player. Let's play to the best of our ability, and let's just try and get the dub today. And, well, we did.
So I'm going to be very candid with you. Many have said that Tempo Storm is just a middle-of-the-road team, and they could never see y'all being the best in the U.S. What do you have to say to that?
I mean, frankly, that's just a lie. Like, clearly we can be the best. We just beat OXG. It's TSM next week, most likely, but we'll see.
We'll see. Ooh, a little cliffhanger. Oh, the boys are going wild in chat right now. They're like, what? Okay. Okay, Dream. Well, you go enjoy that victory. Thank you so much for chatting with me, and we'll see you again real soon. Go have fun. Enjoy the win. Woo. And I'm bringing it back to our analysts now, Veli and Jesse. Dream. I just want to just clap whenever I see him. We really, truly cannot do the Dream clap camera enough, but Yeah, he sounded confident, and I love that.
Did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
I heard y'all going like, oh, ooh, in the background, so I was like, oh, they're getting fired up by this interview. Billy, why are you smiling?
If I remember correctly,
Yes.
TSM against Tempo was probably the first game played of the season, and Tempo actually had a chance of winning that back then. That was when their team was just a mess and a half.
Interesting.
This is a better team now. So, just going off of what Dream said, I love Dream to death. If they can manage to beat TSM next time they're on broadcast, that's crazy. That'd be amazing.
That would be
I would love to see that. I
absolutely
think it's
nuts.
possible.
You think it's possible?
Yeah.
Wow, that's bold.
We'll see.
Velly.
Baby steps, though. Baby steps.
That's bold, Velly.
I-
Okay, Jesse's agreeing with you?
Yeah, I'm gonna back him up. I think that's definitely possible. Is it gonna be easy?
talk
Is
about
it gonna
Jesse.
be? Is that gonna be the favorite outcome? Probably not. But I think Tempo Storm have shown that they have what it takes, and we talked a lot about Auction Esports in the post game after this matchup. But Tempo Storm really did bring it, and they showed a lot of things that I liked. They knew when to get aggressive. They were really taking control and gaining their confidence as this match went on. And then towards the end of Cafe, we saw things get a little scrappy. We saw things devolve a little bit. But they were still very focused on that objective. They were doing what they had to win. Even without that numbers advantage, they made sure they were around that diffuser. They were making sure that they had full control of that. And Auction just couldn't grasp any of that control. So really, I mean, there was some great play to come in from Tempo Storm. And I'm really happy to see that they're finally coming in to be the team that we all knew that they could be.
And Velly, I know you want to talk about Dreaming Creators. That was like a point that we had earlier that we didn't get to, and I asked him about it, but he didn't touch on it too much. But I mean, like, no, for real, fire though. The stats that they were pulling in, like, wow,
Yeah.
it's quite the pair to say the
At
least.
the time I called it out, I think as a pair, they were, 22 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely insane, but yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, play of the day. What are we thinking? I mean, I would have said some of Laxine's plays.
Laxine.
Yeah, okay.
1v5.
Yeah, let's see. Let's
Yeah,
roll
it's
it.
gotta be.
Drum roll. Corsair
If
play
it's
of the
not,
day.
we riot.
We riot. Okay, and it is...
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
Give it to Laxing.
Yeah, this was
Look at him.
nasty. My goodness.
Like, he does everything
This-
perfect. He makes
look
stakes
at
perfect.
this.
He clutches
Yeah,
perfectly.
just what?
The
He
pistol play too.
the pistol play.
really impressive.
Yeah, that pistol play. I was just like, man, some people are just blessed, and he is one of those individuals for sure. But really quickly before we wrap, let's look over the bracket really quickly. And Jesse, can you break down Group B for us, and then I'll have Velly do Group A.
Of
Put the
course, so
bracket up.
Group B, we just got done with it. That's what we were watching this last matchup, Tempo Storm versus Oxygen. Tempo Storm obviously taking that 2-1. They're going to move up into the winner's match. They haven't secured anything yet. They're not going to get last, but that doesn't mean much because third also will send them down to the losers group in Phase 2. On Wednesday, we've got TSM versus Disrupt Gaming. The winner of that plays Tempo Storm. The loser of that plays Oxygen. The loser of the Oxygen match will get last for Group B. So you really don't want to end up there. And of course, the winner between Tempo Storm and their opponent will get first for Group B. So a lot on the line in the coming weeks for Group B.
Oh, let's see that Group A. I think Group A is just so scary because you do not know who the top two teams are going to be. Dark Zero, they beat Sonics 2-0 today in dominant fashion, so the NA champions are still on fire. But next time we're on broadcast, Space Station Gaming, your world champions, are going to face off against a United team that just looked so lost. They brought in Rexon, formerly from Luminosity, and also a newcomer, another rookie. So I'm really excited for that matchup as well. And hopefully, United had the Tempo Storm effect.
Okay, and thank you both for breaking that all down. But very excited to be back, you guys. Stage 2, day 1 behind us. We got day 2 on Wednesday, SSG versus E United, TSM versus Disrupt. Both of you talking a little bit about those matchups. But man, what a fantastic start to stage 2. Day 1, so much excitement there. And I missed you both. It was so nice to see you both again. Velly almost got his head taken off by a light. It was
We had a lot of fun.
It was certainly a Monday. So of course I want to give a big thank you to my boys here, to our wonderful casters, to the crew. I love y'all. You're great. Woo! And of course to all of you at home. You're wonderful. We will see you on Wednesday. Make sure you're there. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.
seconds left.